everybody, and welcome back to the Triple Crown Wargaming Studio with me, Max the Chieftain Hurley. By my side, as always, is Scott the Duke McHugh.
Hello.
James the Lawmaster Lamin.
How we doing?
And we're back with another deep dive video in our deep dive series. So the deep dives are a competitive analysis of every army book and supplement in Warhammer Fantasy 8th edition. In this video, or set of videos, we're going to be going through the Daemons of Chaos army book. Yeah, the final. Thank you for the little toot toot.
Yeah, I got you.
The final army book in our deep dive series. We've come to an end, unfortunately. But we're going to do a little bit different this time, guys. So each of the Daemons of Chaos army book deep dives we're going to do is going to be the same intro. So it's going to be with me, these guys who's by my side. And we'll be going through the intro, the rated systems, and the special rules section of the army book.
We will.
With me, and these guys will be helping me out. Beyond that, we'll be going into the separate sub-factions of the Daemons of Chaos.
Yes.
So that's out of the way. We're going to get through this very quickly. And we're going to go into what can you expect in our video now. So the video will be broken down into 5 distinct sections. First, we'll outline how the rating system works. Then we'll go through the army-wide special rules. Next, we'll go through the special characters and unit ratings. Followed by analysis of the army-specific items and magical laws. Then we'll discuss some sample competitive army lists, both in a non-comps environment and within the framework of the Triple Crown comp system itself. So, without further ado, let's get cracking. So, here's a brief explanation / recap, if you've watched them before, of how our rating system works. And we say brief, it'll be a bit of a time. So firstly, we'll divide every unit in the Iron Book into battlefield roles. This creates a system that accurately represents how competitive a unit is at its job. Just because a unit won't kill 50 models in a game doesn't mean it's not competitive. Daemons of Chaos don't particularly have anything that kills 50 models in a game, unless it's a great demon.
Unless the tally's up.
Unless the tally's
Well, tally's up, but Nurgle Fury could probably do it.
Yeah.
We'll get to that at some point. So, the battlefield roles are as follows. So we have Battleline Units. These are the regiments that form the fighting line of an army. The Flanking Units, which are the shock units used for hitting the enemies in, unsurprisingly, the flanks, in support of your battle line. We have Range Units, the units that offer you the dedicated shooting threat. Chaff Units, the units used for hitting lone targets like war machines and sacrificing for battlefield advantage. Support Units, those uniquely Warhammer units that offer buffs or damage unlike anything else in the game. And Characters, which is what it says on the tin. Naturally.
Easy
peasy. So, there are 15 different criteria for scoring. However, each of the battlefield roles are scored on the 6 criteria most relevant for their role. We'll outline which criteria are used for each battlefield role, and the full details of how each criteria is broken down can be found on the ratings page of TripleCrownWargaming.com.
There's a link above the video.
There's a link above the video.
On the page before.
I'm having a great
It's on the page before.
Just
but
over
it's at the
it.
top.
Just listening to Max taking big breaths for the massive sentences.
Because I don't do words well. As Scott just said, the link is posted.
I don't word well.
I don't word well. The link is above, below, previous page, next page. Take it out.
Previous page at the top.
There you go. That's where it is. It's pretty in-depth stuff and well worth checking out to better understand how the deep dive content works and to help you think critically about your army's units.
Yeah, otherwise we're just saying random numbers at you and it doesn't mean too much.
Well, it might do.
I sit here usually.
It does if you watch all of them, because it kind of gives you a good relation to every other unit.
But if you don't read the breakdown of
singularly,
it, it's
singularly less useful.
oh, it's a 12. Okay.
I'll take your word for it. Yeah. So each criteria is worth up to 4 points, giving a total of 24 for each unit in the army book. The higher that number, the more competitive at its job it is. And the criteria for each battlefield role are as follows. Drum rolls, please. Battleline units are scored on strength and number of attacks, special rules, command options, survivability, and cost. Flanking units are scored on strength and number of attacks, their special rules, maneuverability this time, survivability, and cost. Ranged units are scored on threat range, strength for shot, accuracy, versatility, survivability, and cost. Chaff units are scored on maneuverability, number of attacks, special rules, slot, survivability, and cost. Support units are scored on maneuverability, special rules, synergy, risk, survivability, and cost again. And finally, characters are scored on output, special rules, synergy, risk, survivability, and cost.
So survivability and cost, quite important.
Yeah.
Every role.
Probably the two most important,
Yeah.
singularly the two most important factors in a unit.
I think that's, verging on common knowledge, I would say.
Yeah.
If a unit is, paper thin, it's probably not going to have a role
But,
unless
yeah,
it's a very dedicated role.
And or if it's cheap.
Or if it's
Very
very cheap.
Hello,
Equally-
zombies.
Equally, if a unit's really tough to kill, but is super expensive, it also probably isn't going to have a place.
Yeah.
Hello, Blood Knights.
They're not
That's
tough to kill.
Although probably not tough enough to kill to warrant their points.
Yeah,
But that's exactly why you
That's
don't see
exactly
it.
why you don't see it.
So beyond that tangent, a handy tip in general is if a unit scores more than 18, it's a pretty strong choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should take it in your army every time, all the time.
Well, I don't know that, but
All the
A lot of
time.
the time.
it's a good consideration to build around. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So now that that's rankings out of the way, we're now going to move into the start of the Iron Book as it is, and we're going to move into the Daemons of Chaos special rules. So now the formalities are out of the way. Let's deep dive. So he's got an exclamation point. So
So you certainly exclaim that.
It's got an
I
exclamation.
always said, let's deep dive.
I really
Like a
hope.
pirate.
I hope you came here looking for the seriousness of content you've grown to know and love from the deep dive
When
videos.
you come to your
and found Pirate Demon Max
when you've come
at the helm.
when you come to Max's deep dives, you know there's going to be no seriousness here.
No.
Right. So
What a horror show.
what is a horror show for
Well,
me?
this section's a horror show for
It
the
is.
enemies of demons.
It is.
Yeah.
So in the Daemons of Chaos Army Special Rules section, you will find 2 special rules and 1 rule I'm call it a game special rule because it does affect the game as a whole. And that is the only way I can think to describe it. And it may not seem like a lot, but there's a lot to unpack here.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, there is. One of their rules is basically 3 rules.
Yeah, it is. It is a rule. There's rules within rules here. So
Yeah.
the first one is the main one, and it really just about encompasses everything, and that is the Demonic special rule. And every unit in the Iron Book has this, bar none.
Yeah, unsurprising, really. They
Because
are all demons.
They're all demons. There's no mortals here.
No.
It's a hefty rule, and more so than any other army, this really makes what demons what they are.
Yeah.
About this, what is a demon? What is a demon?
It's very similar to Unstable.
Very
It's very
philosophical.
similar to Undead,
To
isn't
Undead,
it? Or,
yeah.
or Nehekaran Undead.
Or
which,
Nehekaran, 'cause
just remember, the Warhammer FAQ
distinctly different.
tells
You-
us that they do count as undead.
Yes.
You're really not going to let that go ever, are you?
No.
It's
I
very-
love that enough people ask them that question.
I do. I tell you what else I'm not going to let go. 8 legs on your Ragnarok Spider.
Oh,
That is a
get
conversation for
over it.
another
Oh
day.
my god.
That's a tale for another day.
Oh.
Anyway, demonic. So the first main part of this rule, before anything else, is that if you got the rule, you cause fear and have immune psychology.
Mhm.
So that's
Good.
the first part of it is
Yeah,
you cause fear.
both very good.
Both very good. You can't run away.
No.
Can't run from terror, or you don't have a fear test.
No.
You don't have panic test. No, nothing. Nothing of that sort of ilk.
Tactically consistent.
It is, yeah.
That's the crucial element with that. You know what they will do.
Yes.
Which is the reason why you do undead, because you know they're never going to run away.
That is correct.
Doesn't have the gumption to do a scared armor.
No. Look, like, I can build a tactical consistency into a list like that, and you can with demons for the same
You
reason.
can, yeah.
It's brilliant.
So
No panic test for me.
no panic test for me, baby.
Yeah, that's it.
And then the other rule, we have fear as well. So fear is again something they share with undead and Nehekaran undead as well. But it's more so something to help them out than it is for the undead. Sorry, it helps the undead out more. But it's better than demons because demons of chaos usually, if you're in combat, you're gonna be hitting on 3s usually. So a lot of combat stuff is like weapon skill 5.
Well, I know, it really depends.
Yeah, it really depends.
For Nurgle, the fear is probably better.
Better as well. For
Yeah.
Nurgle.
And for Sanesh, where they're a bit squishier, the
Yeah.
fear can be really helpful.
But there's more chance, if you fail that fear, there's more chance you hitting a demon on a 5 than it is for, say, a skeleton.
Well, I mean, yeah, if anyone fails a fear test, they're hitting anything that's not a skeleton
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
with fear on a 5.
Yeah, so
Or a zombie.
Or a zombie.
Yeah.
Zombies weapons skill 3, aren't they?
What's
What?
one?
How are they better than a skeleton?
Yeah, so skeleton's
How in
what I'm
your
saying.
head is a dude who hits you with his own foot better than a skeleton?
Oh, he can control the foot. Oh no, I've missed. Let me just flick my ankle round. Obviously.
Like a boomerang, yeah.
How is he not better?
Oh, dear.
I
I'm
think-
sorry about these
I think
people.
for me, fear is one of those rules. It's very inconsistent.
It's
It's,
situational.
and it's the epitome of a if you're looking at the rating system whilst listening to this, it's the epitome of a 1 point situational rule.
Yeah.
So
fear.
what my point here is it's not as crucial to the demons as it is for the undead.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean-
I can see where you're going with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where my tangent began. That's where it should have
Max
gone.
does not do words.
Max can't word well.
Fundamentally, 50% of the book, the fear doesn't realistically change what they hit on.
No.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
It's good for you. It's good for your Demons of Nurgle because obviously
And your Demons of Siege.
And your
And
Demons-
do you know what? And Slanesh as well, because it can mean they hit on 5s.
It stops
Yeah.
them being hit so much.
Yeah, which helps. So it's not bad. And Bloodletters, they're
It's good for everyone. It's probably better on half the book than it is the other half.
but your opponent's not gonna fail it very often.
No, which is the issue.
Which is why you
which
can't.
is-
match on
And
it.
which I'm sure we'll get into, you don't really have any leadership shenanigans in the army bar 2 spells I can think of off the top of my head. I don't think there's a zinc spell that affects leadership. There's one that makes you test on your lowest,
Fantastic.
but
There's-
that's
there's-
not for fear.
Right, so you have access to Law of Death that can
Yeah,
affect
which is
leadership.
in darkness.
We're pointing this out. There's a spell in the
It's
Lore of
Slanesh.
Slanesh that will do
Is
it
it
for you.
Phantasmagoria?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out the Mask of Slanesh can also alter
Shows
leadership.
that.
And you can drop it by 1.
Yeah.
So,
So, you have
um,
you have like 3 entire options.
There's,
Yeah.
there's some
Yeah.
options there, and there's
But
some
not
things
many.
that I think.
No. So it's a nice role, not as it's very situational as
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
And as we said, immune psychology it's very nice that you don't need to be worried about being scared about anything. So
Yeah.
stand, but unless you want to stand and shoot, but almost nothing in this iBook has a shooting attack to stand and shoot with.
Yeah.
What can you do?
We'll live.
We'll leave it at that. So next in the demonic rule is demonic attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the first sort of sub rule within the rule. A model of this has magical attacks, and that includes everything from ranged to stomps and special attacks. So your breath weapons, your thunder stomps, your stomps, as it says, your shooting attacks. Anything that your demon attacks with is magical.
Yeah.
There's no way getting around it. Your Banner of the World Dragons is going to be there to stay.
It's a 95% nothing rule. This.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say this. 5% of the time it matters.
It's either really, really good or
Yeah.
really, really
Bad
bad.
5% of the
Yeah.
time.
This you go on the whole. This is a beneficial rule for yourself because unless you're fighting that one unit with a banner,
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
it affects nothing else and it helps
Yeah.
you against ethereal.
Yeah,
that's
it's
it.
negative against one unit
Yes.
In one army book.
in one army.
And it's
Yeah.
positive against, well, like a handful of units across 2,
2,
maybe 3. I think it's only 2.
Vampires and lizardmen.
Oh, 3.
3.
3 army books.
Forgot Ghostland.
Who's the third? What's the other one?
Green Knight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Britannians.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would like to point out, although this is clearly an FAQ that probably didn't need to happen, it specifies stomp attacks. It doesn't specify thunder stomp attacks. They're obviously also magical.
Yeah.
Stomp, Thunder
Come
Stomp,
on now.
Thunder Stomp come under
It
Stomp.
comes under Stomp.
It's
Oh,
a
no,
book,
it's a
yeah.
subheading of Stomp.
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
it is, yeah.
It's a sub clause 1 of Stomp.
So this is whereas
Stomp 1.1.0.
Yeah.
Stomp.
that's exactly how it is. But as we said, only one army in the game has access to a banner unless you're playing end times with legion lists and stuff
Well,
like
it's
that.
still only one army.
It's still
part of a legion list.
But it's and it's still only one unit. So even then, so as these guys said, it's a nothing
It's-
roll.
yeah.
Beneficial most of the time. Messes you up.
I have
2%
to
of the
say,
time.
it's a rule that Demons players, that banner is something that Demons players
Bellyache about
really
it.
go mad about.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's so broken, there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm like, yeah, there is. You just feed it chaff and just kill the stuff around it.
Or
Like,
you stick a beast of Nurgle into them.
yeah, or yeah, well, I mean,
depends what unit's
it'll
on.
take them ages to kill
Yeah,
it, though. It
yeah.
still takes them ages to kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that I just don't get too het up about the banner.
Mm.
Is my advice to competitive Demons players. Realistically, with a little bit of game management, you can
Yeah.
mitigate the worst
Yeah,
effects.
Absolutely.
just play around it, and again, if you come up against those pesky vampire players of all the ethereal units, it helps you out.
Do you know, that would have been me, but it's probably
It's more me
slightly
now.
more you
It's slightly-
after North Remembers, isn't
After
it?
the 29 ethereal wounds I took to North Remembers.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Let's move
So
on.
We're going to move on to the next perk to being a demon, which is Demonic Aura.
Yes.
And this gives the model of Demonic a 5 ward save, as standard.
Really good.
Doesn't sound as much, but then when you think about it, every model in your army has a talisman of endurance.
Effectively. Yeah.
Effective 30 points per model.
Ward save gold standard rule.
Yeah.
Talk
Yeah.
about these. There's like Fly, ASF, Ward save. They are gold
Oh, no.
standard like elements.
And there's almost nothing in the game that bypasses a ward save.
Yes,
Yeah.
one item that lets you reroll it, one item that ignores it, I believe, and
Yeah.
some
And
spells,
spells,
that
yeah.
swallow you whole.
Yeah.
Of which some of your units can avoid completely as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, they
There
can.
are ways you can actually, when we get into the meat of the units, because this is going to be the same on all 4
Yeah, it is,
factions. Slanesh specifically have some stuff that can completely
Ignore those
ignore
tests.
that. It's
Yeah.
very underrated.
Very good. So if I ward save, it's just a third of all your damage is just ignored.
Pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah.
Very good.
So good in units. It's good for. It's funny when your big grey demons deflect a cannonball from thin air.
has good synergy with magic resistance as well.
does.
And again, there are
Yep.
a good chunk of units that have it or
Good
can
chunk.
get hold
There's
of
an
it.
entire sub-faction.
Where that's it.
Yeah, there's an entire sub-faction. Be warned though, that unlike a lot of other war saves, this war save is subject to change.
It's got terms and conditions attached.
It does have terms. We're going to get to that in a second when we
Yes.
go through it, but they are. It might sound weird, but they are subject to change.
Get ready for me to bust some numbers, for Scott to correct those numbers, but for my point still to be absolutely spot on.
And for me, and then for me, just to go, yeah, those sound correct. Those numbers correct. Are they correct, Scott? Do them out. Do them out.
Let's, yeah.
Anyway, moving on. So the last perk of Demonhood is
The final sub point.
demonic instability.
Yes.
So, and this is where you don't run away from a combat. So now this is wordy. So I'll let Scott have a go at reading this.
I did wonder when it had come to me.
Have a go at reading it. Do you think you
See if I can
get
do
there, mate?
words better than that.
You really had a go at me when I did the Orcs and Goblins deep dive. So I'll let you have. I'll take over a lot of it. And let you do the reading here.
Cheers. So, when a unit of demons loses a combat, it must take a special kind of break test called a demonic instability test, instead of taking a normal break test. To do this, use the following procedure. Calculate combat res as normal and roll 2d6. If the dice roll is a double 1 or double 6, something unexpected happens. On a double one, reality blinks. All wounds suffered by the unit this close combat phase, including any wounds suffered by characters that have joined it, are restored, and any models removed as casualties in this phase immediately return to play in their earlier positions. Wounds restored in this manner still count as having been inflicted for the purposes of combat results.
I don't know why that makes a difference because the test is done after combat.
Yeah,
A frenzy, maybe? I don't know.
in a Legions list, Mortals.
No, because they
Still
don't
break.
have demonic instability in that.
Oh, they don't. No, they lose
No.
it. They just go unstable.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't know.
So I wonder if it is things like the frenzy.
Count as having winning the combat.
Count as
Yeah,
having-
maybe.
Yeah, the combat result reduced.
A really weird bit to add on the end of it.
Bit,
But
yeah, or double sit, banished, less good. Remove the unit from player as a casualty. Lot less wordy.
It's just that one.
Literally, it's just that.
Remove the entire
It's,
unit.
it's 8 words.
This is why
Treat unit as if Scott rolled on the miscast table.
this is why you need BSBs in your Demon's Army.
It is, yeah. The third point under this.
The third clause.
So now,
Third sub clause.
assuming the unit has not been wiped out when resolving a double 6, apply the difference in combat results as a penalty to the demon's leadership. For every point by which the 2d6 roll exceeds this modified leadership value, the unit suffers 1 additional wound with no saves of any kind allowed. If characters are present in the unit, the controlling player first allocates wounds to the unit up to their current wounds, then divides remaining wounds as equally as possible amongst any characters. Once all wounds have been allocated, the penalty to the demon's leadership is discounted. Note that demonic instability tests do not benefit from insane courage. They can, however, be re-rolled if the battle standard is within 12. Use the General's Inspiring Presence rule and or be tested on unmodified leadership if the unit is stubborn/steadfast. If a demonic unit somehow has the Unbreakable special rule, it takes no demonic instability test. I now understand why that last sentence is there. Because on a double 1 you get all your wounds back, however, you still take into account the modifier for how much you lost combat by. And take those wounds.
No.
Because you don't gain benefit from insane courage. So double 1s aren't always a pass.
But it doesn't matter because insane courage only exists on a break test. It's not a break test.
It's a special kind of break test.
Yeah, but so assume you're generally demons
How can you
leadership 7.
take the wounds and get all the wounds back?
Because so you double 1
What's
it. So
done
you roll
first?
the dice. If a double 1 or double 6, something unexpected happens, right? So if you roll a double 1, you get all your models back. Lovely. Now, the third point. Now, assuming the unit has not been wiped out when resolving a double 6, nothing about a double 1. Apply the difference in combat result as a penalty to the demon's leadership. For every point by which the 2d6 roll exceeds this modified leadership value, the unit suffers 1 additional wound with no save of any kind. So your leadership as a demon can go down
I
to
understand
0.
what you're saying. I'm pretty
And then
sure
you
the
lose 2
FAQ says you can't be reduced to less than leadership
It's
2.
0.
Oh, is it 0? So
I'm
you
sure
would
it's leadership
take
0.
2 wounds.
So you take 2 wounds on a double 1.
Okay.
At most.
You heard it here first, maybe.
I
not
think it
fantastic.
says 2. I think you
I
don't
think
take
it's
the
0.
wounds.
I'm sure it's 0.
I think it's 0. I do think it's 0.
Okay, so
Maybe
maybe you then take... I've never seen anyone...
I've never seen anyone
in
do it like that either.
10 years of playing with this army,
No.
or playing against this army, I've never seen anyone take those wounds.
No.
Ever.
No. Good.
This rule is ridiculous. I'll say it's just ridiculous.
This is what separates demons from undead.
It's ridiculous, right? Unstable, unbreakable is a clearly interbalanced rule, whereby you lose wounds in replacement for not running. This rule, legitimately, you don't lose wounds very often.
Not really.
Like you just don't. I'm
No.
sorry, you don't.
No.
You look
because you get steadfast and you can test on your benefits from steadfast and you can test on leadership. Probably 8 for a herald, 9 if you've got a greater demon
close by. Again, the more ridiculous element to this is the fact that you can lose combat by like 20, and go, oh, it's okay because I can't possibly, as long as I roll not a double 6, I've got 12 models left. I can't possibly go out anywhere this turn.
Yeah.
But cool. Whereas, for anyone else that's got a real normal rule, take the figures off. So it's huge. It's a huge rule. The fact you can double 1 and get all your wounds back is absolute insanity as well.
Yeah, it is.
It is characters come back. That's different from every other rule like that.
Absolutely. It takes the flanking role, arguably the most devastating role, battlefield role, and potentially, now it doesn't happen often, it's 1 in 36, but if you've got the BSB reroll, it's 1 in 18.
Nope.
The chance doesn't change, but 18 tests, because you reroll the test.
Yeah.
Every 18 tests, you'll throw it. But it effectively nerfs like lances. It nerfs shock troops massively.
It'll hold them in there. Hold them in their stead.
It obliterates them. It doesn't hold them in their stead. It just flattens them. Because they go in, they do all their joy with their
Lances
devastating charge, their lances, their whatever they got. You double on it and then turn around. Because then you're steadfast. Because you've got all your ranks back as well. So you're steadfast for the turn round check.
Yeah, you are.
This is why they are one of the top armies in the game.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So the chance there are, as I said, there is a slim chance which you do lose the entire unit.
Yeah, bad times.
That's why you have VSB.
But again, realistically, the chances of that
happen.
happening is 1 in every 72 break tests you take if you've got a BSB, because you've got to roll double 6
twice
and then roll it again because you'll re-roll it.
Yeah.
So you're literally 4 times more likely to get the double 1 result if you've got a BSB than get the double 6 result, realistically.
So what? So first, to get the double 1,
welcome to Daemons of Maths.
Either 1 out of 36 it, or you 35 out of 36 and then 1 out of 36, because you don't get it on the first roll, but get it on the second roll.
Yeah, you basically get 2 bites of the cherry, which doubles your chances of scoring it.
Yeah.
That's the way to look at it. Whereas with the double 6, you get 2 bites of the cherry to avoid it, which doubles your chances of not getting it, which effectively means that you've got to
half your chance of getting it. Because you have to get it on both.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So the disparity of commonality of result is
huge.
Yeah. It's like we're back to the Frost Art Phoenix table and we talk about the statistical chances of
getting double 1.
The numbers don't sound right, but I'll be honest, it's been too long a day for me to work out if they are right.
Someone's just come back from holiday.
Yeah.
They definitely are.
Okay, that is bold claim.
They definitely are right, because you've basically got 2 chances to score or avoid.
Yeah.
And it's much easier to avoid than it is to score, basically.
It's not the same odds to get a double 1 on a reroll as to not get a double 6 on a reroll, is it? So
no,
it's much easier.
It's 35 out of 36 to duck it on the second roll. That's what I mean. The gap is humongous. When you start factoring in your reroll, they just become really hard.
Are we done mathing?
No, we haven't even got to the chart yet. You wait till I get onto the chart.
But
mate.
no, it's a very good rule, and it as I said, separates demons from undead. It keeps you guys around.
I just want to point out they've already
here we
ignored
go.
a third of the wounds they've taken from the ward saves. Like, I've got like
or more.
or more.
Or a few less.
Or more. Yeah, I mean, yes, it's definitely possible, and we will discuss that in more depth. But the
people at home skip.
Overall,
10 seconds. 10 seconds.
Overall,
this is good content, people.
Overall, that walled save combined with this is particularly
very
strong.
good.
And
It makes them really tough.
It's why they're up the top.
Yeah, it makes them really hard to break down. Even units that look like they should be
even
easy.
the poorer ones are like that.
Yeah.
See any battle report where Scott uses Nurglings for more information. So
Moving on.
Yeah.
They killed 40 zombies once. Not on a battle report.
Not on a battle report.
Just they'll do that.
Yeah.
They'll do that. They will, particularly
For the bans.
once the tally's up. They'll do it, won't they? Easily.
Moving on. You done?
She pulled the zombies up.
Lastly, we have the Demonic Alignment Rule. So this is a separate rule. It's not a part of Demonic anymore.
No.
It's just called Demonic Alignment. This rule usually sets the tone for your army composition as a whole as well. So firstly, only demonic characters can join demonic units. Doesn't make a difference in the army book, it only makes a difference in the Legion army lists.
Yeah.
Which we'll cover at some point later on down the line. None of them much in a detriment in the army book. So, secondly, demon units can only use inspiring presence and hold your ground of a model as the same alignment as the model with the rule. This is the big bit, because your general and your BSB have to be of the same god.
Of the unit they're trying to affect.
Yeah, so if you're a Lord of Change, which is a Great Demon of Zinch, you can't give your inspiring presence to a Bloodletter unit.
You have to hold your hand up here and say this is a tough rule.
This is tough.
Yeah.
This is a rough rule. This one.
Yeah.
So now this is where it might sort of somewhat level out in demonic instability. Are you going to start mapping again?
No, I'm not. I'm not. But I think this is really interesting insofar as, for me, it doesn't level it out.
It just prescribes lists.
It's a terrible rule. Yeah, it's a terrible rule because whilst there's going to be people at home saying, "Well, yeah, but that would just mean you see Kairos in loads more armies." Yeah, you would.
You would,
Of course you would.
Yeah.
And you'd see like a Keeper of Secrets more regularly, or you'd see, like outside of a Slanesh list or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably would see those things. But honestly, what it's led to the other way is
The rise of the mono god.
well, it's the rise of almost exclusively one mono god. I would say 85-90% of the lists you will encounter.
The mono Nurgle.
Certainly on competitive tables will be.
Well, and when you go to events, it almost always is competitive.
Yeah.
So, the vast majority of what you will take on will be Nurgle heavy. And I think worse than that, you're actively penalised for not doing it. It's not just that your army's better for doing it.
Yeah.
You're actively penalised
for not.
See, a Daemons of Chaos army in itself looks very nice if it's a mixed god. You've got loads of different models, loads of different colours going on. It looks physically nice, but then when you prescribe to a mono god list, it looks kind of just green, red, blue, pinks, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or shades of purple if you're Slanesh.
I think the other problem is that for one specific faction, which is Nurgle, obviously, they're given an additional way of bonusing their troops if their troops are Nurgle.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is, I'll give you a massive bonus if you stick with Nurgle, or I'll nerf you hard if you don't.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, I just think I'll
probably
just
stick
stick with the best option. And this is where I think this is part of a combination of bad rules writing in this supplement.
Yeah.
It really does hamper just a lot of your army list unless you tailor it to be specifically around.
And I think the intention was good. I think the intention was good. It was like, well, would a unit of Demonettes take orders from a Bloodthirster? No, they probably wouldn't.
No.
They probably wouldn't. They hate each other. That's great.
I can understand it more if you say that the demons of the gods that hate each other don't get the benefit.
Yeah, I think it just becomes so confusing to do that as well.
I would say you get like a -1 penalties in leadership or 2 for inspiring presence.
Yeah, or just reduce it so it's 6.
Or 6 inches.
12 inches normally or whatever, or
Yeah.
6 inches if they're
-6 off
I
of
think
it.
you could have done the same, but I think what it's done is sort of hard fixed.
Yeah.
The mono god being the kind of the way that people will generally play.
It's also worth saying that demonic characters can only join units that are solely composed of demons with the same allegiance of themselves as well. So Nurgle heralds, for instance, can only join Nurgle units.
Yes.
Epidemius can't join a unit of
Seekers.
pink horrors or seekers,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
So they again just prescribing mono a lot of mono god lists.
That I don't mind that. I think that makes perfect sense because it's the same as Warriors of Chaos effectively.
I would mind it. Well, it's not because Warriors of Chaos can share leadership and can share BS.
No. The joining.
Oh, the
same
joining.
army.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
joining.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
apologies. Yeah, that's absolutely total sense. You wouldn't have a Herald of Slanesh hanging out with like a Zinchi unit, would you? Just chilling my bird mates.
Down in the aviary.
Down the aviary. Anyway, and so lastly we have the specific rules for the demons aligned to a specific god. So if you're a demon of Khorne, you get different rules. So, demons of Khorne gain +1 strength from the charge and hate demons of Slanesh.
Yes, they do.
Demons of Zinch reroll ward saves and channeling attempts of 1 and hate demons of Nurgle.
Yeah. I don't know what they have against them.
It's lore-wise.
No, man, it was a joke.
There's
Everyone
background
hates
people.
Nurgle. Everyone hates Nurgle.
Weirdly, these are probably the only thing in all of Warhammer existence that don't hate Nurgle because they're broken. they hate them because, like fluff reasons.
Fluff reasons being Zinch's change and Nurgle is stagnation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I think is quite cool.
Yeah, I do like that.
And Demons of Nurgle cause enemy models to suffer a -1 to hit in combat and hate Demons of Zinch. That's the kicker. That's
So
the
good.
You play Warriors of Chaos.
We're going to discuss these
We're
in a
going to
moment.
discuss it, yeah. And Demons of Slanesh gain armor piercing and hatred demons. Of
Also
Khorne.
very good.
You thought you were going to escape this section, Max, without me getting onto it.
Scott, so so I'm going to move into the units. Yeah, if you can I
Wait,
finish?
are we even done? We're not even close to done.
Can I finish my spiel before you go off on yours? Yeah. Overall, Reed does set the precedent of how your army will build on the very get-go, and means that multi-god armies are very hard to get right, and mono-god builds are pretty much the most competitive way of building an army.
And go.
And go.
Well, I mean, we've gone backwards there.
You go into so obviously the Demons of Tzeentch is the best one in there. Obviously.
Look, the problem is the problem with the fundamental problem with these four.
When he says fundamental,
flavour
you know you're in for a long ride.
No, the fundamental problem with these four flavour texts is that some of them are completely passive, and some of them are very active. So if you take Khorne, I have to charge, so it requires input action, and it only lasts for one turn.
Yeah.
Right? So it's active and for a short period.
Yeah.
Whereas if I take Slanesh, it's armor piercing
Very passive all the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
But
All the time
I
during
have to.
combat,
But I have to. I still have to hit. So it's less active than say Khorne.
No, because you still have to hit with Khorne.
Yes, yeah, but I only get one turn with Khorne. I've got to do it, and I get one turn.
Oh, less active.
Yeah. So it's more kind of passive.
Yeah,
So I've got it all the time.
Yeah.
But I still have to hit and wound.
And then the most passively is Tzeentch there on itself.
Then when you look at I think when you look at Nurgle, that is super passive. It's just I just stand here and I
just
get a
have
fat
to
bonus.
be in combat.
You could say it's just aggressively passive.
Also, think about how rare -1s to -1 modifiers are, or +1 modifiers are.
From what
outside of like shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you
Like
think
to hit with
if you
shooting.
think about to hit rolls in combat,
There's
you've got a sword of +1 to hit and a spell that does it.
Yeah.
Enchanted Blades, which
all
again,
chaos.
There's a couple of spells that do it. Curse of Amber does it.
no, it's -1. No, I'm thinking sorry.
Oh,
I'm thinking
just
+1s.
+1s.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And then
there's not many.
-1s would be
You've got
Curse over here,
Fars,
Fars Protection.
Fire protection.
Ice Shot Blizzard.
Ice Shot
Yes.
Blizzard.
3 spells.
So we're talking about. We've talked about 4 spells from Battle Magic, which are widely regarded as 4 of the best spells in the game.
They're all very good.
Period.
Yeah.
Sword of Striking is one
Very
of
good
the
sword.
most common competitive items you'll see. Very good choice.
Very good sword.
You'll have to see it.
You do.
And this is because a specific modifier to the dice is huge.
Yeah.
It's absolutely huge.
If it was -1, say what it used to be was -1 weapon skill, that makes it a lot better, a lot more even. So -1 flat.
Well, it makes the rule a lot worse. -1
Yeah,
weapon
it
skill
does,
is way worse than -1 to hit.
Yeah.
-1 to hit is huge. What you've just said is that you have made yourself 17% harder to hit.
18% of it.
No, you're running it up 16.667. But yeah, I'll let you run it up to 17.
17%. 17% harder to hit.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, which is huge.
Yeah, essentially outside of spells or magic items, no one can hit you on a 3.
No. 4+ is the worst you will be hit on.
So half of the attacks coming at you are not going to hit.
And
then you've got probably a 5-up wall save.
So a third of the damage.
The damage that goes through. On a toughness which is generically the best toughness in the book.
This isn't even talking if you failed your fear test as well.
Yeah, and again, if we look at, fail your fear test being hit on 6s.
Yeah.
So again, it's about combinations that are not
Absolutely.
thought about. Failing your fear test has very little impact on Khorne because they're weapon skill 5. Has very little impact on Slanesh because they're weapon skill 5. Has very little impact on Tzeentch because they can't fight.
Because they are rubbish.
Don't want to be in combat.
Honestly, do you know what I would have done to fix this? I would have made it -1 weapon skill, but I wouldn't have said to a minimum of 0. So that if you fail your fear check, you can't hit, you'll hit automatically.
Yeah, okay.
That's devastating.
Yeah, I don't.
But equally, it just makes me a bit harder to
I
hit.
don't know what I would have done, to be honest. I don't know what I would have done. What I do know is that that's really consistent.
Yeah.
The Tzeentch one is also quite consistent.
It's very
It is.
consistent.
It's solid. Very solid.
Unfortunately, the base stats of the guys that have it
Not great.
are poor.
It's really good on the Greater Demons.
Oh yeah, and it's absolutely ace on the Lord of Change. It's terrifying.
It's why it's a lot less. I like a list of having just like 4 units of 10 pink Oryx just to have 4 re-rolling channeling attempts.
Yeah, not
that's
bad to
quite
spam the channel in 10.
Well, I mean that is
Which we
strong.
do combat that as well.
Yeah, because it is strong,
It is strong,
to just we use them as chaff. You just use them as chaff blocks that generate power dice for you in Nurgle.
And a random spell.
And a random spell.
And a random spell.
If I look away.
Yeah, hopefully.
So I think this is the big problem with the 4 in general, is that they aren't equal.
No, not by a long,
They aren't
No.
equal,
long way.
and so then you have to start saying, well, what are we going to do points wise to make them equal? And I think when we get into, obviously that will be different for each of the videos, but
Yeah.
this section will be the same for you guys at home. So it's just something for you to think about is, well, how is that reflected? Because you know, in general, I don't think it's reflected that well.
No.
And I don't like to sort of really criticise, but I don't see how the most consistent of those powers don't seem to be pointed higher than
No.
the least. In fact, they are definitely pointed lower
They are
than
pointed-
the least
they are
consistent.
cost of them.
I would just say these just aren't included in the cost at all.
No.
Uh,
No.
Well, they definitely aren't for some, and they definitely are for others. I think that's fair to
I think
say.
what James alluded to, that everything's Nurgle was uncosted.
Well, I think that it's very hard to see how it's pointed into something like a plague bearer, for example.
Yeah.
It's very hard, but it's very easy to see that it's definitely been pointed into a 14-point bloodletter.
Yeah.
Who even with it is probably too many points.
Well, because he's still got to make a charge. He's just a bloke. He's just a bloke. So
Well, I mean, he's a demon.
he's a fishy bloke. He's got
Fishy?
Yeah,
He's got horns.
He's got like a fishy look going on, though, haven't they?
No.
I think they do. I think they're a bit scaly. Look at their backs. They're a little bit.
What? Because
flickery.
they've got scaly skin.
On the back.
Does that
yeah,
make
I think
lizard
they-
men fish?
No, because I think the backs they've got like little sort of fins.
They have a fin.
You guys at home know what I'm talking
But-
about. They've got a fin and they've got scales.
I know
They're
what you're on
fish.
about because I built these guys now. They have a singular fin like
That's
a shark.
correct, like a shark. Yeah.
They don't have scales though.
They're next to the fin. They do little rough skins.
It's not their skin. It's not scale though.
Oh, what are you talking about? The
That's not
sharks
a
don't have
shark.
scales. We are a long way from Kansas, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, we're going to move on from
Absolutely lost
We're
it.
going to move on for demonic alignment for James to go on about another rule that he doesn't.
Yes.
He's going to have a lot to go about. And that's going to be the Art the Game special rule, and that is the Reign of Chaos.
You're making me out to be a villain, and I don't think that.
You are the villain. We want to move on.
I've got a Daemons army as well. I've got like 2 models for it. I've actually still not paid Scott. I wonder if at some point I'll pay Scott for some stuff I bought of him. I haven't actually got the models either, so it's still there. It's
So you
always
don't,
been
the
there.
point is moot.
So you don't have a Demons Army.
I've got a Herald of Celeste in the other room. I painted the other day.
You have a. What you have is a Demons Mordheim crew.
Yeah, maybe. But the thing is that it's not that I don't like demons. It's not like a hatred thing of them or anything like that, or a particular. For me, they're one of the best factions in Warhammer, like background wise. I love them.
that's
I
cool.
think they're one of those great overarching villains. But I just wish they didn't have some of these really like swingy rules.
Very
like,
polarising rules.
yeah, and I think that there's definitely been an attempt to make the swings feel balanced, but I think in general.
A bit like with the Frostheart table.
Absolutely, yeah. It's much more like that than people think. If you watch the High Off Deep Dive, you see us talking about how I think it's a third of all the results will be the best result on the table, which is complete disparity on a six stack table. And it's the same thing we were just talking about with the demonic instability and the double 166 stuff, and we'll talk about some of that
It's
here
going to be
as well.
exacerbated in this one as well.
Yeah, it will be.
This is everyone's favourite rule from the Demons of Chaos army book. Everyone loves the Reign of Chaos.
Everyone's got a Reign of Chaos story, haven't they?
That's the thing. Most of the time, actually, it does very little.
But
Like
yeah,
probably 80% of the time, it does very little.
everyone remembers the bad.
Everyone remembers when, that skull thrown by Khorne killed a skink priest. Everyone
knows what that's.
Everyone remembers when
when
the Dark Prince Thirst killed a demon prince. And
Well, I think this is the thing. Everyone that plays against demons remembers that time the Dark Prince Thirst killed like 6 knights and lost in the game, or blew up a skink priest with a rock or whatever.
Yeah.
But every demons player sits there and
remembers
goes,
when, but that was double one.
I remember
then."
that time I lost the point of ward save and then it like killed my general or whatever. We're all like, whatever, mate. You just got 1,000 points free off me. I remember seeing a game where the guy rolled the Khorne one. No, he rolled Dark Prince Thirst.
Yeah.
On a landed it on a 625 point Sorcerer Prophet on
Baltaurus.
on the big Baltaurus, and he rolled 3 6s and he was a quarter of an inch out of the Inspiring Presence, out of the BSB range, and he just picked him up and took him off. And obviously it's like 100 points to the general, 625 points for the cow, and then it was and it's Blood and Glory, so there's like an extra 500 VPs for breaking your army as well.
It's like 1,200 points.
Anyway, so we're going to go into the Reign of Chaos. into the Reign of Chaos itself then, because we are going to go through the results. Basically, when you roll for the Winds of Magic, you consult this table in the Iron Book, and that's the result has an effect on your army and maybe some of your enemies' units as well.
Yes.
I don't know, let Scott go through the results for me here, as are 11 to read.
Yeah, there's a lot. So, double one, all units with demonic instability, friend or foe, must immediately take a demonic instability test on their unmodified leadership.
Get all your models back. For a double one.
No, because it's that phase.
Ah!
But you could be banished on a double 6.
You could be banished.
Yeah, you
Sad
can.
times.
Probably not likely. But
If you're playing inside the Yoki or BSB kind of
Yeah.
thing, you should be safe.
Hold your comments. Hold!
Well, if we comment, surely we're commenting as we go through the thing, so we don't have to keep asking back.
No, you have to get really unlucky to actually banish your demons from this.
I think
yeah,
you do,
super unlucky.
It's also a 1 in 36 that you'll even roll it, because it's double one only, isn't it?
it is.
And there's an item in this book that lets you re-roll it as well.
There is actually.
Yeah, I don't see it very often, I think.
No, you don't, because of the negatives it
points.
gives you.
It's a lot of points, and it also lets your opponent reroll theirs.
Yeah.
And on a 3, punished by the gods, randomly select one character with the demonic instability special rule, friend or foe. If there are no characters with demonic instability currently on the board, count this as the Eye of the Storm, which does nothing. The selected character must immediately take a leadership test, losing wound, with no savings of any kind for each point by which the test is failed. It's a demonic instability test, but without the double 6.
It's basically just a regular leadership test at this point,
Yeah, so this one is, again, not very common out. It's only
No, it's
2
a
in
3.
36 that you're
A 1
scoring.
or a 2 or a 2 and a 1.
Yeah, so at the minute we've got bad outs are 3 potential.
Yep. So, what's next?
No.
And again,
if
we've
you
still
wanna
got the
comment, I'll let
BSB
you
rerolls and
Yeah,
things like that.
No, so you get your BSB reels and everything like that. So
Yeah.
again, the idea you're going to lose your Herald or your big
Unlikely.
greater demon, very unlikely at that point.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you for a fully wounded greater demon, you can't lose it.
You physically can't lose it, no.
Oh, can you not roll a double 6 on
It's
it?
not a demonic instability test. It's
It's
a
a
leadership
leadership.
test which you lose a point for each point by
Oh,
which
so
you
yeah,
fail.
I mean, you don't even care.
Yeah.
A
You
herald,
can kill a herald.
A herald you
Yeah.
can kill, yeah.
Get a Herald or Demon Prince? No, Demon Prince
No,
left on a
they're
wound.
Yeah.
Yeah, left on a wound, yeah.
Chaotic Ebb, this is a 4. You -1 penalty to your ward saves.
So every
6+.
demon player remembers when this happens
So
to them.
this is, you've got as much chance of this happening as you have the first 2 combined.
Yep.
This I actually think is the worst result on the table.
It is,
Against
yes. It
players.
is. It's
100%.
100% the worst.
I'd much rather take a demonic instability test on every unit in my army than have -1 ward.
100%.
Tame demonic stability in
100%.
which you have your Inspiring Presence and BSB reroll.
Absolutely. I'm leadership 9 with a reroll. Yeah, I'll say that.
You have a rubbish magic phase, but who cares?
And if you're,
But you also probably have a rubbish magic phase with 4 dice.
Yeah.
Or you take Mono Nurgle and you probably don't have a magic phase anyway.
Or take Monocorn.
Or Monocorn.
yeah, I mean, they are one of the few armies that you do see
Without
wizards quite often.
I think it's point to say you have to roll on this table even if you don't have a wizard. You
Yes.
have to roll on the table.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Number 5 is Storm of Fire, so these are the first of the god-specific ones. So you roll a d6 for each enemy unit and each friendly unit that contains 1 or more Demons of Nurgle or models with the Mark of Nurgle on the board.
So that affects Warriors Chaos as well.
It does. Do not roll for units that are engaged in close combat. On the roll of a 6, place a small round template centred directly over the centre of the unit. This then scatters d6. Any models wholly or partially beneath the template's final position suffer a single strength 4 hit with a flame attack special roll.
Okay, so this one's 4 outs.
2-3, 3-2, 4-1,
4-1,
1-4.
1-4.
Yeah.
So 4 outs this time. So it's slightly more again.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, my big gripe with this is that it hits this is the one that hits Nurgle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is Zinj
So
specific.
this
Yeah.
hits your own demons if they're demons of Nurgle, and it hits everyone on the enemy side if
Yeah.
you roll a 6.
Yeah.
Nurgle units are insanely tough.
Well,
Minimum tough. Bar Nurglings, minimum toughness 4.
4.
So you look at it and say, so even if you're all Nurgle, right, and you roll this one, you've got as much chance of hitting your unit as my unit. Even if you like rock it right in the centre of a unit of Plague Bearers and hit 15. I don't think you'll hit much more because they're 25s.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're probably on 12,
I think you're
14.
I think you're 12, 14 maybe.
maybe.
Let's say 14. Let's really treat it as
Yeah.
it's 7 wounds, and on a bad day I'll take 5 of them. Might pass 4.
I'd say you take 4 wounds for
And it's got 2/3 of the time it will scatter as well.
Yeah.
It's not a big concern for Nurgle, and that's
No.
if I've not got any tally up, by
Reed-
the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reed does not hurt Nurgle as much as
It hurts a lot of enemies though.
Hurts
Does-
Empire, Elves, Goblins, Undead,
Skaven,
Skaven,
Tomb Kings,
Beast-
Beastmen.
Beast. Yeah, Beast toughest 4.
50% of them
No
dead,
armour.
mate.
Yeah,
armour.
no, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It really does not hamper as much as they think it's going to
Skinks.
hamper.
Well,
really hurts against.
it's just not strong enough for me. As we go through these, for me the design would have probably been
It
does
affects the hated god more than the enemy.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
I would have done with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So for this one, for instance, you make it strength 5 against Nurgle.
Yeah, 4 against everything else.
Yeah.
So
That's
also
really
it's against Nurgle, it's flaming, so you will get rid of, say,
beast regen or
beast
the
regen.
locus of regen.
Regen.
Got a wounded beast, though, haven't you?
Yeah.
Also, we'll say it's the only time in which Tzeentch, well, we'll go into this later on, it's the only thing that gets rid of Warp Flame Regen as well.
Yeah.
In the magic phase.
It also because it happens in friendly magic phase, it's unlikely that even stripping the regen's going to mount.
No.
Unless you've got like a herald that miscasts in a unit that had the regen locus or something. I mean, we're really getting into the
Clutching.
specifics. Yeah,
Clutching.
I think it's unlikely.
Yeah.
So 6 is Rot Glorious Rot, Nurgle's specific one. You roll a d6 for each enemy unit and each friendly unit that contains one or more Demons of Tzeentch or modelled with Mark of Tzeentch on the board. Do not roll for units in... sorry, I should have also pointed that Storm of Fire, you don't roll for units that are engaged in combat.
Yes,
You said that.
Sorry.
Oh, did I? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you
Good.
did say.
You also don't do it for this one. On the roll of a 6 for the unit suffers d6 plus 3, strength 3 hits with no arm saves allowed.
I actually like this one. I do like this.
It's okay.
So again, 3 and a 3.
For
So
6,
six,
yep.
isn't it? Yeah.
3 and a
5
3,
and a 1,
5 and a 1,
5,
1 and a 5.
4 and a 2,
2 and a
2 and a 4. So
5.
it's more outs as well.
Yep.
Now I know that it can't be perfect, but you're more likely to score this one than you are the last one.
Yep.
So we're already talking about the faction that we know is the
Mhm.
strongest competitively. Is
Yeah.
actually less likely to be hit than probably the weakest faction in the book, which is Tzeentch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's because they tried to tie it to the numbers of the gods.
Well,
and
but they
why.
don't.
It
They
didn't
failed
work.
to do that.
Yeah, it didn't.
Because
because
Tzeentch should be 9.
and 6 is Slanesh.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Oh wow, yeah, that is
Yeah.
really wrong.
So it
None
doesn't-
of them are right.
None of them are
Oh,
right.
wow. I thought it just got screwed up because 7 was in the
Because
middle. but-
Nurgle's is 7.
No, we're 7.
So yeah, so I knew it
Yeah,
got
yeah.
screwed up because 7's in the middle and 7 nothing happens.
Yeah.
But I thought it just
No.
pushed the other two out
No,
slightly.
no.
Oh.
No, it's all,
Tzeentch is 9, Corner's 8.
Corner's 8, yeah.
And Slanesh is 6.
It's
No,
all,
we're
it's
7.
all skewed round.
Oh wow, that's just really wrong.
So again, it's
Hilarious.
more likely to punish probably the weakest faction.
Yeah.
in the book. And again, the no armor save part of it. You're is it? No, I'm right.
Yeah,
so
no
it's
armor
an
save,
armor
yeah,
save. Yeah. Again, doesn't matter to demons. I don't.
No,
Very
but
little.
it only hits
actually
Demons of
has armor
Tzeentch,
saves.
so
Does
Yeah,
matter.
which doesn't
Does
really
matter to every other your enemy units as well, though. If they're heavy armor.
But yeah, see what I mean. So it's
It's
not
good
really a
against them,
negative
yeah.
for you.
No,
What we're
no.
seeing with the damage ones so far is that they're far more likely to damage your opponent than you.
Yeah.
And if you're Nurgle, you're being hit the least so far.
Yeah.
Let's.
so 7 is the Eye of the Storm. Nothing happens this time. So this will be your most common out.
Yeah. So this is approximately 6 combinations, I believe, for 7. 6 and a 1, 1 and a 6, 4 and a 3, 3 and a 4, 5 and a 2, 2 and a 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So and
it's around-
that's your most common. So most of the time, it should be nothing
Yeah,
happens.
I mean that is 1 in 6. You should score a 7
Every
once a
game.
game, basically.
The Dark Prince Thirst.
This
which
is
is
one
number 8.
everyone hates.
Yeah, arguably, probably is the best of the 4 god specific ones.
Oh,
The
it's
gods
a
specific
miles
one,
yeah.
this one.
You roll a d6 for each enemy unit and each friendly unit that contains 1 or more Demons of Khorne or models with a mark of Khorne. Don't roll for units engaged in combat. On the roll of a 6, the unit must take a leadership test on 3d6, adding the results together. If the test is passed, nothing happens. Otherwise, for each point by which the unit failed the test, it suffers a wound with no armor saves allowed.
This thing.
So
wrecked.
5 outs again,
Yep, same as 6.
same as 6.
Hmm.
So still more likely to hit a Khorne unit than Nurgle.
Yep.
Yep.
This stinks. It's horrible.
It stings.
This is really powerful.
I've seen like demon princes. I've seen monsters. I've seen everything.
I-
Battalion, Paladins and Lords
Yeah.
on Pegasus.
I had a game a
Disgusting.
couple of weeks ago where this killed Skull Cannon on turn 1
That's rough.
That is rough.
for them. Yeah.
For you.
them.
But you know, it was, and you think like he didn't do anything wrong. He just got to those the way he did. He took a Skull Cannon and Nurgle army. That's what he did. But,
You know what you did.
but,
You know
but
you
yeah,
are.
I mean it's rough.
It is.
It's rough,
it
and
is rough.
it's the one that the greater demons fear, and I think that's
Yeah,
something
it
that's
is,
worth
yeah.
pointing out.
Yeah.
Is that realistically for the Nurgle and Tzeentch one, Storm of Fire and Rot Glorious
Glorious
Rot,
The great
the
demons
greater
don't care.
demons don't
Don't
fear
really
them.
care.
They
No.
fear this one,
Oh yes.
and they fear the next one.
But
as
they're
well.
not.
Yeah.
They're not hit by this one because they're not corn.
Right.
Only hits demons of corn. If
Yeah.
Bloodthirst
got
is a great
Bloodthirst,
demon,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah,
He's terrifying.
Bloodthirst are terrified. The Nurgle and the Tzeentch ones aren't scared, like you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, but as in, like the Nurgle Greater Demons aren't scared of the Tzeentch.
Yeah.
Aren't scared of Storm of Fire, and the Tzeentch Greater Demons aren't scared of Rock
Yeah,
Glorious
it's
Rot.
upset. It's
So
upset.
quite weak
It's
then.
inconsistent.
Yeah.
It's really
That's the
upsetting
problem.
that the Bloodthirster is terrified of that.
Absolutely
to be
terrifying.
frank, this one is good against every single unit.
Yep.
Whereas, like, Storm of Fire or Rock Glorious Rock, well, it just isn't.
No.
It just isn't the same for everything.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Moving on.
Moving on to Khorne's Wrath, number 9. Again, roll a d6 for each enemy unit and each friendly unit that contains one or more Demons of Slanesh or models with a mark of Slanesh. Don't roll for units in combat. On the roll of a 6, place the small round template centered directly over the center of the unit. This then scatters 3d6. Resolve damage as you would from a stone thrower shot, with the model under the centre of the template suffering a strength 9 hit with a marked wounds d6 special rule. All other models, wholly or partially under it, suffering a strength 3 hit.
So it's another one of those that I think people iconically remember being a horror show for them, but realistically,
It's just
isn't
not.
actually very good.
The scatter's pretty big, but if you
The
do
scatter's
scatter
averaging
huge.
10,
if you do roll that direct hit,
1/3 of the time.
It's not
After
even
rolling
so
a
much.
6.
It's not just the direct hit though. That's the thing. It's like you could roll the unit next to or 10 inches away from that greater demon or that character you want to kill, and it scatters onto him.
Yeah.
So you've got a couple of ways.
This is
of
probably the
getting
most
hit.
random one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
and
But terrifying if it hits.
Only got 4 outs
a
again,
model
though.
or something.
So we're back on short outs again.
Yeah. Terrifying if it hits like a monster or a lone character or something.
Or hits a
Really
tree man.
scary.
And I think it's
not
interesting because I think
no, you did kill a tree man once with it.
I did.
in pure terms, in the pure list terms, I think we probably all have. I think we all agree that we think Slanesh is probably the second after Nurgle, just slightly behind Nurgle. And Khorne's not far off of Slanesh as well, but I think they just
I think it
tip
probably
the
goes
scale.
Nurgle, Slanesh, Khorne, Tzeentch.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I
with,
think
with those sort of gaps in between. I think there's quite a gulf between Slanesh and Nurgle.
Oh,
I don't
absolutely.
think there's much of a gap
no, I
between
don't think
Slanesh
there's a
and
lot.
No.
I think it's just the spell casting, really.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting again that we think they're the second best, and they also only have 4 outs, the same as the Nurgle ones do. So there's still some disparity there, with the better factions getting a better kind of taste of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 10 then, Chaotic Surge. All models with the Demonic Instability special rule, friend and foe, gain a +1 bonus to their ward saves, which will normally mean you get a 4+ ward saves to your next roll for the Winter Magic.
Yep, so every model in your army now has a Talisman of Preservation.
Yeah, they do, baby.
And also, if you are playing a demon on demons, you can get yourself to a 3 ward save.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can.
Which I think I played your brother once, so we did get some 3 ward save the entire.
No one dies.
They just threw dice at each other that turn and was like, please don't make me take the instability test. Please don't make me take the instability test.
There's 3 ward save across everything. I think it's like Demons of Zinj versus Demons of Slanesh as well. So it's like
Nothing died.
Again, 3 outs for this one.
Yep.
So
this is the best result on this table in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is for you. Other than like Dark Prince first killing your opponent's general, it really matters.
Yeah.
But I think this one is the consistent big winner result.
Absolutely.
I don't find everyone rolls. Whenever you play Demons Chaos, they always roll a 10. And then they don't want to be sure that it's the 10.
Yeah.
Everyone goes, I think that's the plus on ward save.
I'm not sure. Is it? Is it?
And I always look at them like, that's the plus on ward save.
It
It's the plus on ward
It
save.
is the same number of outs as the minus one as well, which
yeah.
is good that
The table's
match.
got the mirror.
Yeah.
Yes.
So outside of the 4 god-specific ones, it
Messing
very
it up.
much
It's
mirrors
very much
itself
Yeah,
on the higher and lower end.
the 2 and 3 result and the 10, 11 and 12, the 10 and 11 result.
Yeah,
are
11, 12.
11 and 12, sorry.
Yeah.
They are like, they do mirror each other like quite nicely.
Which is quite nice.
Certainly the plus and minus one ward saves,
Yeah.
I think they're also the biggest results because they affect your whole army.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to roll for them.
And
you don't have to like roll the result and then roll another.
Yeah,
Something
it happens.
You
It's
know.
just you've got it.
And it happens, because it lasts the opponent's turn as well. Whereas when we were talking earlier about I'll take demonic instability tests
It's
as well.
it's a done.
Yeah,
like,
it does
roll in,
affect my
it's
whole
done.
army, but it's a roll and done, and it's bust and sorted. Where I think these have a much larger impact, and I
Absolutely.
agree with Max. This is the best result for
It
me.
is not
Yeah.
being the best roll for myself.
Moving on to 11, Demonic Possession. Randomly select one enemy wizard on the board who does not have the Demonic Instability special rule. If there are no enemy wizards on the board, you count it as a 7. The selected wizard must pass a leadership test or be removed as a casualty with no saves of any kind allowed. If the leadership test is failed, then before removing the wizard, place a Herald of Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, or Slanesh, your choice, anywhere within 6 of the slain model that is more than an inch from all units and impassable terrain. If you choose a Herald of Tzeentch, generate its spell immediately. This herald can act normally in the turn it is created. If you do not have a spare Herald of Chaos model, or if one cannot be placed on the board according to the aforementioned restrictions, the selected wizard is removed as a casualty, but no herald is placed. Possibly kills a wizard and gives you a free herald.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's not good.
Funny when you kill Teclis with it though.
Yeah.
When he rolls,
Look, I'd
he
have-
rolls more than a 10.
I
Yeah.
have a Herald of Tzeentch model for if this ever happened, because I think
Yeah,
for the spell.
Yeah, spell.
It's +1 to dispel. I'd do it in my army. I think maybe if I had like a
You also get-
Keeper of Secrets Slaanesh army, maybe I'd go with a Slaanesh Herald. Keep it themey because I think they're all quite.
But
good
if
at
you
that
go,
point.
if you go do go Herald of Tzeentch, you do get a choice between metal and Tzeentch.
Yeah, I think it's one where I'd have one of each in the case.
Possibly.
Maybe.
I'd take a
Depending on the
lot.
situation.
Maybe.
I'll have that lot.
Maybe.
But yeah, I agree. I just think it doesn't come up very often
No.
because it's only 2 outs.
I
When
don't
it does
think-
come up, they almost always pass.
I've
it.
I've
Yeah,
never
so.
seen a wizard get possessed by this.
Once.
I don't.
Was it
I've never
Tempest?
seen it either.
No,
That's a shame.
it was like an Empire Battle Wizard. I was using demons.
Was it a hero?
I think I was using the demons. Yeah, it was like leadership
Yeah.
7 dude, mate. He was out of range.
You're like, why?
He was out of range of the general,
And
and he was
like
out of
rolled
range
eight
of the
then,
BSB
yeah.
and rolled an 8. I'm like, it's 10 years or more since I've seen that happen. I think that was in a Games Workshop that's been closed for 8 years.
Look, I mean,
Yeah.
if you've got foresight, maybe you could cast Phantasmagoria on them the turn before, make them roll the
If
leadership
you
test
have
on
got
an extra dice.
you're like the luckiest person in
If
the
you've
world.
got foresight,
Yeah.
what, the gift of seeing the
Yes.
future. If you're Elrond,
Yeah, Elrond.
Yes.
what other fantasy elves
Yeah.
are available?
Not in this situation. If you're Elrond,
Or Sanguinius.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Curse, didn't he have it as well?
he did, yes, but
Yeah.
he went crazy because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to fantasy. 12, double 6, summoned from beyond. Place a new unit consisting of 2d6 plus 3 Bloodletters, Pink Horrors, Plague Bearers, or Demonettes, you choose. When placing the unit, it can be placed anywhere on the battlefield at least an inch away from all units, buildings, and impassable terrain. It can be placed in any legal formation, so long as the unit's front rank contains at least 5 models. If the summoned unit cannot be placed because there is not enough room or you do not have enough models, the unit does not enter play at all.
Again, I think I just have a unit of horrors in the back.
Can't have command options, can they?
No,
No.
so there's an asterisk on both Demonic Possession and Summon from Beyond. Although, hilariously, they've... it is on both. New units created by these results do not have any upgrades or award victory points, but are otherwise treated exactly as for other units of their type. So no command, no magic banners, nothing like that.
I think the problem with this is not just that it doesn't happen very often, but it's also realistically that the unit isn't big enough to have a huge impact.
Not
It
really.
might get you a cannon or a piece of artillery. Where I've seen this be good, and again, it's just random. It's just this is where we talk about like those like Warhammer. You kind of Warhammer toolkit of skills is spotting when something random happens that you can then go, oh,
Actually,
I can
really
latch
capitalise,
that.
yeah.
You know, I can latch onto that. I can capitalise and make something happen. And I think the where I think this one can have that effect most significantly is in mission play. Which is not rulebook stuff really, because rulebook missions, if you're playing them,
if you're playing got like some table court, you need to be in an area.
if you're playing standard rulebook missions though, it won't really happen unless you rolled it turn 1 and put them in the watchtower.
I was going to say, I'm assuming you can be summoned into a watchtower.
Potentially, if there's
Cannot?
I guess not. No, 1 inch away from all units, buildings. And
there you go. So no. So from mission play point of view, very unlikely to have any effect.
Yeah,
on the
unless
main
you
rulebook.
roll it on like your turn 5, move them into the watchtower on your
And
turn
the game
6.
hasn't ended because
Yeah.
it can end on turn 4.
Yeah,
in
4,
Watchtower.
yeah. Super. But where I've actually seen it used quite well is it was a mono Nurgle army, so I think we all know who used it. And they had models that were running around them from their opponent's army who they just couldn't catch because they didn't have any spells. So got the Summon from Beyond, summoned some Pink Horrors, gave them a magic missile, and just went, here we go,
Magic
now I
missile.
can catch you.
Yeah.
That I
That's
think
good.
is a really good use for them.
Yeah, and I think, like I say, when I've been to events in the past where it's like, get into table quarters, like Max says, for bonus VPs. I mean, events like Cardiff Crusade had get onto hills, get into opponents' deployment zones, things like that. I mean, it's ideal for that because you pop them in half inch from the enemy board edge. Do you know what I mean? So there is some mileage there, but in general, it's not going to come up like.
No.
Worth noting out as well, every hit and wound from this table is magical as well.
Yes, it is.
Because I think a lot of people, when this book came out, they said, "Oh, it's not magical, so don't get the."
I mean, it's in an asterisk.
Yeah, but you think that people are silly.
Yeah. Praise the Banner of the World Dragon. It's.
I mean, it makes sense. It's
It
magical.
does make sense.
It's the reign of.
It's in the
chaos,
magic
on your
phase.
wings of magic.
Everything in here is magical, isn't it? That's the point.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
But
stuff of magic.
That's the Reign of Chaos.
And that's it for special rules, isn't it?
It's
Oh god, we're
special.
done.
So the Reign of Chaos, it may not seem like much, but it can have a hell of an effect on your army.
I think it's a huge part of
It
it.
might not seem like as much when you first look at it.
Yeah.
When you actually put it into practice on a game,
Yeah.
I think if you just glance at it and go, oh, well, 7's average. Average means I'll get it most of the time, and nothing happens.
No.
No.
It's got the most outs, but cumulatively, you're much more likely to get something else.
You're 5 times more
Yeah.
likely
to
to
get something else than nothing.
I'll also, if you play Demons, you are guaranteed to have had a point in your time which this has messed up your battle plans.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in general, though, because of the nature of the chart being very few really hideous results for you,
Yeah.
and I think, again, because you see the results in that you can read that chart and go, well, you know, I'm not going to take much of this because I don't want to get hit
I'm not
by
going to take
a bad
much
result.
corn because I don't want a Dark Prince Death to hit me.
Guess who
Yeah.
just bought Corn Army?
You can do that if you want to, and I think because of that, and because in general the damagey ones on you and you can offset a lot of. In general, it's better than it is worse.
I feel like
Yeah.
this kind of stuff they did look and say, oh, we've got to try and hamper monogod list somewhat. But it hasn't.
Yeah, I think that's what they were trying to do, but
But it really
just
hasn't.
hasn't worked. No.
He just helped trap more than anything else in the army.
I think they just ended up again. It's cool idea stuff that in practice
Doesn't work.
No.
doesn't really have the. Well, I don't know what their desired effect was, but I think if their desired effect was what you guys are saying, then it doesn't really have that desired effect.
Does not.
So that's it. That is it for special rules.
Whew.
That took a long. That
was a chunk.
But it will define everything we do. In the next
It
sections.
defines the entire army book as a whole. These special rules,
really
they
does.
affect everything.
They do.
They do affect everything. But now we're going to begin our descent into madness. Here we
I
go.
don't know why I closed the book.
Don't know why I closed the book again. So we're going to begin our descent into madness with the specific unit ratings of the demons that we're going through today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now you get to see which one of us is in the middle chair.
It's going to be me. Not all the time, though.
No, it won't be all the time, will it? When you said it's going to be me, I'm like, it definitely is in the other middle,
all the
is it?
time.
Not all the time, no.
What am I writing?
Let's move on.
This time it's me. We're back, and we are going to move on to the Demons of Nurgle units. Before we do, though, just want to make clear that we did check the FAQ, and for demonic instability, a Demons unit leadership caps at 0. Just to make that very clear.
The big 0.
The big 0. Now, what would usually be the herald in the room for our deep dives is the generic characters, but not this time. Not this time, because due to the sort of the quite weird sort of mix, really, of no options but complete randomness that is a herald or any of the generic characters. Any of the generic characters. We very much can rate them because you don't really have much choice when it comes to their loadouts, which is the issue normally with generic characters.
It's like, well, if they roll a 2-up armor save, their rating would go up, so that's great,
Yes.
maybe. But if they don't, it doesn't.
Yeah.
In with demons, you got to take them as their base value and then hope you get something good.
That's
Yeah.
exactly it.
Yeah. And there are things you can do to mitigate that, I think, which we'll talk about when we get on to the gifts. But yeah, so the gist of it is we will be rating generic characters, so the heralds, the greater demons, and demon prince in our deep dive.
They maintain their value.
They do.
You know what I mean? They don't get devalued.
No. Whereas there
from where
are
they
very much
They
options.
might get better.
Yeah.
But they're never going to be worse than this number.
Yeah,
which is
whereas
great.
when it comes to other generic characters, there are definitely options that can make them worse.
Yes, a lot worse.
A lot worse.
Skycar.
Yes. So with that out of the way, let's divide those Nurgle army units into their respective categories and give them their competitive score. Now, you might see a couple of units in a couple of different categories if we feel like they can work in both. But we're going to start with Battle Line, and for the Demons of Nurgle, it is just Plague Bearers and Beasts of Nurgle.
Just 2.
And time for Max to open the book.
I get to
My
do,
voice just disappeared. Just 2. But it just sort of went.
I get to do my job.
Yeah, you do.
I'm not set the maths anymore.
No, James still hasn't had anything to do.
And almost certainly. Oh no, I'll have one, I suppose.
Yeah,
maybe,
you'll have
where
one.
I'll do something exciting.
If
I don't think anyone's going to let me have a book today.
No, we might give you the book when we have the next sort of demons deep dive. Maybe if you're good.
If you stop saying fundamentally, maybe.
Oh yeah, because that will be on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
start.
some- yeah.
So very
Yes,
fair
all
point.
of them.
Fundamentally, you'll be on every video.
No book for you. So, Plague Bearers then. First, coming in with a competitive rating of 16 out of 24. Very good. So we get there with a 2 for strength of attacks, 1 for number of attacks, 4 for special rules, 3 for command options, 3 for survivability, and 3 for cost. I mean, yeah, what is there to say, really? They're the toughest of the core demons.
By country mile.
Yes. Yeah, it takes a lot to sort of get through these guys. And I think it's very clear to see, it's not just their stats either. It's obviously the being a Demon of Nurgle, the -1 to hit is fantastic on every unit. Which is why they've got a 4 for their special rules.
Yeah,
and you'll see that a lot across the Nurgle units.
Yeah. That -1 is huge.
It's massive.
And on a unit
Really
that's only weapon skill 3, which isn't good.
No.
But you're only ever hitting them on 4s.
Yeah, unless
At
you've got
best.
a plus modifier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
plus
the
modifier.
best you can achieve.
Which aren't that common,
If you
really.
fail a fear check, it's
Yeah,
sixes.
we're not even talking about fear checks and everything like that.
Insanity.
It's
Yeah.
madness.
As we said a few minutes ago, this one is, much better than some of the other marks.
Yeah.
It's clearly stronger.
Yeah.
I think you've been really, really harsh on them in a way. 3 for cost. I might give them a 4. I think they're
Maybe.
disgusting for their points.
Maybe you could go for. They are what?
13 points a model.
Yeah, I think.
I'm going to be honest. I thought they were 11. So
No, 11 was the previous book.
okay, apologies.
11's the Demonettes. I think they look undercosted compared to the other demons, the other sort of core demons. But the issue is that they're
probably
overcosted.
over, yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, 3 is exploitability.
Yeah.
So
Sort of the right sort of points, but exploitable, and that all comes from one special character who is not Kugath.
no,
If only it was, because
the
he's cool.
infamous
Yeah,
Epidemus.
it is Epidemius.
So, also
and
you-
his tally, which we will obviously get onto later. Spoilers, he's going to score very high.
It's just ridiculous how he does it, and then obviously these guys all come with poison attacks as well.
They
You
do
can't-
with
you
their
can't
great
just-
swords.
You can't just chuck a monster in there because that monster will just get ripped apart.
Yeah, he will just die. Yeah.
Unless it has like an armor save. Or a
Even
blue.
then, they've got to pip off the armor with a strength 4 basic.
Well, you want a decent ward save then at that point.
Yeah, you're hoping for the ward save, and they've got buffs to their poison as well, which they can get.
From the
From the
locust, which
locust.
we'll talk about later. and
Yeah,
everything like that.
so good.
Bike
So
bearers
good.
are. You see these, most people see core as attacks, but these guys,
Not so much.
These guys are like your main damage dealers
They're,
in essence.
they're very
Yeah.
weirdly quite flexible, which you don't think so, because they're good in a big block, really good. But they kind of overall, they're really good locusts, are quite cheap compared to the others.
Yeah.
So they're actually quite good taking multiple smaller blocks, like mid-sized blocks,
Sort of
as well.
25s.
Yeah, 24s I like a lot for these. So again, you can't really go wrong, and this is
No.
going to be saying I say over and over and over again as we go through Nurgle stuff.
Fundamentally.
16 is 16 as well is an incredible score for a core unit.
Battleline
Yeah.
core.
I want
unit
you to
is-
think if you've watched too many of the other videos, how many actually core units score 16?
I think what Sport's going to say is I think only one unit in this entire deep dive has less than 16.
I don't.
Yeah.
I think yeah. I mean,
And that's a
that
special
is-
character.
and one of the
No,
characters,
there's 2.
Oh, two.
Yeah.
2
there's
get less
that
than
character.
16.
Yeah, there is that character.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's
there is a unit.
just
but
wild.
It is.
Be
It is
wild.
wild.
They also
Maybe
have the
I'm
magic
wild.
banner, don't they?
The
25 point.
25 point.
That's every unit as well. It's not one unit like
Yeah.
other armies that get access
Also,
to that in
people
core.
always say these guys are quite slow. Their average movement across the entire game, and then you have the option for plus or movement banner. For
Yeah.
movement 5.
Yeah.
Movement 4, which is actually not that slow.
Not really.
You know,
The same speed as Man of the Empire, Warrior
Empire,
Chaos,
a lot of Orcs and Goblin stuff,
Vampires, they're all there.
a chunk of
Yeah.
Vampire stuff, and they're quite a fast army
Yeah, then.
considered by most.
Mm.
So
Yeah, very, very good core unit.
Mm.
On to the next Battleline unit then, and the last Battleline unit, the Beasts of Nurgle, coming in with a competitive rating of 18 out of 24 in the Battleline.
we're already
roll.
into the 18 brackets.
Second unit.
Unit number 2.
Second unit.
We get there with another 2 for strength of attacks, 4 for number of attacks this time, again 4 for special rules, 0 for command options, 4 for survivability, and 4 for cost. They scored the magical 18 and scored a 0 in one of the categories.
It's
Just shows you how very, very good they are.
If you have not played against the Beast of Nurgle and been absolutely flabbergasted and just like utterly like
Yep.
marmaladed
Marmaladed.
by how just tough these guys are.
they are.
They're at least they 60 or 65?
60 points.
60.
Yeah, I think they're at least 20
65,
points too
please.
cheap. I've got to be
I
honest.
would-
I think
I-
I'd pay 80 points for them.
I think he's pushing like 20, 30 points too.
I think I'd pay 80 for these.
Yeah.
I also think we've been a little harsh on their score again, because 0 for command options, obviously they don't have any, but
Yeah.
actually they've got a special rule.
Yeah.
Attention Seeker.
Attention Seekers. Beasts and Nurgle can issue and accept challenges as if they were unit champions. That's all of them.
The issuing is the part for me that I think is particularly unpleasant. Because like there's lots of stuff like Hammerer, if he's got if he's got a character in the unit, a general in the unit, they can all accept. Ground Knights can all accept. It's the fact that he kind of he's got all of the options as well. He can go, actually no, I do want to kind of lock that character that's really dangerous.
That giant dragon or Great Demon.
Oh, that Vampire Lord with Red Fury and the other Trickster Shard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that Vampire's not going to get through.
It's going to be tough, I'll be honest, for that Vampire. He's still got 4 up regen.
Well, I mean, there's lots of ways that you can get around that. Though.
Yeah, there is.
That's
but at the base level, that's half of
the point I'm making is that something like that. Say you've got Plague Bearers in there as well and things like that.
Something that is going to go into a unit and actually really damage it. Something that
can cause them a problem. And like you've alluded to, there isn't a lot when you're toughness 5 with 4 wounds and a regen and a ward save. Ridiculous. You know, something that can very often can then be caught with the challenge trap.
Yeah.
So I think you could have argued to say, well, they actually have a 1 because they kind of do have some command options.
If and they don't pay the 10 points.
And they don't pay for it. No.
I think it's just ridiculous.
They're so good. They are the goodest of boys.
They are the goodest. People don't actually make use of the challenging aspect of these guys.
A lot they don't.
And I think that tells you something. It tells you that
still a fantastic
that entire tactic goes out the window because it's usually used to prevent something really chonky taking a big slice out of your unit. But nothing takes a big slice out of these anyway. So people don't need to use it.
That beast is issuing a challenge.
I've said this to Matt Pass, who's a two-time Triple Crown winner, GT winner. 2-time GT winner at Triple Crown. He's won a lot of other events, and I've said to him, I actually watch him use Nurgle, and he uses them fantastically. I watch him use vampires or Dark Elves, and he uses them even better. And I'm like, you actually play at a lower level when you use this army than I've seen you play at, and that's because he doesn't, like the army's so strong, you don't need to think about every one of those little extra tactics that pushes you over the edge because, I don't need it because I've got 15 Beasts of Nurgle, whatever it takes. They're horrible, Matt. Stop it.
Also, just the amount of attacks they pump out.
Yeah,
D6 plus 1 attacks.
Per model.
Per beast.
So you roll D6.
And a stomp.
Yeah, and a stomp. They're only strength 4, which is probably a bit of a letdown.
To start with.
But yeah, then you have Epi, who then just buffs these guys to the stratosphere.
And you start thinking, as soon as you get 7 kills with Epi, I know we'll cover him later, but the +1 strength, they go up a point of rating.
They do.
They also come with poison attacks, naturally.
Yeah.
You can't even chuck a monster is in danger.
Omni threat.
And you can't even flank or rear them.
Nope.
Because
they got Slime Trail. Enemy units do not receive combat result bonuses for attacking the flank or rear of models with this special rule.
Yeah.
Great.
So good.
Really great.
How do you deal with them? You have to just
Well, they're very hard. You
have to grind them down, but these guys are the grind masters.
Flaming attacks is really important.
Flaming attacks.
But then they still have to 5 awards.
They do.
The only
getting rid of them early. That is the key.
Without the tally, the strength 4 does curtail their real
like heavily armoured unit like knights or something.
Armoured with flaming attacks are a real problem for them.
But then the amount of attacks they pump out, you do just throw enough at it, it will fall.
A lot of the
but
time,
the strength 4 does reduce the wound potential. This is where it comes back to, and we'll talk about him later.
We're going to talk about
it. All comes back to him.
We're talking about beasts a lot in this deep dive.
Yeah, well, beasts are really strong. They're also monstrous beasts as well, which people forget.
Swift stride,
which means they have swift stride, and movement 6. So
they're not even slow.
No,
they're not
slow at all.
They're 60 points of just take as many units as you can.
They're 60 points of filth.
Yeah.
But moving on, that is it for the Battleline units for Nurgle. Not many, but both very, very good. And we are going to continue navigating the Garden of Nurgle as we move on to our flankers. So we have, again, Beasts of Nurgle, but specifically in units of 1. Because you can take them in units of 1.
If you want to.
In flanking?
Flanking, sorry. I thought we were on to chaff.
No, we ain't there yet.
Beasts of Nurgle, probably don't take them in units of 1. Plague Drones of Nurgle and Soul Grinders of Nurgle with the Demon Bone Claw.
If you want to splash the points on it. Snip.
So, Beasts, we're going to return to here straight away with a competitive rating of 20 this time out of 24.
Only gets better!
They just get better. So, obviously, all of the categories from the previous, from Battleline are the same. 2 for strength of attacks, 4 for number of attacks, 4 for special rules, 4 for survivability, and 4 for cost. And this time they score a 2 for manoeuvrability. Yeah.
Everything.
Pluses and minuses exactly the same as before. They don't really have any minuses other than their strength 4, which gets better when you've killed some models.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
They're better in this role, and it's right that their score is more.
Yes.
Because actually they are better in this role, because Battleline Units are block-to-block action, if you like. These are your sort of front up and fight an enemy block that's got lots of baked-in combat res, and this is something beasts don't have. I am digging here to find weaknesses.
They don't have, but yeah, skill score an 18.
They don't have a lot of sort of baked-in combat.
Yeah.
No,
You're
they're
not going to see
probably not gonna
ranks.
have loads
They
of
don't
ranks.
have banners and
No.
musicians to win the ties and stuff. But which is why they are ideal in the flanking role. But they're good at everything.
Yeah.
Just good
Yeah,
at all the
they
things
are.
we just said again, but in the flank.
Yeah, and as you said about the slime trail, they aren't worried about being countercharged
Countered.
when they're in the flank
Nope.
because they've got their slime trail. They don't get the combat result
The enemies
bonuses
don't
for
get
that.
the bonuses
No.
for it.
So good.
And again,
So good.
they
So
don't
good.
really lose
They're
out
good.
on a ton of attacks. Particularly if they get reared,
No.
they don't lose out on any. If they get flanked, they'll lose out only insofar as kind
The
of
model itself.
the first round, realistically. If they turn around, and if they're in the flank of something else,
Yeah.
in this scenario,
You're
they're
actually probably
still
getting
gonna
more
win
attacks.
the combat anyway.
And
Yeah.
if you do lose combat, you still got to rely on demonic instability. You might get some
Yeah.
base back.
Yeah.
And 4 wounds each as well.
4
so
wounds
you look
each.
at you go, and they lose combat by a lot, and you probably don't lose more than a beast. And
I think
you know.
most of you see beasts now got beaten by like maybe two or three. They fail the test by like say 1. You're not even losing a beast at that point.
No.
Unless that beast is on like say a wound, you are not.
You've got to, generally you have to lose combat by a lot to really be worried about the unit of beasts.
It's like so you have to worry so much. You're on a doubles like a 0 if you demonic instability.
Yeah.
And then you are just taking wounds whatever you roll by. It's,
Yeah.
it's hard enough to
It's
get
hard to beat beasts by 7.
by that.
at
Yeah, it's
least.
hard to get them down to. And you don't even take the fact like generals inspiring presence and everything like that.
BSB rerolls. They're very good. Take some beasts.
yeah.
Moving on to Plague Drones this time, coming in with a competitive rating of 21 out of 24. A little bit better. We're still climbing. We're still climbing.
This pain
And
train has no brakes.
it has no brakes. And that is with a 3 for strength of attacks, 4 for number of attacks, 4 for special rules, 3 for maneuverability, 4 for survivability, and 3 for cost. I mean,
What's not what?
yeah.
Why?
they fly. They do have hover, so they can't march, but they are still very quick and they can still charge over things, which is crucial. Skirmish because they fly, so harder to shoot back. Strength 5 off of the actual fly itself,
Again,
which is huge.
yeah.
Poison attacks off the rider. You can give poison attacks to the flies.
And I probably
I would.
I don't know why you wouldn't.
No, toughness 5 on the flies as well.
3 wounds apiece.
3 wounds, they're monstrous.
They
Cavalry,
start
swift
with the
stride.
higher strength, and that's something I think that really makes these guys, and why I really like them in the Nurgle army, because they're
Yeah.
one of the only things that kind of comes up above the strength 4 at base.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beyond say like your characters and everything like
And
that.
the soul grinder.
And assault grinders,
Yeah.
yeah.
And your monsters. But no, very, very good. I like these guys a lot.
Yeah, I mean, even some of the other upgrades are okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother with the Death's Head.
No, the Death's
sort
Head.
of shooting attack.
I'll
is
just go
rubbish.
through them quickly so we know what they do. So Death's Heads are a ranged attack. It's range 12, strength 4, poison attacks, multiple wounds D3.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
You're
are.
only ballistic
Yeah,
skill
Bristol
3.
3, so
Yeah.
not
Probably going to be
a lot.
hitting on 5s at
And-
best.
And then they also have a Venom Sting, so before rolling to hit, nominate one of the Rot Fly's attacks we made with a Venom Sting, and roll it separately. If it hits, it wounds automatically.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Super poison.
Super.
Yeah. And you can only have one, either Plague Proboscis or Venom Sting.
Yeah,
But you can have one of them and the Death's Head if you want.
I think the proboscis is the way to go.
I
for
definitely
just the
think it's
poison,
the
the mass
proboscis.
poison
The,
attacks.
the proboscis is also cheaper. It's
It
half
is
the
cheaper,
points.
5 points.
Yeah, 100%,
Yeah.
and no question.
Yeah.
Still stomp. Can't
Yep.
break ranks because they are skirmish.
No, they are
But
skirmishes
are
instead.
steadfast in a wood. But I think something Scott said that should be reaffirmed, if you like, is they are the skirmish is generally a benefit to them
Yeah.
because they are harder to hit with shooting.
They
and
are.
actually Nurgle, that's probably where they're most likely to suffer the damage.
Yeah.
That gives them they want to get in with as much of their kind of unit strength as possible, so they can really outgrind you. So the risk of losing it to shooting on the way in is probably an area that they're not weak, but it's an area that they are more concerned about,
Yeah.
shall we say?
Yeah, definitely.
It's just one of the Rothfly is the thing that does the most damage in this unit.
Oh yeah, as
Yeah.
with basically all monstrous cavalry,
Yeah.
it's the mount.
Yeah, it's the man that does it.
Banner allowance on these guys?
25.
Another 25-point magic banner.
It's not the
so-
big 50, unfortunately.
No.
No, but they're another great candidate for Gleaming Pennant.
Yeah, because they're probably going to get away from your
I
BSB.
think a lot of people
Yeah.
are fans of Banner of Eternal Flame on them. Or
Yeah, very good on
I
the
like that because
on the
although
fly.
although you won't benefit from it on the rider because he has a magic weapon, he comes with a plague sword. You do benefit from it on the 3 attacks from the fly.
Actually,
which is
something
very
that's
good.
missed a lot by Demons players, and Warriors of Chaos players. I see this within sorcerer weapons a lot. If you've got a magic weapon, the Banner of Eternal Flame does not confer flaming attacks to that magic weapon.
No.
It's in the flaming attacks section in the rulebook.
main rulebook. Yeah.
So you need to remember that, but it does apply to the flies
rock flies
underneath,
attacks,
which is
yeah.
great.
which is the thing that does the most damage.
Which is
So.
the thing that
Yeah.
does the most damage. Like I say, I also think another great candidate for Leechbone Pennant, Magic Resistance
magic
1.
res. Yeah.
4 ward save, 3 ward save if you roll well on the
Potentially.
Reign of Chaos.
Yeah. Really good.
Yeah, and it's cheap as well.
Yeah, very
It's
cheap.
nice.
They do come in your rare slot, so you are competing with some other bits and pieces if you're not
Yeah,
going
but
mono
that's
god.
the thing. Mono Nurgle, they don't really compete with anything.
Yeah, you're not competing. Like Soul,
Well, they compete with the next one.
They do.
Yeah.
They do compete with the next one, but for me, I don't see the need for these guys in the Nurgle army.
I think they have less synergy.
Yeah, I
than
think Nurgle,
other-
like Demon of Nurgle on them, he's very good. And we're talking about the Soul Grinder.
Hmm.
I think being a Demon of Nurgle is good for the Soul Grinder, but I just don't see their place in a Nurgle army. For me.
I think actually I've said before I've said in other ones of these videos that you guys will have seen, but I think they're an overlooked monster by many players.
Yeah.
I actually think part of that is the model we've talked about before
Yeah.
and other things, but they're really overlooked. They're actually really good as a monster. They're quite tough. They do quite a lot of damage. They're also strength 6 base, which is ace.
Should we talk about the Soul Grinder if we're going to go into the
Yeah,
Soul
well,
Grinder?
we're sort of segueing in, but I think Scott's right. I think the army's weakness for Nurgle is, if you like, is manoeuvrability. That's going to be one of the weaker areas because they're generally quite big blocks, and so you're competing against one of the much more manoeuvrable units for points, which is
Yeah.
the flies.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing to consider. And like you say, if you don't feel like you need him because you can get high strength other ways, and because you've got poison,
And because stuff is so tough anyway.
yeah, and
with
that's
it,
exactly
save
it.
with it, yeah.
You know, then he's one that you can leave out. But as we're about to see, maybe he's worth considering.
Maybe. So, as we've basically spoken about everything about the Soul Grinder, I will give you his score. He does come in with a 19 out of 24, so still very, very,
Very
good.
good.
And he's got a 4 for strength attacks, 4 for number of attacks, 4 for special rules, 1 for manoeuvrability, back up to 4 for survivability, and a 2 for cost. And that too is just because we think he doesn't really get much out of Epidemus' tally. He's already really strong, he's already really tough. Killing blow's okay.
Killing
but
Blow's
he's got a lot of
alright.
attacks.
It's mainly the reroll ward saves.
It's mainly the rerollable ward saves.
I think the big thing when we talk about 3 points is it's the right points, but it's really exploitable. And I think, like you say, it's not just that he doesn't get a lot; it's that he doesn't there's not an exploit there. You're not
It
going.
doesn't make him significantly
Oh, you know,
better
like
than-
he,
yeah.
you know, because I can do this really cool thing, it makes him super, super sick. It's not like, you know, taking a core block you have to take
Yeah.
and making it really hard to kill and really killy all of
Yeah.
a sudden. Whereas, you know, this guy's already, like you say, got a lot of that in the tank, so he just
Yeah.
doesn't
He
feel
does.
the exploitation of the tally.
Yeah.
Does have some cool rules for the Soul Grinder though, so we will go over those.
Yeah,
Again.
go through his rules.
So
Again, if you've seen the previous...
One of the other videos,
one of the
yeah.
other Demons deep dives is going to be similar, but we'll go through them anyway. So he has Demonic Large Target and Terror. Terror is always nice.
Yep.
And Movement 8 as well with Terror. That's quite
He's
terrifying.
He's very quick,
Yeah.
actually, for this army, so he does have that.
He gets caught by the Iron Claw, not caught in the Iron Claw. Immediately before the Soul Grinder makes his attacks, nominate one model in base contact with Soul Grinder. That model must pass an initiative test. If the test is passed, nothing happens. If the test is failed, all other attacks the Soul Grinder makes against that model this turn hits automatically. And then we did go with a Demon Bone Claw on this one.
We did.
Which is a special upgrade for him, and if you have this upgrade, you may exchange all of its attacks for a single special attack. This is declared after the Caught by the Iron Claw rule is resolved.
Crucial.
The attack is resolved at strength 10 and has the multiple wounds D6 special rule.
Very good. Yeah, very good.
So he's really good at killing monsters, which again is another reason why he maybe doesn't have the most obvious appeal in an army that's very poison heavy.
Yeah.
And they don't struggle. I mean, you'll have seen battle reports on the channel. They don't struggle to even kill the hardest of monsters. Things like frost darts will easily go down to the volume.
Yeah, because your minus strength, nothing against poison.
Yeah, it's just the volume, isn't it? And again, but the sort of the caught in the Iron Claw. Is he caught by the Iron Claw?
Caught by the Iron Claw.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I was thinking. The caught, the caught by the Iron Claw. That obviously it doesn't affect blocks. It's a bit like the Feast for Bones.
Do you mean the Demon Bone Claw? The one that does the strength 10 DC?
No, I mean the one.
The actual caught by the Iron Claw.
The corpse
the actual
picks a model.
Yeah.
And then all attacks on that model hit automatically.
I mean, you could declare against a champion.
You could, and then you could kill the champion 4 times over, but you're not going to get the overspill. You know what I mean? Like you.
Well, you could declare it against the champion. He fails his initiative test, and you put 1 attack against him, just kill the champion.
Oh, I suppose, yeah.
You don't have to put all your attacks on it.
So you could make 1 attack automatically hit like that.
And absolutely devastating.
Just ruining your champions though.
Chop up the regiment, but in general that's more for a kind of single target type.
I think the main.
And that's where the synergy with the Bone Claw you guys talked about.
Or a character, good in a character as well.
Very good in a character.
Yeah.
Other rules he has: he can move and still shoot any one of his weapons. Naturally, he comes with 1 shooting weapon, which is the Harvester Cannon. Which allows the Soul Grinder to fire grape shots, as described in the Warhammer rulebook. If you roll a misfire, the Soul Grinder suffers a wound with no saves of any kind allowed.
Yeah.
Don't fire this grape shot.
No.
I mean, if you got the options there,
He's BS3, mate.
he's just skill free.
Yeah, he's just never going to hit anything.
He's never going to hit.
I mean, the chance of you taking a wound is probably greater than the chance of you actually hitting anything. Or killing anything.
It's all super random, and you can't march and do that. Why are you not moving 16? You're you're a scary monster.
The cherry on the cake is he has a natural save of 4+. It's
actually very tough.
It's actually not even scaly skin. It's natural
armor,
armor.
the classic. So when we talk about one of the other options, there's going to be some spicy meatball in there.
Yes, natural armor
to come.
So he's again toughness 7, 4 up armor save, 5 up ward save.
Yeah, he is very tough, and he's very good, especially with the Demon of Nurgle upgrade, giving that -1 to hit in combat. For me though, he just doesn't have a place above the flyers in a mono Nurgle list.
No, weapon skill 3 is not good.
No.
For a monster this caliber.
4 attacks as well. He's relying on Thunderstomp a lot of the time.
Yeah. And I think in a mixed list though, I don't mind a Nurgle Soul Grinder. But again, I think he's got to have a role, because why are you not just taking flyers?
Yeah, that's all fair.
I think he's better with other gods.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's very fair. But we are going to move on to our next battlefield role, and we're going to talk about the Soul Grinder a lot in this one, because this is ranged units. So this is back to the Soul Grinder, but with one of its 3 sort of gun
shooting attacks,
upgrades. So that's either the Baleful Torrent, the Phlegm Bombardment, or Warp Gaze. So if you've seen the one of the other
my convoluted way of how to do this scoring
one of the other Demons Deep Dive videos, you'll know that Max has really sort of torn this apart.
Do you want me to play this?
Convoluted, James laughs. That's the pattern in every one of these deep dives.
Do you want me to say, or
I can get through this absolute horror show of a cheat sheet.
I'm glad you're admitting finally what you've done.
I mean, I find it easier than having to write out 3 times
No, you don't
over.
find it easier. You find it quicker. Come on now,
quicker.
be fair.
Yeah, quicker. I mean, quicker is easier.
So we have this. Be prepared. This will get confusing. We have the Soul Grinder with the first score is going to be with the Baleful Torrent, then it will be the Phlegm Bombardment, then it will be Warp Gaze.
It's not that hard.
Quite hard. So they come out with a 14, an 18, and a 14 out of 24, respectively. So that's 14 for Baleful Torrent, 18 for Phlegm Bombardment, and 14 again for Warp Gaze.
What have I done?
So we get there with scores of 3, 4, and then 3 for threat range, 2, 4, and 3 for strength of shot, 3, 2, 1 for accuracy, 1, 3, 2 for versatility, 4 for survivability on all of them, and a 1 for cost on all of them. They're so expensive, do not take them.
Yes.
So it wasn't so hard, was it?
Yes.
Someone is pausing this and writing these numbers down.
Quick, get it
down! Yeah.
For Scott at the end to literally say, don't take these.
Just don't take them. Any of them.
Moving on.
In other gods, maybe.
Oh, I think you're pushing it like an
Yeah,
organ with this
maybe.
shit.
There are, in my opinion, there is argument for the Phlegm Bombardment. I quite
So that's
like.
the stone thrower.
That's the
isn't it?
stone
Yeah,
thrower.
we should say the Baleful Torrent is a fire thrower. The Phlegm Bombardment is a stone thrower, and Warp Gaze is a bolt thrower.
So if we familiarise the first one, the Torrent is
The
obviously
Baleful Torrent.
teardrop template, strength 5, flaming attack.
Yep.
Shoots like a cannon. If it misfires, he takes a wound.
Takes a wound.
Yeah.
No saves.
Save. The second one is a classic stone thrower, so
Mhm.
scatter artillery dice. If you misfire, he
You
takes
take a wound.
Strength 3, Strength 9 for that stone.
Yeah, it's a standard
Yeah,
stone
standard
thrower.
classic
Yeah,
stone
which is good
It's
actually,
good,
probably
and
the best of the lot.
yeah, it is definitely the best
And
of the lot because
actually-
it doesn't rely on his
actually-
ballistic skill.
This is not terrible for building the tally
No, it's
with
not.
the bombardment.
True.
Because he moves 8, shoots the stone thrower, and if he decks a load of this is where you shoot it at like clown rats.
Yeah,
Slaves,
Spear elves.
spear elves,
Yeah,
rubbish
if you,
stuff.
If you hit it, you
kill
hit
a lot
like sort
stuff.
of 20 models at a time, 20, 24 models.
You are going to
You
build it
can
up.
Build the tally
Yeah.
quick. So
Yeah.
there's we might have just found the niche for him.
The very, very niche.
I find
I still think he's way too
if
many
you're
models.
if you're not taking the Skull Cannon, which we've spoken about in a previous video, another video, this is the only option you have for long range monster killing.
Yeah, I just
Beyond
don't think you
magic.
need it
Yeah, I
with
just don't
Nurgle
think
because
you
you've got
need
the
it.
poison.
No, not with Nurgle, not so much, but it's say other demon factions.
Other demon factions
Yeah.
available, yeah.
That's what I think. Maybe in other demons, but for Nurgle, no. Other than the as you say, the niche of building the tally quickly.
Yeah.
I hate
The bolt thrower is terrible.
I hate this.
Yeah.
The Warp Gaze Bolt Thrower. It's the most expensive of the lot. It's
It's the worst.
awful.
It's the most expensive and it is the worst.
Can we just talk about hay fever? I'm really sorry. I'm sitting here and everyone's watching me just rub my face.
That's not Hafer. That's Nurgle's Rot, baby.
It's
Maybe it
Nurgle's
is
right.
Nurgle's right. I don't want to touch my eyes because if it does, it's just going to go off.
We're getting pustules by the morning.
Um,
Baleful Torrent, not terrible.
Strength 5.
Tally options again.
Yeah, not
But-
bad for the tally.
Again, it's not
but
bad.
less reliable
It's not
than
bad
the
range
Phlegm
for that.
Bombardment.
The Baleful Torrent. It's just move 8, place a template down within 12 inches, then roll the artillery
Artillery.
dice. You still have some range for it.
Yeah, you
Oh,
do.
yeah.
You've got
Yeah.
potentially what,
And
38?
you have the movement to get in this position in which you can go down the flank of range.
He's got a very big base.
He has
Does help.
he has
He's
the Arachnarok size.
sideways on an Arachnarok base.
He's the Arachnarok, not Terrorgeist
Not
base.
Terrorgeist base. The
The Arachnarok base.
So he came out first.
Yeah, I mean,
Give him his due.
overall though, I think there's a lot of risk to it for me.
Yeah.
But like you say, the tally, and it's just the points. He's like 300 plus points.
He's
Yeah.
305 points. You have to take a demon of something. So if you take a
Are
demon,
they all 5 points?
apart from Zinch.
That's absolutely
Celestia's
insanity.
free as well, isn't it?
Celestia's free, so
Oh
yeah.
yeah, Celestia's free.
So yeah, so he's 305 points with the cheaper options for
That's
shooting.
5 beasts of Nurgle.
And 5 points.
And 5 points.
That's just because they are so undercosted.
Yeah,
That's-
they are,
yeah, but-
they are hideously
But
you
you're
are
playing
right.
them at that cost.
You are right.
Why would you take
You
one
are right.
yeah.
instead of 5 beasts of Nurgle?
Yeah.
Well, I think this is the argument, isn't it? Is it also gives a target for enemy artillery, and we'll
Mhm.
talk about the greater demons for Nurgle later. But if you don't take one, which you'll have seen on the channel, Scott doesn't very often.
I don't know.
I've only seen one person take one.
the cannon. The cannon suddenly has a real viable target with the Soul Grinder, which he maybe doesn't have otherwise. So
Yes. And maybe you say, oh well, I've already taken 3 units of beast, I can't take any more. That is a unit of 4 flyers, very well upgraded.
Yeah.
For 300 points.
Absolutely.
Very well upgraded.
Shall we
yeah.
crack?
Should we move on?
Yeah.
On to Nurgle's Chaff then, and we have 3 in here, and we are back to Beast of Nurgle, and this one is where you take a unit of 1 Beast of Nurgle. Nurglings, also in Chaff, and Chaos Furies with the Demons of Nurgle upgrade, obviously. So we're going to start with the Lone Beast of Nurgle, and he comes in with a competitive rating of 21 out of 24.
Highest score.
That is his highest of the 3. I mean, they're very
Ridiculous.
good in that role, to be fair. Very good. They score a 2 for manoeuvrability, 4 for number of attacks, 4 for special rules, 3 for slot, 4 for survivability, and 4 for cost. This is the last appearance of Nurgle's goodest of boys.
The tentacled plague dogs.
Thank you. Brilliant. Yeah, and essentially, look, don't... I mean, you could. They are only 60 points. But I would use these more for sort of killing characters and sort of lone targets. I think these are quite good for. Yeah, if they can get there.
Yeah.
I think the
They're not the
characters lone
quickest.
targets, killing enemy chaff. I think where
They're
Nurgle
great at killing enemies.
where Nurgle fall really short for me is their anti-chaff game
Yeah.
is really weak. That's
Yeah.
the army's weakness. They don't do well at kind of killing enemy chaff blocks.
Unless you get lucky on the Reign of Chaos.
Because they don't
you've
have
got to get
like
lucky.
magic missiles particularly. They don't have like shooting attacks, which are the obvious options. The beasts do that well. I think I know he gets a great score here, but I do think it's a mistake to run these because the big cut is not how good he is at this job. It's that there are other units that are almost as good at this job.
Yeah.
And what you've sacrificed is the
big unit,
the slot. Exactly, because you can only have 3 units.
Yeah.
So if you go like 1 or 2 like this, you've only now got 1 block. Now, alright, if you're going to do one massive block like 8 or something,
It
which
probably doesn't matter.
I've seen someone do.
Yeah.
I think you missed the teen at the end of that word.
You know, I've seen people take a big block of like 8, but obviously you're playing tons of comp if you're playing in a comped environment like ours.
Yeah.
And some events just straight banned units over certain sizes and things like that.
I've never played it.
You know what? I've played at events where they're like, you can't take units bigger than 750 points.
Oh, just
Well,
using general.
a unit of 8 beasts wouldn't quite hit that.
Yeah, and
Dizzying
things like
heights.
that.
I thought you meant specifically large units of beasts and no. You can't say
No. I've played at events where beasts are capped, like for the army as well.
Ah.
It's like you can't take more than 6 or 8 in the entire force and stuff like that. Well, they're absolutely sick, mate.
They are.
But obviously, you know, from our point of view, a lot of people are using Triple Crown GT comp at the time of writing this. It might obviously change in the future, but at the time of sort of filming this, they are, and you would pay a lot of comp.
Yeah, I will say though, I personally like running 2 units of 4 beasts.
Yeah, I think
So I do still have a slot available.
You could do.
So
that
I could, you know, chuck a beast in there.
Yeah,
But I do also like both of the other chaff choices.
Yeah,
And
and you'd pay a comp for that beast block as well.
Yes.
That extra lone beast
Yeah.
where you don't pay comp for the other chaps.
No. In fact, one of them you get back.
Get some.
The fact that you have the option to do it this way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really good. Just have it in the back pocket.
Oh,
if you
they're
need to.
absolutely amazing, mate. There's nothing they're bad at.
No, not really.
No,
One of the best units in the game.
Oh yeah.
And again, you get the first level of tally up, they go up another point as well.
Yeah. Not in this one. They don't get anything.
No, I don't
straight
get
from
anything
attack.
strict for text. Apologies. Yeah.
But moving on to the second unit, and probably my favourite of the 3, I would say.
Yeah, you do like them.
I do, and that is Nurglings, coming in with a competitive rating of 18 out of 24. Very, very good.
high, but
So, we get there again with 2 for manoeuvrability, 4 for number of attacks, 4 for special rules, 3 for slot, 2 for survivability this time, and 3 for cost. But yeah, I'm a big fan of these.
You
They
do
scout,
like them.
they skirmish, they've got lots of attacks between them. They're still quite hard to actually wound back.
4 wounds a base.
Yeah, they've
Stick
got 4
around.
wounds, they've got the -1 to hit from being
5
Nurgle,
ward
they've
save.
got the 5 ward save, obviously being a demon.
They're not going to run away.
They're not going to run away. They're still actually good leadership because all demons, bar furies, all sort of demon units are leadership 7.
Yep.
Whereas sometimes you find that actually cheap chaff can have a little bit less leadership.
Well, 7's weak in most armies because that's a panic check they might fail.
But they don't
But
take
they
panic
don't take
checks.
panic checks.
So they
and,
don't care.
and they've got so like a squad of 3's got 12 wounds.
Yeah.
So you know, even taking the test, we're back to what we were talking about earlier. You know, it's very
You're
hard
actually not that well.
to see the entire unit flumped
Yeah.
in one failed test. It's probably going to be 2 if they're really losing.
Yeah.
You know.
I think the main gripe that you have them sometimes is that they don't have poison.
Yes, they don't have poison, which a lot of Nurgle does,
Oh no.
which is a shame. But honestly, I think these are really, really good for building the tally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
against the right opponents, I think they are.
Zombies.
If you are against the right opponents, they're
Yeah,
really
like
good.
Skaven, Undead, Empire, they can really kind of
Yeah.
put shifting against those low toughness, low kind of weapon skill armoured
Yeah.
factions.
Even Elf Core, if it's not a Witch
Yeah,
Elf,
it can be. Yeah,
if it's not...
Oh,
I don't know. I think if they charge up front something like spears, there's
Yeah,
a
but
lot
you
of
don't.
attacks.
You got the-
You don't.
you've got the
You should.
scout.
because you scout and you skirmish. Alright, they are quite slow. They do
Yeah,
only 4.
they are slow,
Yeah, you don't charge them in the front.
but then
You
you,
charge them in the
possibly
flank.
don't charge them because they turn, don't they? Potentially.
Then that's fine. They've turned their side to the rest of your army. Maybe your unit of flyers who then gets to charge into
To be
them.
fair, mate, they're going to die if they find anything else in your army. I'd turn them.
try and get some points.
I feel like, look, honestly, I'll turn them and try and fight those Nurglings, mate. I'm good. That I do think you can find difficulties with getting them out of arc. They are a bit slow, Nurglings.
They are.
They do
but
have-
the scout massively helps them
Yeah.
in this role.
They are
in
wide.
picking stuff off.
They're wide base boys as well. They do have, because of skirmish,
40s,
40
yeah.
mil base and skirmish. They have got quite a large footprint.
Yeah, I
They do.
think, you know, the classic chaff of killing war machines or or blocking stuff off. This
Yeah.
is where these
Unless
guys excel.
unless you have something that is going to block off that scout move, the war machines are pretty scared of these guys.
Yeah.
They're terrified.
And even if you have that, you can use them to block off units to stop particularly your plague bearers. That's probably where they're in their most danger, is getting caught on a big
enveloped.
gang up enveloped type combat. So they're really great. They're ace. Don't know why you wouldn't.
Yeah,
wouldn't
big
look
fan
at
of them.
They
Big fan of
come
them.
in
In
star
units
collecting
of,
boxes as well.
big fan of them in units of 3. I think 2, you just don't get enough of them.
No.
You don't get enough wounds.
Which is the min size of the
Which is
units.
the minimum size. I really like them in units of 3.
3 is the sweet spot for
Yeah.
manoeuvrability and size and wound
Yeah.
count, I think.
Absolutely. So we're going to move on to the last Chaff unit that we have, and that is Chaos Furies with the Demon of Nurgle upgrade. And they come in with an ever so slightly lower competitive rating of 17 out of 24. Still very good.
Nothing's low.
No,
Nothing
no,
is low
it's
here.
Nurgle, it's good.
It's the fundamentals
What
of
can I say?
always being hard to hit.
Fundamentals.
Yeah.
And always having a good ward save.
Yeah.
Is that your
No.
way of getting around for saying fundamentally? So you
No,
said
but these are
fundamental.
they're immutable facts that make
We
things.
call it.
They're immutable facts that make things good, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, having a gold standard special rule in ward save, -1 to hit, gold standard special rule.
Yeah.
That's what they are. They have absolutely huge impacts across. And then when you combine with the power of the special character, it means you can always get a good cost score on
Yeah.
95% of what we're talking about. They're always going to have a good
They're
number,
always
aren't
going to
they?
be up there.
Yeah.
They are. So we get to that 17 for Furies with a 4 for manoeuvrability, thanks to that fly. Just a 1 for number of attacks, 4 for special rules, 3 for slot, 2 for survivability, and a 3 again for cost. Yeah, I mean it's all about the fly for these Furies. Makes them fantastic chaff, fantastic at hunting war machines. Because alright, they're only toughness 3, but they've got the 5 at ward save. And they've got the -1 to be hit, so actually a war machine crew won't kill them.
Probably won't. No.
Likely.
And they are strength 4
They
based.
might not
they
kill
are
the war
strength four
machine
based.
crew, but they're
That
not
doesn't
gonna die.
matter because you stop it from shooting next turn.
That's
So
it,
it
that's
doesn't
all
matter.
you did it for.
Yeah, and those war machine wounds, they help you build up that talent.
They do help build a tally. It's just everything built. It's like everything is. We started getting around to the fact that everything is revolving around Epi.
100%.
We haven't even got to him,
100%.
and we are talking about how everything builds his tally.
It really does.
Well, realistically, the army has strength 4 pretty much across the board without him.
Yeah.
And he's very tough and very hard to deal with, but without him,
It struggles to kill.
it struggles to really crush its opponents,
Yeah.
particularly if they're well armoured. And so it has what is a natural kind of kickback or weakness to what it does. With him, it doesn't.
It just doesn't.
The only thing I would say about Furies with demons, with Nurgle demons, is the fact they don't have a flying or fast-moving general to
No.
keep their leadership up.
Yeah, so they are only leadership 2 Furies, the only demon unit that's that low, that's lower than 7. So yeah, as Max said, you do have to be careful getting them away from your general because any combat they lose, it will probably kill them.
Yeah, the only counter to that is that realistically, in this role, you're using them just to redirect.
As
just
they'll
to
either be
block
dead
stuff
or
off.
they won't lose
So
the combat.
they'll die anyway.
So
Yeah.
just that one shot.
Yeah, you know, if they charge a war machine, they probably won't lose the combat.
No.
And if they put themselves in front of an enemy, then they're immune to psychs. They don't flee, they don't run. They
No.
do their job of pulling something out of place.
And they'll
or
be
blocking
dead
something
before you
off,
take
and
the
they'll be
test
dead, so
anyway.
it doesn't matter. Nothing to worry
But
about.
still, even with that, they're still really good. Fury
They're
five.
fantastic, yeah, and super cheap.
70 points.
70 points for
For
unit 5.
unit
Fully
five.
upgraded.
That's the other thing. They are the cheapest
Yeah, they
outside
are.
of the single beast, which has the opportunity cost
Yeah.
that these don't. So for me, they're really a contender.
Last thing I want to say about the Chaff for the Nurgle is the fact that there's nothing better in the book for Chaff or Nurgle. So they score 3 because there is literally nothing
No,
better.
yeah,
for
there's
the,
no-
for the slot.
Yeah,
The
for
slot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they said all of this stuff is in specials, so they all share that sort of best slot for Chaff,
Yes, they do.
which is all really good for them. It helps them out in terms of their score busts and everything like that as well.
It does. It does. And on that note, I think we've finished with Chaff.
Sorry, the Queen's Beer's been.
Yeah. But we are going to let you take a break, grab yourself a Coke. Other beverages are available, of course. Don't forget Pepsi. And we will see you back here as we move into the generic and special characters. So, as we said at the beginning of the rating section, we are going to be going through the generic characters as well. So, shall we get into them, chaps?
Let's go.
Let's go. We have the Great Unclean One, we have the Demon Prince, we have Kugath Plaguefather, we have Epidemius, and we have the Herald of Nurgle.
Not in that order, but
Not in that order, no. But we're going to start with everyone's favourite Fat Father figure, and that was quite the tongue twister. I've got to say, I'm very pleased I said that first time.
Such good alliteration.
It really was. Thanks. That is the Great Unclean One,
The Guo.
the Guo, who comes in with a competitive rating of 17 out of 24. Pretty solid. So we get there with a 3 for output, 4 for special rules, 3 for synergy, 2 for risk, 4 for survivability, and just a 1 for cost. You really don't see him very often in competitive armies. He has appeared, and he does appear now and again, but you don't really see him. He's one of the options for Nurgle's level 4 wizard, which again you actually don't see very often. Nurgle with a sort of mono Nurgle with a level 4.
Mono Nurgle with a level 4.
Yeah.
It's probably worth pointing out with the output for the Lord characters that are generic. We've obviously had to come up with a slightly changed version of the system. So we've took the average kind of attacks and strength value for choppy lords in Warhammer. So it's strength 5.
Forget your wizard lords.
Strength 5 and 4 attacks. That's what they're compared to. So he gets 3 because he has 1 more attack, 1 more strength, and he starts on 1. So that's how he gets his 3. And then for heroes, which we'll do later, but we might as well say now, we've gone for strength 4 with 3 attacks. So it's compared against those numbers. Just to give you guys that clarity.
Yeah, we've also assumed that you have made him a wizard.
Absolutely.
In this, made him a level 4 wizard.
Probably maxed out the wizard levels on
Yeah,
absolutely.
that is definitely what I would take him.
Yeah, he's nice and tough. He's toughness 7. He's relatively, not slow, but relatively unmanoeuvrable. He's movement 6, which is not bad.
He's the most unmanoeuvrable at the 4 Great Demons.
Yes.
Yeah, because he's on a huge base. He's on an Arachnarok base.
Unless you go for the really old
unless
one,
you go for
unless you've got one of
classic
the 50 mil.
The 50
that
mil
big.
boy,
Yeah.
They do have the additional wound over all the other Great Demons.
They do have a 6th wound.
6 still keeps him at a 1 cannon problem.
It is still
It is just a 1 cannon problem. Half the chance of him dying
It
to a single
certainly
cannon.
does though, sir.
They
also just initiate 4.
Yeah,
Really?
quite quick for Nurgle.
For Nurgle,
It's good for Nurgle. Well, it means a third of the time he'll go down the Purple Sun, which is he's good for Nurgle. But
Speaking of Purple Sun, he does have access to Lore of Death as well as Lore of Nurgle. Any Nurgle caster does, which obviously is a fantastic lore. If you haven't already, go check out the 20 Tactics on Death. It's a long one. There's a lot of armies.
Jay spent a lot of time. Please watch that video.
Please watch the videos.
But he doesn't really have the manoeuvrability to make the most of Lore of Death, or at least Purple Sun. He's quick enough to make the most of the Death Snipes, I would say.
Certainly the ones you can boost the range of, I'd
Yeah.
suggest. The other problem with that, of course, is that if you're looking at the tally again, you're killing models with Lore of Death. It doesn't add to the tally.
So with that, I just think he's prescribed to Lord of Nurgle at this point.
I think if you take him in an army with Epidemius, then I would agree.
A lore which is alright.
It's good.
It's reasonably
it's all right. I don't really like it, but maybe that's because I don't take it on a level 4. Maybe it's because I'm limited to it.
I don't think you've ever taken Lore of Nurgle at all.
I've tried it a couple of times. Maybe not on the channel, but I've tried it a couple of times. And I'm just not a fan.
He's just very expensive.
It's 375 base.
Very expensive.
With no wizard level.
Yeah, then you have to pay 140 points to make him a level 4 because he doesn't start.
Yeah, they
as a level
don't
1.
start. Oh, they start at level 1.
Oh, they do start.
They start at level 1, and you have to pay 105.
That's 480 points without any gifts.
Yeah,
that's a lot of points. That's a lot of beasts in Nurgle.
Yeah.
I want to say as well they come with poison attacks, in case anyone's wondering.
Thanks, Max.
People might be wondering.
Do they just have a plague sword?
No, they just have poison attacks for all.
Oh, okay.
They come with.
Interesting.
Rule of weapons wise, I think they actually come with like a flail.
No, I wouldn't have thought so because the model.
Hand weapon. Oh no,
Yeah,
I'm thinking because the 50 mil boy had a flail on his model.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
Options there,
but no, just a hand weapon. Overall, not great. Is my closing statement. I think on the Guo.
No, I think he's got a lovely new model.
He
like
appears in Highlander lists. If you're trying to do a mono Highlander list, you do see him from time to time there. But
there's still elements that he's still weapon skill 6, strength 6 with thunderstorm 5 attacks.
Yeah,
he's not bad.
He doesn't have a bad stat line.
No, he doesn't have a bad stat line at all. But he's
I just think I think it's his size that really lets
the size model because you can't. Whereas like
let him down.
the other new Great Demon models, you can get him on chariot bases. This guy
No, they wouldn't have. Would they?
The new blood
Lord of Change wouldn't have.
No, Lord of Change and Keep Serious wouldn't have done.
No.
But this guy is he's just too big.
Yeah, the Keeper of Secrets on a 50 square, the same size as the originals, it easily fits on it. I've seen it done many times.
But this guy just doesn't fit on those small bases.
No,
He has to go on the
but
large
even
base.
if you put him on the small base, he still has all of the problems of not being that fast, of being block off, of being able to be blocked off and kited a little bit. He's still expensive, and he's a big fat target for a cannon in an army that doesn't want. Look, you've got blocks in a Nurgle army. All of the blocks that you put down are hard to get victory points from.
Yeah.
All of them. This guy, he's the dream
He's
for
the
me.
easiest part of the army.
He's
to
the
get
dream
points from.
for
And
me.
he's a lot of those points as well.
That's what I'm saying. I think that he is the easiest part.
Yeah, he's the dream for me. I look at him and I'm like, right, every single competitive army I take will kill him.
Yeah, which is mad, because if you looked at his stats and put him in any other army, you would not say, "Oh, that's the easiest place to get victory points."
But in
Just
this
shows
army,
shows you how tough the rest of it is.
yeah, because he's not got 40 wounds,
Yeah.
so he's easier to kill than a block of plague bearer, isn't he?
Yeah. Yes, he is.
So let's go.
With that, then, I think we will move on to our other generic lord choice. That is the Demon Prince of Nurgle. So we've assumed you've gone with the Chaos Armor and Flight, as well as making him a Demon
I
of
don't know
Nurgle.
why he wouldn't.
No, and also making him a Wisdom. So he comes in with a competitive rating of 14 out of 24. So we get there with a 3 for output, 4 for special rules, 1 for synergy, 1 for risk, 4 for survivability, and 1 for cost.
I think this one is this is a Demon Prince that isn't a wizard at this point, because the synergy and the risk aren't up there.
Yes.
So this is him not being a wizard. You can up
You're
the
right.
score to what the Great Clean one would be in terms of synergy and risk.
So that would up him to a 17. So
Yeah.
it would actually put him
It's
exactly
the
the same.
exact same.
Yeah,
So yeah,
so-
this is just the Demon Prince with no wizard.
So
levels.
just the armor and the flight.
This
I
is just
apologise.
him pure killing and anything like
Yeah.
that. So that just put that out there.
Which I think I would always make him.
I would
a
always
wizard.
make him a wizard, yeah.
So we're going to assume he's that 17 then. So we'll go with that. So he's
Yeah.
a 3 for output, 4 for special rules, 3 for synergy, 2 for risk, 4 for survivability, and 1 for cost. He
Yeah.
is still too expensive.
He's still too expensive for what he does.
He is still the easiest part of the army to get any points
Yeah.
from. He's got all the same problems as the Great Unclean one.
He does, but he
With
flies.
less wounds.
He does
So
fly.
he is better.
He does
is,
fly.
if you're looking for a spellcaster, for me, he is a lot better.
He's better with Death, but as we said, Death is not good in.
It just doesn't
He's
synergize
still better with
the army.
Nurgle because it's got a vortex as well.
That
Yeah, it's not
vortex,
very good.
but the vortex isn't purple.
Oh, I don't know. It's not bad at all. You guys really
I'm
like
not gonna go it. I'm
if
just saying
you
it's-
think that if you think the Black Horror's good, you have to think this one's good. It's exactly the same, but it's toughness. Take a toughness test. If you fail, are you dead?
No, I think it's a wound.
I wouldn't know. I'm saying.
New wound.
Yeah.
No, it's still very good with the tally though. And how much stuff is
He's
actually
better
two
with
wounds?
the tally.
Yeah.
How much stuff is actually two wounds?
No, it's characters, isn't it? That,
yeah,
that you
okay,
can
it's
sort of-
characters, but
Or sort of
they get a look
monstrous
at Sir
things.
anyway, don't they? Characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think it's good. I think
yeah.
it's a good vortex. I don't
I
think
mean,
it's bad.
we've spoken about this guy in every other Demon's Deep Dive at this point, and he's just you compare him to like the Warriors Chaos Demon Prince. We've compared him to Bloodthirsters. They're just not.
I think when you compare him to the other greater demons, particularly the fly or really fast moving ones, so
which
the
everything
the
apart
other
from the
three,
giveaway.
he doesn't stack up so well. I actually think he stacks up slightly better against the Guo for me
Yeah.
because he's got the massive manoeuvrability that will really help him.
He has a smaller base size as well. He's on a 50.
Well, let's assume you've got the one that was, even if you assume it
the
was the
mini
same
dude.
base size,
Yeah.
the one that was with the book when it came out.
Yeah.
He's still easier to keep safe because he flies. He's
Yeah,
got way more
absolutely.
movement.
Mm-hmm. He does have to buy all his wizard levels from scratch though. So if you do, he does cost a little bit more points with the wizard levels. You have to buy 140 points.
Yeah, so he's what, 390 plus the armor and the flight?
So that's 60. So
450.
So he's 30 points less. So again, he's got a lot less stat line for that. But
A lot less stat
what
line.
you're
But
basically
you've got armor and you fly.
you're paying the premium for the
Yeah.
fly. The fly is the thing that makes
Yeah.
him. But again, the big problem in this army list is, of course, as you've said already, he's the easy points.
He's
It's
easy
just,
points.
it's just man.
He's even easier to kill than a Guo.
He is. He's got two less wounds and 2 less toughness.
Yeah.
And he's weaker to more spells, actually.
Yep.
Because he's suddenly weak to things like Searing Doom, which the
Yeah.
Duo isn't, but he is massively weak to.
Yeah. Also doesn't have poison attacks.
Does have
Nope.
poison though.
Not
Does-
that massively matters,
Does
but
have -1 to hit him if he's because he's Demon of Nurgle, which a weapon skill 9 is
he's,
ridiculous.
yeah, you're hitting him on 6s most of the time.
It's just ridiculous.
But people don't kill him in combat, they'll kill him with shooting or magic.
No, let's kill him combat
Probably
res.
magic.
Combat res.
Or combat res,
yeah,
potentially. If you
challenge
get
him
him in
out.
on his own.
Challenge him out and combat res it.
Yeah, if you get him in on his own, you get him in with a block, then it's
Yeah,
it should
then
be
it's
alright,
alright,
but
He's just the easy point. It's always going to come back to opportunity cost on
Yeah.
the Lord slot for them. You're costing yourself the opportunity of having an army that doesn't give away easy points.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're going to move on to our only generic hero, and that is the Herald of Nurgle. And we're assuming he's on foot. You can take him out, but we're assuming he's on foot. And he comes in with a competitive rating of 16 out of 24.
Still very good.
So good. So we get there with a 2 for output, a 4 for special rules, 1 for synergy, 1 for risk, 4 for survivability, and 4 for cost. Yeah,
These guys
very, very good. His stat line is ridiculous,
I don't
frankly,
know
for what he is.
Why is his stat line that good?
Yeah, he's weapon skill 5, he's strength and toughness 5, he's got 3 attacks,
Initiative 4.
poison attacks, initiative 4, ballistic skill 5. Classic. He's probably the best of the heralds in the book.
He should be weapon skill 4.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah,
That's it. If he was weapon skill 4, I don't think I'd have a massive gripe about
No,
him,
weapon
actually.
skill 5 is ridiculous.
yeah, it's mad.
But he's hardcore to the floor. He's as strong as the strongest choppy one.
Yeah.
He's he's
Tougher.
he's tougher than all of them.
Yeah,
He's got
yeah, he is.
He's at least 1 point tougher
he's got
than...
the second best number of attacks.
He's the same man. Oh, no, sorry. The second best,
Second
yeah.
best number of attacks overall.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's mad.
He's only
And then-
90 points
And
as well.
yeah, and he's the joint cheapest.
And then you have, like, his locusts. The locust rules that they have
All
are
of his locusts are
absolutely
very, very
ridiculous.
good.
Insanity.
So, should we go through them?
Yeah,
so,
go
less,
through those
so he has lesser locus of virulence. So poison attacks made by this model and all models in his units automatically wound on a 5+.
So good.
How many points is that one?
I shall tell you. Give me 2 seconds to go to
That one is 40, I think.
I think it's 40 or 45.
I think they're 40,
It
45, 50.
is 40.
Yeah.
So that's 40 points for that.
Madness.
Greater locus of fecundity. This model and all models in the units have regeneration.
Yep.
That's
Good.
45 points.
Yep.
And then we have the exalted locus of contagion. If this model or any model in his unit scores a 6 to hit with a poison attack, that target immediately suffers an additional automatic hit result of strength 4. And that is 50 points.
Yeah.
Every one of these is good.
Yeah,
That's
even
the
like
first
even
thing.
like the exalted one that nobody ever takes is actually really good.
I played against that a couple of years ago at a team tournament, and I was using undead. Oh my!
Exploding strength 4 hits, tears apart skeleton.
Yeah.
Well, I still keep the poison. That's
Yeah.
an auto wound, and I get another dice, mate. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, the 40-point one is my
The
go-to.
virulence.
I'm an aggressive player at heart. I like to build damage into my list rather than
I
build
must say,
defense.
I did use the virulence when I used demons in a triple crown once, and I did think it really worked really well. If I'm honest.
It's the lowest points cost.
Yeah.
If it doubles their chance to poison.
yeah.
And poison is their best asset in terms of their output,
Absolutely.
which only gets stronger as their strength goes up because it reduces armor.
Yeah.
You literally when you score a poison hit, you half the number of dice you have to roll to successfully wound someone.
It's taking away the chances of you not doing anything.
It's massive.
It's so good.
Demons, the Herald of Nurgle is just it's redonk.
And
yeah,
the-
regeneration is your defensive player's choice.
absolutely, and a lot of
Um,
people take it.
A lot of people do.
Contagion's just a win.
Contagion is, I think, seen by people against virulence, and it's 10 points more. I'm getting a lot of extra output from virulence because I'm getting all the more poison. I do think the exalted one is very good.
Weapon skill 3 is hurtful.
Yeah, I just think it's only going to happen on a 1/6 of your attacks, and then you've got to roll to
hit.
wound.
don't roll to hit,
Yeah,
you
you
won't
just
hit.
roll to win.
Oh,
You
you-
order hit.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
roll to win. Which, all right, say 3s. So it happens on 6 of your attacks, and then of 6 of your attacks, only 2/3 of them wound.
Yeah.
The 60 attacks are poison, so if you get the poison,
Yeah,
if you
absolutely.
look at it's like you're getting the poison anyway, you are getting additional hits.
Yeah, so you're getting, say, a 1/6 more.
Yeah. It does help.
Attacks.
It does help with the plague bearer's lack of attacks. In essence.
Yes,
It
yeah,
does
it
help
does.
them out of that.
But I think virulence helps with that
It
as
does.
well because you're guaranteeing more
Makes the
wound,
most of what you're actually putting
and it's
out.
10 points cheaper.
You can't really make a wrong choice.
Not
No,
really.
None
No,
of those locusts do.
no.
Not really. Just decide whether you want to be more aggressive or more defensive, and then decide if you think you're someone who's really lucky. If you tend to be one of those spawny dice guys, then you probably want to go for the exalted one where you've got the potential to roll really well and score lots of extra hits.
Yeah.
If you like consistency, then I think the first one, virulence, is the way I'd go.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
Back to the Herald though, he can also be mounted on a palanquin, which gives him an extra wound. Then
Two
also-
extra wounds.
Is it 2 extra wounds? It's 4 wounds.
4 wounds to palanquin.
2 extra wounds. It does make him monstrous cav, and it gives him some strength 3 attacks from the Nurglings as well.
6 strength 3 attacks.
Lots of attacks.
it's difficult for him because he can't go anywhere for a lookout, sir. Then
No,
Unless he joins a beast.
he can join in a beast.
He can't get
I know,
a
Monstrous
Surfman.
Beast. They're
So
still only Monstrous Beast, not Monstrous Cav.
Monstrous Cav.
Oh, really? Is
So he
that?
can't.
Yeah. And he slows them down.
I thought it was just
He
monstrous
does slow
stuff.
them down.
I thought it was just monstrous stuff.
Got to be the
that's
same
a shame.
unit type. So
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I do see, like, say, Matt Passy, he uses his Herald of Nurgle BSB on a paladin
does
all the time.
does bold. He basically wagers that you're not going to get it with the artillery piece, which is the big risk.
People always
so-
find that you're either shooting Epi or you're shooting the Herald with a cannonball at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, that's the choice, isn't it?
And obviously it does make him a lot more survivable. Doubles his wounds. It
Doubles
means that
wounds.
more people in combat can attack him. But with his stat line, I'm probably not too worried about
the
that.
Plague Bearers are more likely to give away combat res than he is.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
you know,
You
why-
want to make
why
sure
you
you kill
upset?
him if you do put any attacks on him. But no, very good. Very solid. I haven't run him on a palanquin. Either Herald, sort of BSB or not. But I can definitely see the bonuses to doing so. And I'm
I mean,
not against it in the future.
I think it's just dependent on how your play
Just
style
to
is.
quickly touch on to that regen, Locus, because just sitting here in my head thinking about it, 45 points.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'd pay for 4-up regen.
4 ward save. Or 4
Well, 4-up ward save is 45, isn't
Yeah.
it? So
Yeah.
I'd probably pay about the same for regen, maybe 40
Maybe
points,
40.
right? Now, I appreciate he's already got a 5-up ward, so I'm not improving it a great deal, but he gives it to his whole unit.
Yeah, he does.
It's just wild.
Yeah, he does.
It does, yeah, you are. Yeah, I mean, you at that point though, you have got the possibility of getting a 4 ward save from the Reign of Chaos.
Yeah,
So-
it's what I wouldn't do it. I
Yeah.
would go with Virulence, but you know, you can see the
So
attraction.
the attraction is
Yeah,
if you then get
yeah,
the
yeah.
6-up ward save from Reign of Chaos, you
You've
still
still
have
got the 4.
4
It's
region.
consistently survivable, isn't it? Yeah.
Unless you have like flaming attacks, but then
Then you fall back on your ward save.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And I think maybe that if you do put your Herald on a palanquin, maybe that's when you go for the regen to make him that little bit more survivable
Yeah.
against things like artillery.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But we are going to move on to our special characters now, and the first is the very seldom seen Kugath Plaguefather, and he comes in with a competitive rating of 14 out of 24.
The lowest in the entire.
Yeah, joint lowest in the entire Nurgle deep dive. Wow. So we get there with a 2 for output, 4 for special rules, 2 for synergy, 2 for risk, 4 for survivability, and 1 for cost. He is way too expensive.
Yeah. I'll just put it quickly for the output of the special characters is now gone reverted back to the regular standard score.
So we're comparing Kugath to a Grey Unclean one.
Yeah. Yeah, he's too many points.
Who we were not necessarily that favourable about, and a really expensive one. I can't imagine we're going to be
So
that positive
when
about.
you look at Kugath and compare it to like the other Great Dane special characters of Scarbrand and Kara's Fateweaver, why is he the most expensive?
Yeah, it
Out
doesn't
of
really
all
make a lot of
three,
sense.
why is he's 625 points?
And he's a level 1
For
wizard.
a level
So
one
I'd
wizard.
rather he was 630, so physically someone couldn't
take
fall
him.
into the
Yeah.
trap of taking him at 2-5
It's
and
just-
just hurting their
He's
chances.
a level 1 wizard on the Lore of Nurgle. It's
It's shocking. It's just
I
shocking.
can't, I'm just going to let you guys do it.
rules wise, he has obviously the norms: Demon of Nurgle, Demonic, Terror, large target. He comes with the poison attacks as normal, but he also gains slime trail from the Beast of Nurgle.
Okay.
So you don't get flanks and rears in combat against him, and he hates dwarfs.
Brilliant.
That's
I
a
mean,
fluff.
he should
right
hate
there.
dwarves, mate, because he's going to get killed by a cannon or a grudge thrower.
He is, yeah. That's purely from a fluff perspective because they beat him in the Great Incursion. They're right at the beginning. They should kill him. And he does have Nurgling Infestation as well, which at the start of each your turns, one Nurgling base within 6 inches of Kugath automatically regains a single wound lost earlier in the battle. If there are no wounded Nurgling bases within 6 inches, then nothing happens.
Which we all know is competitive because what we're saying is, build
Spam Nurglings.
build units of a dozen or more bases of Nurglings, stack them around the big man, and what you have is a centre that is unassailable by most.
Also, but if you're doing this, you're more likely going to be giving out the scouting opportunities of your Nurglings.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
If they're close to him, they're not in your
But
opponent's
that's
lines.
not what makes them good, right?
They're the battle line unit, right?
They're your battle lines,
They're
obviously.
my battle line unit in this list now.
That's-
I know they sacrifice the poison, but hear me out. They do get a wound back because they stayed within
One
6
wound.
of him.
One wound.
One wound. I know they're 4 wounds a base, and I think that 1 wound will make all the difference. That's what I paid the
If
extra.
you can't hear the
That's
sarcasm.
what I paid the extra sort of 200 points for. It's level 1. It's just...
Demonic gifts, he has necrotic missiles. It's a stone thrower that he can shoot when he moves. It's 12 inches, 12 to 36 inch range. Strength 5, but under both pretexts
Okay.
here. Ignores arm saves.
Someone is
not
going
bad.
to show up to an event. They're going to have him. They're going to have 2 of the Stone Thrower
Soul
Soul
Grinders.
Grinders. They're going to make me look very silly.
You're gonna,
Yeah, what? Yeah.
gonna go shooty Nurgle army.
Could you imagine?
I'm right thinking slow fire doesn't prevent you from moving and fire.
It stops
you
him
just
standing
can't
and
stand and
shooting it.
shoot.
Yeah, okay.
Just in case you went, well, technically they make the charge from 13, and well, I think I might toss the old necrotic missile at you.
Just chuck a nerd. Yeah!
I love that. He's what he does. He just throws Nurglings
Yeah,
at
and if
you.
you do roll misfire on the stone thrower tail, you do roll misfire for the stone thrower, you just squash Nurgling and no effect happens.
Oh really? He
At
doesn't even
least,
take
I
away.
know it.
at least that's what you paid those extra 100 points
Yeah.
for.
Oh yeah.
I think modelling opportunities for this guy are fantastic because he's a great unclean one on a palanquin. Which
He's
is
got a palanquin.
He's carried to battle by all
that's
the
his
Nurglings.
fluff. It's his
Lovely.
palanquin. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So like if you play Total War 3, his model in that game is humongous.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest, at what point does he throw enough Nurglings that the palanquin just collapses underneath him?
Just gets
That,
squashed.
that you go over there, help them out. You go over there, help them out. I'm going to lob you, and suddenly he's at 45
Then he's
degrees.
just on the floor.
But so that's his
I've made a mistake.
that's his rules wise. I don't know what Scott's got on the cheat sheet. For about
He's
him.
way too expensive. Never take him. That's the gist of
Okay,
it.
that's the general.
I think we all agree.
I think he struggles to work, doesn't he? I mean, again, he could build the tally with the template, but
With the Nurglings, yeah.
but with the sort of stone throw. But you know, they're an aggressive army, and these one-off big priced models. They're the weakness.
Especially the
Yeah.
price of this one.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're the
and
weakness for the army.
He's by far the easiest thing in the army to kill.
He's not a one cannon problem though.
No, he does have 7 wings.
He has 7 wounds. He's not a one cannon problem. He's a 2 cannon problem.
He's a 2 Terrorgeist problem.
He's a
Yeah.
Why?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I was trying to think.
I mean, you could kill him.
I was trying to think. Could you do it with 1 terror?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could.
On a good day.
I hate
10
terror
plus
ghosts.
with no ward saves, you could kill him.
I hate terror ghosts.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, 10. If you rolled a 12
12, he could pass 2 ward saves and still die.
and still die, yeah.
I mean, that's how you roll a 12. Averagely, he's probably dead.
He's in a
Yeah.
lot of trouble
Yeah.
isn't he, at that point. Yeah.
He's in a hell of a lot of trouble from 2 terror guys.
Yeah. He's in
a world of danger.
He does not have the tools to deal with terror.
You could drop down a little.
Oh, you could stone throw one of them and do a wound.
Yeah. Drop down a little lower leadership some ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I say this, and I'm only being slightly jestful. I mean, almost all of my wins against Wall of Nurgle at tournaments with vampires have come from terrorgeisting. They're really one big expensive threat they put in there. So
Oh, you've gone for a demon thing. Thanks very much for giving me like 600 points of your army for nothing. Cheers. But yes, we're going to move on to something very, very different. We have everyone's favourite accountant, my favourite Demon of Nurgle character model, Epidemus, of course, and he gets a competitive rating of 21 out of 24. Now, if you've read our top special character heroes article on the Tales from the Wizard's Tower section, you will know all of these scores that we're about to go through, but for those of you who haven't, I'll go through them again. Now, we get there with a 2 for output, a 4 for special rules, 3 for synergy, 4 for risk, 4 for survivability, and 4 for cost.
The Plague Plan Jandrum.
he also
Great
gets
name.
a 4 for liquid talent, and a 4 for making very average
For Warhammer on easy mode.
players really, really strong, and a 4 for easy moding. Yeah.
He-
You don't get as many achievements if you win with him. Though.
He is
In fact, you get hated by everyone.
he is the sole reason. He is the sole reason that the Wall of Nurgle is one of the best lists in the game.
Yeah.
By far.
Because as James said earlier, they are very tough. Just their basic stats, they're very tough to kill. That's what they do. The flip side of that is they do struggle to kill lots of, especially of heavily armoured stuff. Not so much tough because they've got the poison, but if it's heavily armoured, they do struggle. He just changed all of that.
Yeah, we've spoken a lot about it. But
About the tally.
the tally of pestilence.
Yeah, I'll let Max go through what it
That's
does.
fine. So whilst Epidemius is not alive, keep account of all unsaved wounds caused by Demons of Nurgle, friend or foe, and by spells from the Lore of Nurgle. At the start of each of your turns, consult the table below to determine the effect of the tally of pestilence. Note these effects are cumulative, not cumulative.
Not cumulative.
Max can't word well at all. If Epidemius is killed, these effects are immediately lost. So 0 to 6 wounds, no effect. 7+ wounds, all Demons of Nurgle gain +1 strength.
Huge. It's not even a lot to kill. 7.
No,
No.
7 models.
That's 1 round of combat, if that.
I've played armies where 7 wounds is a chaff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
14 plus wounds. All Daemons of Nurgle gain +1 toughness.
Again, not very many models.
I've played armies where that's their combined total chaff, but I mean, so I've played them when the 7 wounds is like
It's a
chaff
unit of chaff.
21 plus wounds is all Daemons of Nurgle gain the Killing Blow special rule.
Well, there goes that
I was concerned-
susceptibility to armour.
I was concerned about armour for a minute.
And then 28 plus, all Daemons of Nurgle reroll fouled ward saves.
Okay.
I think the thing with it is that as you score, it gets
Easier to score.
and faster to score. We were
Yeah.
debating this earlier, weren't we? Like, when do you get it?
Yeah.
And it's very rare that, for me, in my opinion, that you haven't scored it by turn 3. Now, you might not have all the bonuses in turn 3 because you might finish the tally off in your turn 3.
Yeah.
But you're going to get half the game with this for me.
Yeah,
Well, I
absolutely.
do want to make a point that the tally affects friend and foe as well.
It does.
Just in case you're fighting
Interesting.
other
Demons of Nurgle.
Does that mean, like, if you had 2 epics, you get double the bonuses, like +2 toughness and +2 strength?
No.
All Daemons of Nurgle gain +1 strength. That's from your tally. Your opponent's tally then grants you an additional +1 strength.
All effects are cumulative.
Maybe. I think that's probably...
I mean, it's probably not meant to
That's
work like
probably
that.
scratching. I
So you
think
mean
that
all
when
effects
you
are
fight another
cumulative?
Nurgle army, turn 2 it's on.
Yeah.
Online
Yeah,
Donkey
if you want to
Kong.
go second...
Anything dies.
You want to go
it's on.
second, because by the person
Yeah.
who goes second's turn 2, I reckon it's on. So
Well, we did see in the 2021 Triple Crown Wargaming GT, we did see 2 Walls of Nurgle go off against
We
each other.
did
I
see
think,
the Nurgle.
I think it was like by the end of the top of turn 2, the tally was maxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so... look, for me, there's just a raft of things within.
It's just. I also like the fact I didn't realise maybe about 2 months ago that the tally is in multiples of 7.
Oh,
Only just realised.
Not now, but like 2-3 months ago.
So still a worryingly amount of
Yeah,
worryingly long.
so I
amount.
never used them, so I never. I saw when's the tally coming in effect. He's like, have I got it now? You got it now, yeah. I never actually found out the actual
Yeah, it's
numbers.
7 because Nurgle's number.
No, favourite numbers. Yeah.
But you can have him in the back corner behind a building.
Yeah.
And still rack your tally up. There's no like when within X range
No,
of
it's
inches.
just the entire
It's
board.
just the
Yeah.
army. Deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, your Beast and Nurgle, your Plague Drones, your
Strength and
Right,
toughness 6 plague drones
he-
is insane.
He's also like he's no slouch. I mean,
he's still a herald.
Again,
He's
Matt
Herald.
Pass, I'll reference you again as you've got a fantastic record with the army. He sticks him in the front of a unit of plague bearers. He sticks him in combat most games.
Yeah.
Very rarely loses him.
he's still a Herald on a Palanquin, so he's still Strength, Toughness 5 with 4 wounds.
4 wounds, weapon skill
And
5.
once the tally
3
goes up,
attacks.
he's strength, toughness 6.
Yeah, he is.
It's just ridiculous. And then he has, obviously, Plague Swords, he's got Poison Attacks.
Got poison attack.
And then he has a Lesser Locus of Virulence.
Yes, he does.
So he gives that to the unit. he
Poison
joins.
5 plus.
Yeah, him and his unit of poison on
Um,
5+.
Also, the Poison of 5 plus doesn't particularly work well with Killing Blow.
No.
No, that's the only kind of drawback.
That's
with
the only
it.
concession. But then if you don't poison, you are just going to Killing Blow anything.
Well, this is the thing of
You got
going.
the chance
I've
to.
got the both and.
Yeah.
We talked about this when we did the Tomb King deep dive. We talked about the snakes, the Necropolis Knights being like the omni threat because it's like you put something tough and that's really hard to get through into me when my poison will sort it out. You put some well armoured like troops or cavalry into me when my Killing Blow will sort it out.
Yeah. But even with the armour, you still at that point Strength 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Minimum.
And then we haven't even talked about his points cost.
Oh, he is just not enough points.
You'd think, 300, 350.
It's not even that right. You can point him up because everything he's got bar the tally a herald can have.
So he's
so
200 points himself.
He is 200 points. A herald is 90. A palanquin is 50. That's 140 points. The lesser locus is 40. That's 190 points.
10 points for the tally.
You're paying 10 points for the tally because there's no other difference. You're paying 10 points for the tally. It's insane. He's at least 50, 60 points too cheap.
150 points.
Yeah, I think you're pushing 150.
I'd pay 350 for him.
I would pay 350.
But like,
I'd
I can't,
maybe pay 300
I
for him,
think
yeah.
this is the thing. I almost feel like the mistake with him is the way he interacts. It's not the points because how do you point him? How do you possibly point this interaction across an army?
I'd say give it a bubble range rather than it being.
If you nerf up the points cost of all the basic troops to assume that you take him. If you don't take him, the army's completely useless. If you do take him, the army then functions at a correct level. which means you've
You
now
just prescribe away
created
to list.
prescription.
Yeah.
Now, the argument I've seen people make is that he's so broken for his points.
That you are
he creates
prescribing it,
prescription anyway, which is fine.
That's reasonable.
But like you say, I think that the only real sensible answer is an aura, is a bubble and an effect.
I think a 6 to 12 inch
His
bubble.
unit or
His
a 6
I think his
12
unit-
inch bubble, you
his-
know.
his
12
unit-
inch bubble I think would be fine.
I wouldn't go for his unit because I think that's too small of a buff from the tally. I think it's a 12
But the
inch
tally
bubble.
does a lot of buff.
It
doesn't
does do a lot of buff
So-
for that unit, yes.
But I could see a bubble. I mean, if we think about things like the Hurricanum, the War Altar,
They're
you know,
6
the kind
inches.
of they're. I mean, I could see 12 maybe even, but it's that, you know, they have a global buff like that they're pointed up to reflect it. I think he could still go up in points even if it was only 12 inches because
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
what he's at. So
Absolutely.
yeah, he's just
Absolutely.
awesome. I can't really say anymore.
Also, there's people panic when they see him, but you can cannonball him off.
He can be cannonballed.
Still
Artillery,
4 wounds though,
artillery
mate.
is his big weakness, but as you say, it will only kill him in one half the time.
Yeah,
If-
If
well,
it hits him
and
and wins him,
It's less than
and
that.
gets through his ward save / regen if you've got a herald with a low.
And if you're not hiding behind a building.
Or two beasts of Nurgle,
Yeah,
Or 2 beasts of Nurgle.
which have also got 4 wounds each and a regen. So
yeah, they do.
It's so hard to even deal, even though he doesn't get lookout server and anything in the army. He's so hard to deal with.
Yeah, he is ridiculously hard to deal with.
and like I say, he's initiative 4, so even Purple Sun is not a guarantee that he's
And even
in
then-
danger.
You can still stack a herald with regen in it to give him regen as well.
You can
Because the higher locus overtakes his locus itself.
Yep,
I wouldn't personally. I don't
No,
think.
but I have played against him
yeah,
many times. I have
Lots
to say
of
that.
people do, and it is very, very good. But yeah, I mean, what a high to end on.
Yeah, I mean,
You keep
I mean,
going
this
on
whole
about
this whole 2 sections have been phenomenal. I mean, let's not mess about. I mean, Max puts these as his number 1, don't you?
As
on
Demons
books?
of Nurgle, specifically the All of Nurgle list, I think it is up
Yeah,
it's the
Demons
top.
is your number 1
Yeah.
army. I mean, I had high elves there based on the fact that I think that they are the best counter for
The best
this.
counter to the.
And I know you think that actually I'm wrong and it's Dark Elves
Yeah.
with the Witches, which is why they're your number 1.
Yeah.
But ultimately, this list dominates the top of the meta.
If you-
Absolutely.
Our decisions are based solely on
On
our
this
belief
list,
in
effectively,
controlling
yeah.
this army.
Yeah,
If you go to a tournament, you are seeing, and someone's there playing to win, you are going to see the Wall of Nurgle.
And someone could
Absolutely.
say to me tomorrow, "You're objectively wrong about High Elves. Wall of Nurgle is better." They could explain 3 things about it, and I'd
You-
go,
you
"You know
say-
what? You're right. Congratulations."
yeah,
Yeah.
you say everything you just said is correct.
Those top 3 for me, they are also close, and this is the dominating force that
Yeah.
decides what order you put them
Yeah.
in. So there you go.
yeah, absolutely. But we are going to leave it there for the unit ratings as we move into the demonic gifts. So, on to demonic gifts then, and these are the reason really that it's hard to make a sort of competitive character video for the demons. So you can either purchase an exalted, greater or lesser gift, and you can purchase 2 of these per demon, assuming on you've got the points for them, and then you roll on a corresponding table. Completely random, and there is a sort of a swapping element, a bit like with when you're generating spells. You can swap for a sig, you can sort of swap for a 0 value on each of these tables. But I think we're going to start with the lesser gift table. We're going to work our way up, and I'm going to let Max tell us what each of the results does.
So lesser gift is 20, as Scott said, 25 points per roll on the table. So the one result of the lesser gift is Skill Swallower. Whenever the demon slays an enemy character, it immediately increases 1 characteristic of your choice by 1 point. And we couldn't find anywhere to say that that can't increase
But
wounds.
to clarify, at Triple Crown Wargaming events, you will find that you cannot increase your stats or your wound characteristic using this ability.
No.
Too good.
Yeah, it is too good.
It is good.
It's not a bad result.
It's really frustrating because it's either a bit rubbish or really, really broken.
I
It's
think-
not bad on strength. For Nurgle is very good on attacks, actually.
Yeah.
It is, but it's, they Nurgle characters can struggle sometimes to kill characters, unless they're like the really like the weak hero level characters or anything like that.
That's the thing. You
Yeah,
just
attacks
go,
and strength,
attack a
isn't it?
wizard.
Yeah,
Attack
Well,
or strength. is the two.
even a BSB, you've still got 3 strength 5 attacks. If you get the tally up, you've got
Once
killing
you
blow.
hit
doesn't
killing
matter.
blow,
It's killing
it's-
blow.
it's-
yeah.
this just
when,
rockets.
when you do hit killing, and then you do run out of characters to kill.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do. But then by that point, you've got 6 attacks. So does it
So that
matter?
doesn't matter.
6 strength, 6 attacks for killing blow. Yeah. And
It's
poison.
just even like, it's just good.
This is a good one.
Yeah, it's just a good.
Very good.
Moving on, we have number 2, which is Cleaving Blow. The demon's close combat attacks have the multiple wounds 2 special rule.
Also good.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Good synergy with poison.
With good synergy poison, with the killing blow, it's kind of redundant. You usually just outright kill everything.
But you
Ace
only kill him
against
down
monsters.
1/6 of the time.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, that's good.
Like, it doesn't come up all the time. We're saying this as if, every attack you make on a multi-wound model is going to kill him below them. And it doesn't, as you say, it doesn't affect anything monstrous or monsters.
No, it doesn't. It said it is best against, say, ogres and everything like that, because you do...
Yeah, other characters before you've got to kill him below.
I think this is really, really, really scary with virulence against even like the most elite monsters in the game.
Yeah.
1/3 of my attacks auto wound,
And
doing
do
2
2
wounds.
Bleeding blow, would that stack with contagion? And mark wounds too, because you get additional strength 4 hit.
Absolutely, if you
Yeah.
rolled the...
You rolled a 6 and then it's...
Additional strength 4 hit.
additional-
No, it wouldn't, because it's not made with the weapon, is
What's
it?
the-
If
what's-
not
Basically,
made,
it's not a
strength 4
weapon.
It's
hit.
not a weapon, it's a rule.
It's the model, all of the models' attacks have multiple wounds
Yeah, I
too.
don't think it's an attack though, it's an automatic hit, strength 4.
If any more of these scores a 6 hit a poison attack, the target immediately suffers an additional automatic hit
No,
resolves at
so
strength
no.
4.
No, so no.
Based on the target, not the model doing it, but still very good.
It is very good as well. And then number 3 is Crushing Mass. The demon has the impact hits D3 special roll.
Don't bother.
Don't bother
Swap
with
it.
this one for Nurgle, that's rubbish.
Yeah.
You haven't got the movement to guarantee
That you're
going to
make those charges.
The strength
yeah.
is good for it, but the movement is not.
Yeah.
That's where it
Yeah,
comes
that's
down
it.
to.
Yeah.
Quick and easy on that one. Then we have 4, which is Dark Blessing. The demon has a 2+ ward save against the first wound it suffers in the battle.
Very good on the palanquin.
Yeah.
On your palanquin.
Character.
It's like your charm shield when you can't get a charm shield.
But for
Yeah.
me, this one is less good on Nurgle than some of the others because I think you generally don't take
The Lord
Lord
levels.
levels,
Yeah.
which I think is where it excels.
But then you
Yeah,
do
not bad on a BSB though.
Yeah.
So you,
Yes,
you
I
do
would,
you
though.
do see the palanquins and they are cannonball targets.
Yeah, it's very good on
Yeah.
the palanquin. That's it really.
But again,
for
if
me.
you roll, you have to roll for it. That's the only issue with these things. You have
Yeah,
to roll
it is
for it.
all random.
Number 5 is Noxious Breath. The demon has a strength 2 breath weapon. Armor saves cannot be taken against wounds caused by its attack. You don't have the mobility to get the flamer template into a unit for shoot and attack.
No, I'd use this in combat on Nurgle. Maybe if I had Lore of Death in the army with a bit of Soul Blight.
Lore of Nurgle can lower your.
can lower your
Yeah,
toughness,
Lore of
yeah.
Nurgle can lower toughness as well.
I mean,
The no armor saves is good.
If
helps
you get
get
some
through
Demon
armor.
Prince with the Lore of Nurgle with Curse of Leopard, which we'll talk about in a second or in a bit,
That could be strong.
it could work very well. But again, you
Yeah.
have to roll it. You have to get this.
It's having a roll curse,
Having to cast it.
this,
Yeah.
having wasted points on Demon Prince.
Yeah.
Harsh effect.
Please continue.
And then number 6 is Unnatural Swiftness, and the demon always strikes first.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's still good. You're less likely to get a reroll in Initiative 4,
But
The
you
fact you're
are
going
going to get
first.
your attacks.
but you're going to get your attacks.
And they are very good
and they're
attacks.
poisoned attacks.
Yeah.
And as Scott alluded to, you can swap all of these results for the 0 option, which is you can. The demon has a magic weapon of a value up to 25 points, chosen from Warhammer Rulebook. On the other side, one demon of Nurgle can instead choose, not choose instead, well, it works the same way. Instead, choose a plague
Max works
flail.
well.
A plague flail, if you didn't hear that.
Okay, so what's the plague flow?
So a plague flail is attacks made with this plague flail. I said that too many times. Are resolved at +2 strength in the first round of combat. Any character.
I mean, why don't they just say
It's a flail.
flail?
It's a flail.
Full stop.
Any character or monster suffers one or more unsaved wounds from the plague flail must immediately take a toughness test or suffer another wound with no armor saves allowed. I think it's.
I'm not a fan of this one.
There's some bits in the cheat sheet from what I saw that were written about it.
Is it poisoned?
No.
Oh, that's huge. That's rubbish.
It's
Yeah.
not poisoned.
You lose your poison for it. Most monsters are probably tough enough to pass the toughness test,
Yep.
unless you've got Curse of Leper. If it's an elf character, this is really upsetting. But a lot of the other results are as well.
Yeah, it's rubbish.
But even then, like the characters that take it, minimum strength 5.
Yeah.
You don't. Strength 7's a bit of an overkill at that point, in my opinion. Unless
don't.
you're fighting like monsters and stuff like that.
If the armor.
If I'm going to lose my poison, and I'm a grind army, I don't get stuff done in one.
No.
round
you
very
don't. You
often.
don't tear things
No.
apart in one
So
round combat.
I think if I'm going to lose my poison, I'd probably just take Sword of Might. to
Although,
strength 6.
it is worth saying, it doesn't replace their Plague Sword. So, you could use this in the first round of combat and then swap to your Plague Sword in the
Yeah,
sword
you
in the
could.
second, because they're both magic weapons, and if you have 2, you choose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. You could do
You
that.
could do
I
that.
still think I'd probably take Sword of Might.
So do I.
Yeah, and then obviously you got 25 points of magic weapon you can swap out for. So I think
Yeah.
there are with all Demons and Nurgle for the combat characters, there are a few that are generally accepted to be the best ones for them.
Yeah, I think Sword of Might is very good.
Sword of Might,
Sword of Battle solid for the extra attack.
Sword of +1 to hit, Sword of Striking,
Yeah, also very good.
Sword of ASF.
I think that's less good on these.
because they don't have the initiative.
Because they don't have the initiative and they lose the poison.
Yeah.
So for me, I think the first three you guys said are the right choices.
Yeah, obviously there are. I don't think there's many more other 25 weapons.
Not that I think are good on
No.
any Nurgle, not just Heralds, but any Nurgle
No,
model.
we've done the three that are good.
Yeah.
We have, so we're going to move on to the greater gift table.
Great gifts. These are 50 points per roll this time round, so doubling the points up there. And the first one is Unholy Sacrifice.
I think we'll skip it. Just don't take it.
This demon can choose to lose D3 wounds with no saves allowed at the start of any of your magic phases. If it does so, add D3 plus 1 dice to your power pool.
Look, if you're going full top tier Wall of Nurgle, you probably haven't got a wizard anymore.
No, you actually don't have wizards.
Weirdly, this is how powerful they are.
Yeah.
Magic is seen as like the mega dirt in
Like,
A.
oh, you need a level 4
And
just
it's like,
for
no,
dispelling
actually,
even.
the best
No.
build for these guys probably doesn't.
What I like to
do
see
well.
is that the fact that people go, you don't take a wizard because it's actually there's more chance of killing your models than your opponent does with the miscasts.
Yeah,
Which is mad.
I think
Especially if it's me.
even if you did, the key tenet of this army's success is that it's very hard to dispatch.
Yeah,
Why
so why are you
would
just
you make
giving
it
your opponent
easier to
D3
kill?
wounds?
Just stop, please.
Just don't
Just-
don't take this.
just swap it.
It kills your heralds half the time, and it can cripple your greater claimants if you
Yeah.
take them off.
Yeah.
Or your demon
Or you
princes.
doing princes.
Which you shouldn't have taken.
No.
Should we move on?
Let's move on to the 2 result, which is Corpulence. The demon has plus 1 wound.
Yeah, really good.
Really good.
This is great on a herald. This is great on a palanquin.
It's really good on a paladin.
This is great on a guo. Turns him into a 2-cannon problem.
Mate, go our 2-cannon problem. Which is very good.
There's nothing that this is bad on.
No, it's an extra wound. Wounds are always good.
Even on like Demon Prince, the 5th wound on Demon Prince is really
Yeah.
solid.
And
That's
because
really good.
the vast majority of your troops of your choices have already got a magic weapon that probably has poison,
Yeah.
you
All your models
you know,
apart from like
you're not sort of sorry you didn't get a magic sword
No.
on him so much.
No, and then so that's Corpulence, very good. Worth note, you can Arcane and Forge it.
Yeah,
You can.
we always
Very
laugh about
funny.
this.
Ban.
They all count as enchanted items. These
They do,
these
yeah.
gifts, so they-
Unless specified otherwise. So
Yeah.
obviously the weapons are weapons.
yes, and they can all be arcane unforged because the list of things that cannot be arcane unforged does not specify additional wounds from demons.
You can't. We can't additionally wound it to take another wound off of the.
Can if it's on a palanquin.
It's on a 6
can,
up.
can if it's on the palanquin. Can if it's got a second gift because it's like the guo or something.
Yeah.
And he's got the 2-up armor save.
Yeah. So number 3 on this list then is Incorporeal Strike. Armor saves cannot be taken against the demon's close combat attacks.
Really,
Very
really
good.
So
Yeah.
you see that a lot of your noble demons struggle to get through armor
Not so
naturally.
much anymore.
No, you're
Strength 5 minimum.
Strength 5, weapon skill 5.
Go back to that virulence
Yeah.
again. Third of
I
the.
poison you and I ignore armor.
Yep.
Just
Fantastic.
just
I've got a rune
ridiculous.
fang a third of the time.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Deal with it.
And this is something actually that we're going to keep doing. A lot of these results are really strong.
Yeah.
Unlike the other demons,
Yeah.
if you watch the other videos, you'll see there's quite a few, maybe 2 out of 6 on each of the tables we really rave about, and then the others we go, they've got problems. You know, they don't add a lot. For Nurgle, that's not the same.
No.
They all, you know, the
Pretty
tables are
much all
actually
of them.
4 out of 6 or 5 out of 6
Yeah.
that are
I
really,
was like,
really great.
apart from one.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
forget that exists.
And so 4 is Soul Eater. At the end of the phase in which demon causes 1 or more unsaved wounds in close combat, it regains a single lost wound.
Again, really good on one with a palanquin because he's more likely to take 1 or 2 wounds every round of combat.
Survive.
But he's also very likely to kill something every combat.
Yeah, I think this is again, it's good. Probably would think about the magic weapon for this one though, because I just
Maybe.
I'm not sure that you need it. But
But don't
again,
particularly need it, but it does make your model incredibly much harder.
even harder to kill.
Yeah,
you've got
I
to get
think
it in one.
I think on a herald on foot, I probably would swap it. On herald on a palanquin though,
might
I'd
think-
really think
yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
So you do have like 9 attacks from that model. to
Yeah.
get rid
Yeah,
of it.
because not a lot kills a 4 wound herald in a turn.
No.
Moving on, we have number 5, which is Unbreakable Skin. The demon has a 2+ armor save that cannot be improved by any means.
I mean, do we need to say anything? It's obviously fantastic.
Your demons
ESB, Palanquin,
Guo,
Guo,
Demon
Demon
Prince.
Demon
Prince.
Prince.
Can
You-
it take a gift?
Yeah.
Can you roll 5?
You do feel like you wasted the 20 points on Chaos Armor for the Demon Prince, which is a shame.
Yeah, but to be fair,
But-
you should feel like you've wasted the first 350 points you spent on him as well.
Come on
Fair.
now. Come on now.
No, it's fair.
He's trying.
He's not trying hard enough.
What he's trying to do is give away a load of VPs
Yeah.
in an army that doesn't give them away.
But yeah, that's probably the one you're fishing for a lot with the great gifts.
Yeah, I mean they're all
Yeah.
they're all good, but this is
they're all
probably
good.
the best.
That's the
Probably
main
is probably
one.
the best.
And then number 6 is Unholy Flurry. The demon has +2 attacks.
Yeah, fantastic. Your one bad stat, really, for combat, and not even bad, just your worst combat
Your one
stat.
average stat.
Yeah. You're suddenly 5s on everything that's important.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that take stills of my face just going like, in this video, because I'm just doing it all the time. Yeah.
So that's it, and as per normal, you can swap all these for the 0 result, which is the demon has a magic weapon of value up to 50 points. Or a demon of Nurgle can instead choose a Bale Sword.
Oh, I love this so much.
I think everyone loves this sword. So the Bale Sword is it's a magic weapon as normal. Attacks made with the Bale Sword have the poison attacks, so it's a plague
So
sword.
you don't lose the Blade Sword bonus.
And you gain multiple wounds D3.
Oh, it's so
So
good.
it has really good synergy with
Virulence.
the virulence again. And this guy now kills basically everything. He's Omni Threat.
Yeah, he's very scary for sort of hero level characters. Those 2 wound characters, I poison you probably on a 5. I'm strength 5, so I'll get through a decent nick of armour before the tally.
Before the tally, yeah.
And then 1 wound gets through, I should kill you. I should kill you outright.
Oh,
Yeah,
you've got a lot
terrifying.
of monstrous stuff, and to counter my killing blow. It'd be a shame if someone had multiple wounds.
Here's like 3 dead ogres.
It's ridiculous how good this thing. You would
It's
pay
a
50
machine.
points. You'd pay
Fantastic.
50 points in any army for this sort of
Oh,
weapon.
Absolutely.
100%. For me, I always put a greater gift on my herald.
Yeah,
always.
I think that's it.
And
If I don't roll armour or +1 attack, +1 wound, I take this.
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Basically.
a lot of people who do take Herald and Nurgle just do take 50 points and say, if it's not what I want, it's a Battle Sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen Matt Bass go, if it's not that's not what I want, that's a Battle Sword now.
Yeah.
Like, there are times when you're like, actually, there's probably a better sword.
It's a 50 point. You do get a lot of choice for 50 points for your magic weapons.
You can obviously, you've got access to all the ones we said for the lesser gift
Yep.
table. You've also got the Ogre Blade. You've got the Sword of Strife. You've got Obsidian Blade, which is very good. If you're coming up against a lot of knights, or really heavily armored stuff, and you're worried that you're not going to be able to build the tally that quickly, because it's not going to be that easy to get through their armor. This guy with the Obsidian Blade or with the Ogre Blade just carves through them.
Yeah, he does. I think that those ones we've said there are very good for him. I think that he can make hay with the sort of Strife, the +2 attacks against
Yeah.
things like Skaven and Empire,
Yeah.
stuff that he generally doesn't need to worry too much about the quality. I think with him, he sacrifices the poison, and there's a lot of synergy for the poison
There
in
is
the army.
there's a hell of a lot of
But he
synergy
does
with
still get
poisons.
to add the killing blow to it. Said this on other videos as well. Sort of anti-heroes is another one that
that's
can work
That's
for
a
him
personal
too.
favourite of yours as well.
Yeah.
I think it's less good than it is on some of the other
Heralds.
heralds, but I think it can still work on him.
I think one that I, to be fair, have never really used on him is Fencer's Blades.
Weapon skill 10, Demon and Nurgle.
Weapon skill 10, you might as well hit
Demon
me.
Nurgle, that's really
Try and kill
powerful,
me.
isn't it? And he gets a 4th attack.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at stuff like the Arch Lecter with the White Cloak and the Fencer's Blades, the same sort of tactic, and you see how good that works.
And
now you're looking
he's
at
actually
Demon.
harder to kill because
Yeah.
he's toughness 5.
The one less wound, but then you could possibly... you can't get enough.
No, you
Yeah.
could put him on a palanquin though.
You
Give
could-
him one more wing.
You
He's
could.
got more. Yeah, I mean, there you go, ladies and gents. Really
So good.
Well, we've given you all of our best thoughts there.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
I'm with Scott there. I think the Fence Blade with Strength 5 naturally, I think, and plus possibly +1 Strength from Epi and Killing Blow, I think the Fence Blade is probably the way to go at that
That's
point.
very, very scary,
if you're
isn't
not
it?
going
It's
to
terrifying.
if you're not
I might
taking
swap for that a bit more often.
if you're not taking the Battle Sword,
Yeah.
I mean, and this is the joy of the gifts. You can choose at the beginning of the
Yeah.
game if you need the Battle Sword or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah,
If you're
there's-
fighting like loads of like Skaven or
Yeah.
Undead or anything like that, you just one wound pieces, models, you can just absolutely deck them.
Yeah.
The ogres take Battle Sword, Fencer's Blade. You're laughing.
There's
Really good on a BSB to help people.
there's
alive.
this sort of flip here, which we've said on some of the others, but I've
Yeah.
not said it on here, which is you can't keep it secret what you've got
Keep your secret
from
Keep it
your
safe.
opponent. You can't keep your items, if you like,
Yeah.
secret
Yeah.
from your opponent, but you can get
You
the
can tailor them.
customization.
Yeah.
By saying, well, actually, I'm fighting ratmen or goblins, I'll take the fences.
It is a
Um,
double-edged sword. in some
Yeah, and
ways.
I think you both sort of feel that it's
I
better
think,
overall.
yeah, I think it leans towards being a benefit.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
rather
do as
than
well.
a weakness, and I'm inclined to
Well,
be convinced by that.
it doesn't matter if your opponent knows you have a Bale sword and he's playing ogres.
There's not like you can do about it,
The
is there?
ogres are either one, stay away from you, or two, just be absolutely terrified of getting into you.
What are they going to do? Throw nobblers at you?
Okay.
Hopefully.
Build. Okay.
Build the tally.
Build a tally.
Yeah. Give me a rerollable ward save. Thanks, guys.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
So all the great gifts are really good on Heralds of Nurgle.
Yeah,
Heralds
pretty
of-
much all of them.
they're-
Bar one.
Yep.
Is good.
All good.
Yeah.
Magic weapons galore as well.
Absolutely.
Ridiculous.
On to the final table then, the Exalted
Yeah,
Gifts.
Exalted Gifts. So they're 75 points a roll.
So, relegated to Demon Princes or Guos only.
Guos.
Which you're going to
They do
see
it.
a lot less of in a Nurgle.
You are. To be honest, you're probably
Yeah.
probably never going to see this in a competitive one.
No.
So we'll start off anyway. So number 1 is Aura of Disruption. Any dispel attempt you make while this model's on the table receives an extra 3 dispel dice.
This is good because there is a spell called Purple Sun.
Yes.
Yeah.
If they don't battle that, you are just chucking
So
all you like.
this is good for Demons of Nurgle. If you've gone down this route, you should have a level 4, and this will be a good choice.
What I do like about this though is that it's not the wizard that has it gets +1 to spell. All your dispelling attempts get +1
Plus
to spell.
one,
So
yeah.
even like your heralds, if they're wizards, your demon prince or anything like that, if something else has this item, everyone gets +1 the extra dice.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this I think's good if you're fighting the Death Mage with Purple Sun. I think it becomes less good after that because they're just so tough. They can
don't
they
actually
can just
care about
take-
most of the
They
spells.
can take it.
Yeah,
They really can.
you don't care about the strength test because 2/3 of the time you're passing.
And maybe more once the tallies. Once you hit
tallies-
7.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean we could wax lyrical about that all day long, but
It's good, but maybe not so.
situational.
Yeah.
So then move on to number 2, which is Sorcerer's Lodestone, which is whenever a spell is successfully cast by a wizard, roll d6. The demon regains a wound lost earlier in the battle on a 5+. Whenever a spell is miscast by any wizard on the demon, it says suffers a wound on a 4+.
No.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
No, you like
Again.
like Scott was saying earlier. You're probably not going to even take a wizard.
No. And you're also giving your opponent a chance to wound your figures easily.
Which don't get wounded easily.
I don't know about this. You're thinking of other ways in which you, apart from fighting these things,
Yeah.
these are the only way you're easily wounding like models.
Yeah, it's just giving them a much easier way to wound them, and you don't want to do that. That's your big strength, is
Yep.
you don't get wounded very
You
easily.
just don't die.
So we are on situational and trash so far
Yes.
on this chart. Let's
It's not
see.
going to get any better in the next one. So we have number 3, which is Bringer of the Swarm. At the end of every close combat phase in which a demon causes 1 or more unsaved wounds, a unit of Chaos Furies is created. The unit consists of 1 Chaos Fury for every unsaved wound caused. The unit must be placed wholly within 6 inches of the demon, and cannot be placed within 1 inch of another unit or impassable terrain. If any model cannot be placed because there isn't enough room or you do not have sufficient models, it is lost. Units created in this way do not award victory points.
So another minute of all of our lives we're not getting back.
I'm sorry.
so
I'm sorry.
4 times
So
I'm going to
rubbish.
have to critique this. 4 times. Okay, so let's lay it out.
And
there.
every
Let's
time
try
you're
and-
going to lay out the fundamentals.
I'm going to try and lay out the fundamentals, if you will. I'm going to try and save us all some time. I'm going to hit it in bullet points. And if you guys think I'm missing something, jump in. The Furies arrive without marks, as these guys pointed out in one of the other videos. So they are leadership 2 and ergo trash.
And don't even add to the tally.
And don't add to the tally. Even worse. Only because there is only tally. It's like Zool in Ghostbusters. So
There is no demon, there is only tally.
there is only tally. The second point is that they have to be placed within 6 of a dude who is relatively slow moving, unless he is a flying demon prince. Which you know, it might help, meaning that the flying demon prince doesn't get charged by something, but that really is going to be the extent of which you can maximise the use of this rubbish thing. It's there's other things. I'm going to get really frustrated.
You're going to have a lot of models.
Yeah,
A
you
lot
are.
of spare Furies.
A lot of spare Furies. The Furies also, with the kind of
It's just rubbish.
So
I'm losing. I've
yeah,
lost
it's
track of
just
it.
the
I've
start.
just gone.
Rubbish.
You can get units of
I'll
1
get more
Fury.
concise.
You get units of 1 Fury, which is okay in terms if you want to have like a quick redirect. But
I've already put my monster into a fight as well.
yeah. To be honest, at that point in time, Nurgle demons don't particularly need to have
Yeah, they
redirectors.
No,
They don't
everything's
really
already.
care.
It's just there.
Yeah.
The monsters are probably the last thing to have gone in as
Yeah.
well.
If anything, the Chaff Units in your army are not going for redirecting; they're going for the backfield targets.
Yeah, it's already been done. It's just rubbish. Leave it at home.
Let's move on.
So number 4 is Impenetrable Hide. The demon has +2 toughness.
In the toughest generic models in the book.
I can see this
I just
on
don't
it.
think you need it.
I'm sorry, I can see it's on Herald. Herald can't take
Heralds
it.
can't take it.
No, this is
Great
this
on
is probably at its best on the. You're probably going to feel the best effects of this on the Demon Prince because he goes
Yep.
from 5 to 7. The Guo's already 7,
The
so
it does help.
most things already wound him.
Does help him out against the
sixes.
cannibal. means cannons winning
And
on
stone throwers.
and stone throwers winning. Stone throwers winning on
Winning
4s,
4.
unless it's a big stone thrower like a
Yeah.
skull cannon or a hell cannon or the trebuchet. They're winning on 3s, or cannons winning on 3s.
Yeah, so that does help him there.
But they're getting toughness 9. It's just a bit of an overkill against everything else.
Yeah, again, you just don't really need it.
Toughness 7's really good.
It doesn't
toughness.
really change what he's weak to. It does slightly for the Demon Prince because it gives him a little more protection against
Yeah.
Strength 6.
It does.
Yeah.
I suppose it gives them both a little more protection against Strength 6 actually.
Yeah.
But
Less for the Guo, because it's only 1 point. For the Demon Prince, it's 2.
2, yeah.
difference.
But I mean, overall, this is really rough for 75. It's
Yeah.
worth 75 points, just not on these
Not
guys.
on guys that were already this tough.
Yeah.
So number 5 is Massive Might. The demon has +3 strength.
Don't really
They're
need
already
it. again.
strong enough.
The
Yeah.
Demon Prince and the Guo will go up to strength 9.
Problem with the Guo is his biggest issue is likely to be hitting.
Not wounding.
Not wounding.
Yeah.
If you worry about hitting, you drop 50 points, take 25 points sword, and go sword +1 to hit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like but that's more likely to be an issue because he's the lowest sort of weapons guy. 6 is still very good.
You need
but,
all you need all of his attacks to hit.
but he only has 5.
You
Yeah,
only has 5
and
attacks.
stuff like that,
You need
so-
you need them to.
Or you go for a greater gift and you go for Fencer's Blades.
You do that because we
Oh,
discussed.
there's loads of options
Yeah.
here. Like, let's just leave this.
And then number 6 result for Exalted Gifts is the Doubly Blessed. Roll again on this table, re-rolling further results of 6, and once on the Lesser Gifts table. The demon receives both gifts at no additional cost.
So this is the best option on the table for Nurgle,
yeah.
Yep.
I think, because it gives you a chance to get something off the 25-point table
Yep.
for free, and then
If
I
you-
assume if you've took this table, you're swapping it for one of the Hellforged artifacts, which
Yeah.
we'll talk
'Cause
about now.
you're not
'Cause you're
aiming
not
for one of
swapping
these
it for one of
results.
those results, I'm assuming.
So you're saying 75 points per roll for a 1 in 6 chance to actually get what you want.
Well, no, you'll guarantee getting.
Oh, you
the-
get-
Guarantee getting the artifact. Just
Hellfire.
1 in 6 times you'll get 25 points worth of stuff.
and I'm
for
not
free.
sure you can sell me an artifact from the list of 4 we're about to cover that actually makes a Nurgle
For a
demon
Noble
any
Demon's
better,
Own, no.
because we nerf one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we didn't, it would be filth.
It would be an auto include and
Yeah.
was in the competitive scene
Yeah.
for some time. So,
So
should we
yeah,
chat about them?
so yeah, if you can, as per the other 2 tables, you can swap out for a Hellforged artifact. So no 75-point magic weapon to swap out for this
Nope.
time. You have your generic magic items, if in a sense. These are all enchanted items, apart from one of them, which is a magic weapon. If that makes a difference to anyone's game plans. So the first one up we have is a portal glyph. So if your army contains the portal glyph, you can choose to keep a single unit in the Realm of Chaos instead of deploying it at the start of the game. The portal glyph can be placed in any of your remaining move subphases. If the bearer is slain, he must immediately place the portal glyph before being removed as a casualty. In either case, place a counter or suitable marker within 12 inches of the bearer and scatter it 3d6 inches. 6d6 if he was slain. If the counter ends up off the board or within 1 inch of a unit or impassable terrain, alter the scatter distance by the smallest amount possible to ensure the counter is placed 1 inch beyond or before the obstruction. Second paragraph. Once the portal glyph has been placed, the unit in the Realm of Chaos can enter play through the portal glyph during the remaining move subphase of any subsequent friendly turn. When the unit does so, place it facing any direction provided that the unit has at least as many files as it has ranks. The rear of the back rank is in base contact with the counter. No model is more than 12 inches from the counter, and the unit is not within 1 inch of another unit's impassable terrain or board edge. The unit can then move normally, but not march.
Wordy.
So
Yeah,
on a
there's
flying Demon Prince, it could allow you to lob your Pokeball. Other franchises are available over the top of an enemy and choose Beast of Nurgle behind them.
Which is a terrifying
yes.
prospect.
So I'm clutching for tactical option here. I think
Yes.
the problem is that
The previous tactical option for it was hide Epi.
hide Epidemus in it, but we at our event and actually at every event I've been to in the last 10 years, other than Games Workshop events, say that Epidemus has to be on the table to count his tally. So
Yep.
he can't be in the glyph, because what people did was chopped him in the glyph and then said, "Oh, that's really
You
cool.
just can't kill him."
You can't kill him because he's in the glyph, mate."
Doesn't mean you have
And I
got
get
to
my
take.
tally.
It doesn't mean you have got. You could just take just a bare bones Demon Prince
Yeah.
to get that at that point in time.
Well, that's what people did.
You take
They
a
just-
325 point
that-
Demon Prince with nothing.
Well, they took the wizard levels on him and the glyph basically.
I just be more bothered with wizard levels. I take
Well,
bare
they
bones.
took the wizard levels, fly him to the end of the battle line, chuck the big Nurgle vortex, and see how many
Or a purple sun.
No,
sticks
you-
they
No,
can
no,
put
it's
on
how
it.
they want for
See
the
how many
tally.
sticks they can
Yeah,
put on the tally on like turn 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is just broken. That's just so
Yeah.
unbelievable. Because even if you kill Demon Prince, Epi doesn't have to count the
No,
glyph.
no. So the Pokeball thing comes out. But Epi can still sit in there.
He's
and be
just
like,
sit-
yeah, I'm
I
fine.
have fact he's
I'm good.
I have fact he opened a door to his hut, and Epi's just like, "You alright, guys?"
I like to think he's got like a crystal ball, so
Yeah.
he's like seeing the battle through the crystal
Would
ball.
love to be there today, but I've got just stacks of paperwork to catch up
Yeah.
on. So
And he's an accountant, so
does happen.
I'll move the beads over as you give me the.
move the beats
The
of his
nods.
abacus.
Yeah, so I mean, not a lot of use, a lot of points invested to get a reasonable tactical reward, but probably not one that's worth having in an army as tough and as robust as
Yeah.
this.
He's scary having the unit Beast of Nurgle, but you're
spending a lot of points.
You're
for it.
holding the Beast of Nurgle back for a few turns, and they can't
Yeah,
do
because
anything.
you're probably going to lob the Pokeball on your turn 2, then they'll
Yeah.
they'll
to guarantee
come out,
that they're like behind
and
the
then
enemy.
they'll
Maybe
then
not
they'll
turn 2. You
drop on
can,
turn
you can,
3.
if you can get in the opponent's backfield on turn 1. You're 12 inches up, 20-inch move, then lob it 12 inches.
Yeah, it's whether he's exposed.
Mm.
I know you've got the Pokeball, so
Yeah.
you know when you generate, so
Yeah.
I can sort of think about that. But yeah, you're not wrong there. I mean, it's definitely good in that sense, but I just don't think that the sort of 400 points.
You're
invested in
definitely
is-
paying the tax of having the model that it has to go on.
Yeah, I think you're much better
Yeah,
to
it's
just
way
turn
worth
that
that.
into an extra like 6 beasts and run them at your opponent.
100%.
Yep, so moving on with the Rock of Inevitability.
Rubbish.
Do we have to?
We have to do this another 2 times after this.
Brilliant.
So, 1 use only. The bearer of the Rock of Inevitability can use it at the end of any movement phase. It places a cursed bulwark, an obstacle up to 8 inches long, anywhere within 6 inches of the bearer. It cannot be placed on top of or within 1 inch of a unit or placed on a terrain feature other than a hill. At the end of each of your turns, roll a d6. On a score of 1 to 3, nothing happens. On a 4 to 5, place a further cursed bulwark. On a roll of 6, place a cursed tower, a citadel, watchtower, or other building of similar size. Cursed terrain features placed in this way must be positioned touching an existing cursed terrain feature and cannot be placed on top of a unit or terrain feature other than a hill or forest. If the terrain feature cannot be placed or you don't have the relevant terrain feature, then nothing is placed. Cursed bulwarks are walls and cursed towers are buildings. A model from the Forces of Order that is in base concept of either a cursed tower or cursed bulwark suffers a -2 penalty to initiative.
Wordy for trash.
In addition, if you take this item and make your cursed bulwarks and buildings really themed to like your god, you'll get 1 crisp high five from me.
How about a crisp high five?
It's just rubbish.
Good job, bro.
It's so rubbish.
It's there's no. It's so you don't even. It doesn't have
There is
like-
no tactical ploy
It's good
to
for,
this.
we've said it before, it's really good for defensive armies that could
Yeah.
could man the walls, if you
Yeah.
like. Chaos dwarves for shooting, regular dwarves, wood elves, those types
Empire
of lists
even, yeah.
that could man the walls and then benefit from when your opponent charges, having the loss of their kind of
Yeah.
strength bonuses, devastating charge, things like that,
Mm.
from hitting the wall. But you know, Nurgle can't really do that. Now, don't get me wrong, a grand army, really big game. Maybe you rock this with Kugath the Plague Father, 2 or more soul grinders, man in the wall, throwing their stuff.
Man the barricades!
I've literally
Even
worked
then-
very hard to come up with that.
Even then,
It's still rubbish.
you've still got to have enough turns to grow
Yeah.
your little fort.
And then also roll the dice to get your pieces
Yeah,
of fort together.
exactly.
So 4+. There's half the time you're
Can
actually
you imagine
getting
just
it.
paying 75 points
And you
to
just
get,
have the
to get
one
one
wall.
section of wall
To
that
get
big?
an 8-inch piece, long piece
Yeah.
terrain.
Which you look at and go, I'm basically getting an soul grinder behind that.
Man and barricade.
Uh,
It's rubbish.
rubbish.
Don't take it, guys.
Never
Absolutely.
ever take it.
Let's move on.
Unless you like really meme it.
No, not unless anything. Just don't take it.
Mimi, be Mimi.
Move on.
The Eternal Blade.
So the Eternal Blade, which is your only magic weapon, obviously because it's a blade. So you roll a d3 at the start of each round of combat. The bearer's weapon skill, strength, initiative, and attacks are increased by this amount until the end of the phase.
Now this actually isn't bad on a great
No, the girl actually makes a good use out of this.
Yeah.
yeah, he does.
The problem is you have to take a great and clean one and get him into combat.
and take an exalted gift.
Initiative's
And,
really good
yeah.
for him.
Yeah,
Initiative-
attacks is pretty good.
Attacks is pretty good.
Weapon skills very
Weapon
good.
skills very
Strength's
good.
pretty good.
Strength's already good, but
Yeah.
you're not going to turn it down.
I just don't know if I think that the 75 points for that could not be better spent on other gifts. I do know I'm going to get it, but it is random. 75 points for random things, that makes me very concerned.
Obviously, you can take. I think we've spoken about it in the other Demon Deep Dives. You can take the 50 points or 25 point sword, a +1 attack or strength, +2 attacks or strength, ogre, strife, battle or might.
I think the difference though with the Guo is that he actually benefits from all of
so
those
much all of
stats.
them,
All the
yeah.
stats.
Whereas, say like a Bloodthirster or a
Keeper
Keeper
Secrets,
Secrets, a Demon Prince, they really only benefit from the strength for attacks. So pick your poison and save your points. Whereas for him, I think your argument really stands up, Scott, which is that he gets
does
a
actually
huge
benefit
benefit
from
from
all of
all
them.
of the stats being
Yeah,
buffed.
all those stats are not great for this Grand Claymore apart from strength, which is good.
I would
Which is
hedge
good
my
enough,
bets
but-
and say if you're going to do one of these, if you really like the idea of Exalted,
Take this one.
this is probably the one, and it's probably just for the Guo.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother on a new imprint.
No, I wouldn't either. I'd take the other gifts.
So,
I'd
moving
take
from the
Empress.
Eternal Blade into the last Hellforged artifact is the Chromatic Tome. So, you can choose to reroll the Winds of Magic dice in your turn. However, if you do so, your opponent can also reroll the Winds of Magic dice in his turn, if he wishes. In either case, all the Winds of Magic dice must be rerolled, giving your opponent more chance to get more dice for Purple Sun.
No, look, if you've taken this, you will have taken a wizard, I assume, because I can't imagine you've gone. So I'm going to go for the
Go for
the Demon Prince
with no
with
wizard
no
levels.
wizard levels.
No wizard levels on my heralds, and
Yeah.
re-roll my magic dice.
You're purely taking this purely just to change up the Reign of Chaos.
Which
Which is-
the result the result that hits you, we talked about this earlier in the video.
yeah.
You don't care.
No.
You don't care about the strength 4 hits from the little template of rubbishness. Go away, Zinch.
You might even care about the -1 to ward save. You've got regen.
You might not. Even then, if you get to the tally for re-roll it, I know it's not good, but statistically, it's
Six
really
six
it's,
reroll.
it's basically the same as what
Yeah.
you start on a 5-up ward save with the re-roll. It's
not-
statistically about the same pass rate. So
And you're just helping your opponent at that point in time
I
as well.
think you are
Yeah.
helping him a lot more than you're helping yourself, particularly. And we've talked about this before when we talked about Manfred as well. You roll a double, even like unless it's a 4. You probably keep it.
Yeah.
You roll close numbers, a 3 and a 4, 5 and a 3, 5 and a 4. Well, those combinations I'll keep all of.
Yeah.
A 6 and anything 4
Even
or
3 and a 2, I'd probably keep.
yeah, I think I would. Yeah, a 6 and anything 4 or greater.
Yeah.
I would definitely keep. I
Yeah.
might even keep 3 or greater, to be honest. 9 dice is pretty spicy, and I have to reroll both on this.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm going to want
You
to
don't
throw
get
for less
choice.
than 9.
No.
So now you're looking and thinking, well, actually, now I rephrase that to anything 7 plus. I
Yeah.
would probably keep.
Yeah.
You're really not. You're not giving yourself a lot of options of what you actually
I'm
want to change
basically
up.
just going to reroll if I roll a 4.
Yeah.
3 and a 1,
Even
1
then
and
you don't
3,
particularly
double
need
2.
it.
Yeah. 3
So
results.
3
out of
results, that's
36.
36 combinations. Otherwise, I probably just don't care enough
Yeah.
to worry about this, particularly if I've not taken
Yeah.
the
A
wizard
wizard,
levels.
Yeah.
It's
Or
just-
kept to go at like level 1.
it was really popular when the book came out. I think people got really scared
By
by
the
the
brain,
table,
yeah.
and they got really excited by the potential of the table.
Yeah.
And I think actually, when it boils down, you spend a ton of points to get this in, and don't actually ever feel the benefit of those points.
No.
I'm sure you're all going to have the story of the game where it saved you from getting obliterated, but in reality,
Those are one-off
across a
chances.
GT in terms of a real competitive sense, I would wager that the chances of it really coming up trumps at the crucial moment is pretty negligible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, so would I. So weirdly enough, the Eternal Blade probably the better one out of a lot of them.
Yeah.
and only for the good.
Only for
Only
the
on
Brown
the
Claymore.
duo.
Yeah. But that is it, isn't it? That is all of
That's
our
all the gifts done.
demonic gifts. We have made our way through the tables. So I think in general, for me, a herald, I'm looking at a greater gift, a single greater gift.
Yeah,
Um,
especially with Herald and Noble. Yeah.
yeah, if I take a great unclean one, I'm probably looking at 2 greaters, I think.
Battle sword, yeah. Battle sword and something off the chart.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's I agree.
A Demon Prince, probably a greater and a lesser.
Yeah.
Because you want to get the most out of him, you spent the points. And
You
then
don't-
probably go greater and a
You
lesser.
don't need the exotic gifts.
I'd
at
never
all.
go exalted gifts. No, I think I'd rather have 2 greater gifts than an exalted and a lesser on a great unclean one for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think whatever type of herald, whether I was going for a choppy or
Mm.
whether I was going for my BSB 100% would get a greater.
Yeah.
If I was going for a cheap choppy herald, I might not take a gift at all actually.
Yeah.
No,
I
they
think
don't.
the
They
stats
don't.
are pretty
You
strong.
don't
don't particularly
need
need it.
But if I did, it would be a greater.
Mm.
And like you said, I'd probably go double greater on a Guo. And the same on the Demon Prince as you, mate, one of
Yeah.
each flavour, and leave the exotic gifts at home.
Yeah. What about you next?
Yeah, for Nurgle, I think it's entirely the same. So as we spoke, all the greater gifts are good. on a Herald of Nurgle.
Yeah.
Even if it's not your BSB, just a
Yeah.
great gift. And all of them, apart from one, which is trash and everything.
Yeah.
He's really good. I personally like the lesser gifts, but I don't think they're good on the.
I don't
Nurgle
think
model.
they're as good on the Nurgle
For
models.
Nurgle, no.
I think the second chart, the greater one,
That's where it's at.
skyrockets Nurgle.
Surprising enough, makes the best stuff even better.
Yes. We agree for once. We agree on everything. What a shot.
We agree quite regularly, actually.
He has some weird thoughts
Yeah, he
that we have
does.
to just sort of put down.
It's a bit odd, though.
Put
Isn't
him
it?
down.
Yeah. On that note, shall we move on to the Lore of Nurgle, lads?
Let's do it, mate.
Let's do that.
So, on to the Lore of Nurgle then. And we are going to start with the lore attribute, which is Children of Nurgle. And I'm going to let Max read out what it does.
Yep. So children.
Children.
Children of Nurgle.
Max
when-
Wordsworth.
Oh, every time. When a demon casts a spell from the Lore of Nurgle. When a demon casts a spell from the Lore of Nurgle that causes one or more unsafe wounds, choose a unit of Plague Bearers or Nurglings within 12 inches of the caster and roll a d6 for each wound caused. If that unit is a Plague Bearer, add 1 to the units for each result of a 5 or a 6. If the unit is a Nurglings, add 1 base to the units for each result of a 6. Models added 1 at a time to the back rank. That's a really poorly worded. Models
are added.
Are
one
added.
at a
Sorry.
time
All
to
right.
the back rank.
Yes, I missed the
Worded perfectly
when
well.
you leave the words
Yeah.
out.
Okay, worded well, and I can't do it in the heat.
Should we maybe give the book to
No,
Max?
no,
To James.
No.
sorry, mate.
You don't even know where he is.
No.
No.
my job. Where am I?
Models are added to the back
Yeah.
rank.
Models that cannot be placed because there isn't enough room or you do not have sufficient models are lost. Models created in this way have no upgrades and don't award additional victory points.
Have to be within
Right, okay.
12 of the cast has to be within 12 of one of the units.
Yeah.
Then has to roll a dice, which is conditional, and is based on a number of wounds. Look, to be honest, beyond the Vortex spell, you don't do a lot of wounds with this lot.
Not really,
You're-
no.
you-
It's only got 3 damage spells as it is.
Yeah.
Your
By
range
which is the
limitations,
Vortex.
which is quite a good magic missile,
It's not bad actually. Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot about that. What's the range on it?
18.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, but yeah, overall, it's hard to use well when a lore that doesn't do a lot of wounds.
Yeah, and one of the damage spells is trash, I want to say.
Yeah, you get the most options out of it with Plague Wind, which is the
Yes.
Vortex.
Yeah.
But it's hard enough for you to get good use out of Vortex if you're not flying Demon Prince.
And then you've got to still be within 12 of the unit
And
that
then
you
you've
can get the
probably
models
flown
back.
off because you're doing that early
Yeah,
doors
exactly.
to build your tally quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it struggles
really
to have a
not
big
very good.
impact. This lore, this attribute, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to the signature spell then, which is Stream of Corruption, which is coincidentally one of those 3 damage spells.
Mhm.
It's the trash one. It casts on a 7. It is a direct damage spell that places the flame template in base contact with the model. All models touched must pass a toughness test or take a wound with no armor saves allowed. That's very much the theme of the lore.
Mhm.
You do need to be pretty manoeuvrable to sort of make the most of this, at least
Yeah.
quick.
Which Nurgle does struggle with
It
sometimes.
does, yeah. Really, you're looking at a flying demon prince.
Again,
Yeah,
If you get this on a herald, I suppose it's not dreadful once he's in combat.
you
to
can't
just
use it
sort
in combat
you
though.
can't.
Does it specifically
Direct
say
damage.
It's direct damage,
Oh,
man.
direct damage, of course.
It's a
yeah.
direct damage spell. You can't use direct damage in combat.
Yeah. Oh no, it's awful, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, I just realised it was a hex for some
No.
silly reason.
If it was a hex,
that'd be
it's actually
significantly
really good.
better.
But
Yeah,
it's direct damage.
It's not bad for building the tally against poorer armies with the landing the demon prince
Yeah.
next.
I
to
mean, you
stuff.
could, if
Yeah.
you want to, you could just move up an inch in front of your enemy and then just blow it. If you try to cast it.
yeah. I suppose
But what with-
you don't actually
With
mind
your herald, you don't mind getting charged.
getting
Yeah,
charged.
maybe then,
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
But-
could just march up, but again,
niche. Just charge and
It's
kill them in
hard.
combat.
it's hard to get the most out of this.
Yeah, they've got to then not have dispelled it, haven't they?
Yeah.
And again, like they've got to fail the toughness tests and
And-
not have a ward save or magic resistance, any of that stuff.
Just charge, kill them in combat.
Yeah, leave it.
So the first spell proper then is Miasma of Pestilence. It's another lengthy one, so I'll let Max read this one out.
Thank you. So it's cast on 5 plus, and it's an augment spell with a range of 18 inches. Until the start of the caster's next magic phase, all enemy units in base contact with a target reduce their weapon skill and initiative by 1 to a minimum of 1. The wizard could choose to cast a more powerful version of the spell that instead reduces the weapon skill initiative of all enemy units in base contact with the target units by D3. Roll once and apply a result for both stats. If he does so, the casting value is increased to 10 plus.
10 plus for that.
This is it's an augment spell, but it's sort of like an augment spell that acts as a hex.
Yeah.
It's weird because when I got first told about it, I was like, "Oh, that's a hex spell, isn't it?" I was like, "No, it's cast on my unit." I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
It's really
Yeah.
strong because it allows you to protect your crucial Plague Bearer block, particularly if you put Epidemus in it, even more than you can now. Has incredible synergy with the Fear special rule as well.
Yep.
Because does it say to a minimum?
Minimum
of 1?
1 for the spell, yeah. You can't go below 1.
Okay.
Sorry, apologies. It doesn't. I lied.
It does, however, have excellent synergy with the Demon of Nurgle rule of -1 to be hit.
Yes.
Very
particularly against weapon skill 4 opponents, because suddenly they're hitting you on 5s.
Yeah, they are.
Really harsh.
Yeah, even just like weapon skill 4 is like not the elite weapon skill, but it's sort of like the semi-elite weapon skill of a lot of like either special or top-end core units.
Do you know what? Like Bretonian stuff.
Outside of elves.
Yeah, most Bretonian stuff is weapon skill 4 or less.
But even elves and warriors of chaos, you only have to drop their points by 2. Half the time they're
Yeah,
hitting you on
for
5.
D3, yeah.
D3, like half the time they're getting they're being hit by that.
And what does it go up to? It goes from a
5 to a 10.
Yeah, for the D3 version, I think would be the way I'd be looking
Yeah.
at it, because almost everything that you will fight will suddenly hit you on a 5 as a result of this spell.
And you have
That's incredible.
so many units that can make use of this. The Beasts of Nurgle, Nurglings,
Yeah.
Plague Bearers,
Even though
Plague
I think
Drums.
I think it's particularly good on your Plague Bearers.
It is, yes. That's where it's mainly at. That's a sweet spot for it.
Yeah, I agree.
Very
That's
good. Blades of Putrefaction next. It's an augment with a range of 12, cast on an 8+, and grants poison or sort of extra poison. If you already got it, it's poison on 5.
Yeah. Time already have poison, all more wounds on all 5 or 6 as well.
Yeah, most Nurgle demons already have poison. It's only Nurglings that don't and can't be upgraded to have it, and Furies, to be fair.
And Palanquins.
Yeah, well, they are just Nurglings.
Yeah. Nurglings with a chair.
But Nurglings with a chair. But even casting it on the units that do have poison, it really buffs their output, especially beasts.
It's very good on beasts.
Yeah,
this one very, very strong.
Unfortunately, it doesn't combine with the locus of extra
No, it
poison,
doesn't.
because both specify it's on a 5+.
I did
it's not
check
+1.
this as
I've
well.
checked that like 4 times. I really want it to just magically change. But it is very good on beasts. It's also pretty good on the flyers if you upgrade them to have poison attacks as
I
well.
really like this on beasts a lot, because I think you'll probably have virulence. If you're taking regen, though, you're very, very good. Or the exalted locust, very, very good. But I like this a lot on beasts.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Tried not to do that. Hay fever's
Nurgle's
slaughtering me.
Nurgle's right. Really getting to you.
Yeah.
If you hold out long enough, you do become a Herald of Nurgle.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
And
Well,
they are.
as we've seen,
They're
they're very, very good.
Yeah.
Get Scott on the abacus. I'll get stronger as we play on. But
He's the Plague Panjandrum.
I am the Plague
he
Panjandrum.
definitely is. But yeah, I think that the beasts, they have the volume of attacks to really feel the
they
big,
do.
big benefit.
They do. So next up then we have Curse of the Leper. This is a hex or an augment, depending on who you cast it on. Cast on a 10, and I'm going to try and remember what this does. So if you cast it on yourself, it increases your toughness by
D3?
1 or D3?
D3.
It's just got a base value of D3.
D3 base
Okay.
value.
Or you can cast it on an opponent and it minuses their toughness by D3.
Yes, if you're casting yourself, augment casting
Yeah.
your opponent's hex spell.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Natch.
You can boost it, does have a boostable value. Just
Oh,
changes the range from 18 to 36.
wow, that
From
is
a,
good.
from a 10 plus to a 13 plus.
Although, to be fair, you're probably not massively going to want the range unless you're buffing your toughness because they've got a lot of shooting.
Yeah.
And actually, you're not going to want the range then because you're going to be in your army. So I don't actually think you're going to use the range much.
No,
boosted
you'll
range.
use the base level on this.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this is
but
make-
it's very, very good.
This makes your incredibly tough army even
Tougher.
tougher.
Yeah.
It-
Or the opponent's even easier to win.
And that's something that they do struggle with, particularly in the early stages of the tally.
Yeah.
Also, it's got a couple of really cool, unique elements about it, this spell, in that it's one of only 3 spells in the game that can be cast on both friendly or enemy.
Yep.
Which is really unique and really cool. It means that
What's the third? Giant magic.
Hysterical frenzy.
Yeah.
It has.
I'm surprised that wasn't the one you remembered.
Yeah.
I have cast it.
It has. So this makes it probably the most flexible spell in the lore, and one of the most flexible in the game. But crucially, it also has internal synergy with the Plague Wind.
Yep.
It makes
Yeah.
that better, which doesn't happen. There's only a couple of laws. I think Dark Magic, can
Yeah.
do it, and Lore of Shadow, the other two that can
I think in general,
make yourself better as you go.
all these damage spells have some interaction with toughness tests.
Yeah.
So this all helps to all the toughness tests out.
Yep, it helps you to score better. This, for me, is
It should
probably
be one of the
best
first
spell in the lore for
one
this
of the-
army.
For the demons,
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree.
Good spell.
Very good spell. Moving on to number 4
Yep.
is Rancid Visitations. So this is a magic missile and it's cast on a 10+. It causes D6 strength 5 hits to a unit within 18. That unit then has to pass the toughness test or suffer another D6 strength 5 hits and carry on until either you pass the toughness test or the unit is dead.
This is pretty wild, actually, isn't it?
Yeah,
D6 strength 5 hits as a base magic missile.
yeah, just that out of
terrifying.
block is really good, especially casting a 10 as well. That's not that
No.
difficult. Combined with the previous spell, insane.
I think if you roll this as well, genuinely, I think it's a must take
Hmm.
for you, because we talked earlier about how your anti-chaff game is your weakness. This is
This
the
is
only
fantastic
thing
anti-chaff as well.
that gives you really
Yeah.
obviously good
Yeah.
anti-chaff. So I think it's a bit of a must take. I forgot it was strength 5 actually.
Yeah, terrifying.
Because there were other spells like this. The Sinesh one,
This
but
Sinesh one
they
is
dropped
strength
the
4.
strength in
Primal
that.
piercing.
I thought they dropped the strength in this edition for this one as well, but no, this one remains at strength 5 because why not? Nurgle weren't good enough. Strength 5 is just an outrageous strength value.
Yeah, especially when you can already lower toughness in this law.
So it makes it more likely to wound and
more likely to
to
keep hitting.
hitting.
So good.
In fact,
Ludicrous.
even if you don't lower the toughness, average toughness in the game is 3.
Yes.
Half the time you'll get more hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're winning on
And
twos.
you win on
And
twos.
if you do get one additional set of hits, you've got a Doombolt,
Yeah.
a base
Yeah.
level Doombolt at 10+.
And it's adding to the tally.
Yes.
Tally everything.
Yeah.
Everything is tally.
I
Everything's
mean, look, if you get the combo off on like a unit of Elf Spearmen or something, even that's toughness 4, if you drop them down to toughness 1, you keep hitting them with this, you could
What? No.
smash the tally in a turn.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will say this though, in about 10 or 11 years in which I've played Chaos, I've only ever seen that combo pull off twice. Because everyone is terrified of it.
Yeah, no, that is very
that
fair.
could open the way for you getting the next one off, for
Yeah.
example, a
Not the
little,
next one.
little fleshy abundance.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't want it for this army,
I
but
thought I might do.
I don't think it's bad. We're going to move on to it then, as we've spoken about it. It's the penultimate spell in the lore, which is, of course, Fleshy Abundance. It's got a range of 18, it casts on an 11, and grants regen 5+, or +1 regen if you already have it. The boosted version affects everyone in 18 inches for a cast of 22.
I don't like this in Demons.
No.
So, purely for the fact you already have a fire ward save.
Yeah, you know what? Already has a 4-out regen, though, mate.
Beast have no. Yes, I understand. Beasts have it, and if you take the
The
locus
Locus
off,
of Fecundity.
yeah, you do get the regen there.
It's a 3-out regen, mate.
Yeah.
It is a free regen. I do understand that,
Wild.
but then you are.
They be out here wilding.
But there are things that do get rid of regens, and then this you cast.
That's
on
what you
the
got a 5-up walk for.
Yeah, but that's not. I just prefer. I just
Or you
don't
just
like,
don't cast it any against an
I-
army that's got loads of flaming
I'm going to
attacks.
be honest, I can't think of many times that if you said to me, I'm going to give that unit a beast a 3-out regen, I would go,
Yeah, I'll let you have that.
you go large, mate.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I just don't. It's just you already have the same. I don't think it's as necessary as is like Warriors Castle, the exact same
I definitely
spell.
think it's better for them, but I do
Yes.
think we sometimes run the risk when we look at, High Magic's a good example when we talk about like the different armies that can take that, or the same here. We the Demon Prince is another good example.
Yeah.
We run the risk of kind of comparing like snapshots from
Yeah.
completely different books with completely different kind of army setups
Yeah.
and play styles. Warriors have really expensive elite troops that don't have access to ward saves. So yeah, it's incredible on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas in here, I think
It's got more of a niche role.
It's
more
a
a blanket
pressure spell
It's more
to
of a
use.
blanket buff.
Yeah, for me, it's a pressure spell. It's like, I'm going to give that unit a beast to 3-up regen. Are you going to stop it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one that makes me go.
And it's one that, is almost certainly going to draw dice from your opponent. So it's one that if you get 3, 4 and 5 and
maybe
another
opens
spell,
the way for them.
yeah, you go, I'm going to give the beast a 3-up regen. Oh, you're going to throw your dice at that? Awesome. Now I'm going to drop your toughness and I'm going to hit you with loads of D6 strength 5. Deal with it.
Yeah.
I will say this: if you do get it, you aren't exactly going to swap it out for Stream of Corruption, are you?
No. No, never.
No.
You're not going to swap. You're gonna
Even if I had no regen in my army, I still wouldn't
I mean,
swap
to be
it
fair
for
to
Stream of
us,
Corruption.
2 was really good. The Miasma of
Pestilence. No, that's one.
That's one.
Sorry, was that the
2
one
is,
that lowered?
Two is who you think Curse of Leper, which is 3.
Yeah, no. What was the one that lowered my weapon?
Miasma Pestilence, which is number 1.
Number 1.
So 1, 3, 4, and 5.
Very good.
We all think are very good, and now we're moving. But I think Maxie's point, I guess, then is that you'd leave 5 out. I assume you take 6
I'd take 6
in a
off.
perfect set, which is saying I'd
Okay.
do in the 20-0 tactics for the core
In
laws.
my- yeah,
Is
my
in your perfect set,
I'd take
1,
6.
3,
I'd even
4, and 6.
I'd even look like say Blaze Putrefaction.
Putrefaction. Oh no, it is putrefaction. Oh, I've always said that wrong. I do apologise.
Yeah, to be honest, it'd either be 6 or 2, depending on what I'm fighting.
See, again, Putrefaction's also good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nurgle's not a bad lore by any stretch of the imagination.
No,
the actual lore itself
It's that lore attribute,
It's a
and
lore
that
attribute.
seek that's a bit
Yeah.
isn't it?
Which I think means you never see it because you don't take level 4
Makes
wizards
it
in a
really
demon's eye.
poor on a low level
Yeah.
wizard. Yep, but let's see the
it's a
big
shame.
one then.
So the big one.
Yeah, the Plague Wind. I'm going to again look to Max to hopefully word well this time.
No one.
No.
Castle 15.
Oh dear.
Castle of 15 plus remains in play. Plague Wind is a magical vortex that uses a small round template. Once the template is placed, the player then nominates the direction in which the Plague Wind will move. To determine how many inches the template moves, roll an artillery dice and multiply the result by the caster's wizard level. If the result on the artillery dice is a misfire, center the template on the caster instead and roll a scatter dice. I got so close. So close. The template moves a number of inches equal to the caster's wizard level as well, in direction shown by the scatter dice. If you roll a hit, the template remains where it is. Any model touched by the template must pass the toughness test or suffer a single automatic wound with no arm saves allowed. In subsequent turns, the Plague Wind travels in a random direction and moves a number of inches equal to the roll of an artillery dice. If misfire is rolled, the Plague Wind dissipates and is removed. The wizard can infuse Plague Wind with more power so that it uses the large round template instead. If it does so, the casting value is increased to 25 plus.
It's a big score, the 25.
Yeah, it's a big score. It's a classic vortex. It tests on toughness, but it does a wound, not remove.
It's not an auto kill vortex.
No.
But
And you get water saves again.
to be honest, at that point in time, the misfire, you don't care about the misfire.
No, you don't really care about a misfire at all.
No, you're tough enough to mug that off.
And any model that can possibly take the spell only fails it on a 6.
You know what it
And then only
says?
takes a wound.
It says wounds caused by a
I've
demon of Nurgle.
just checked this. If you kill your own models, you up the tally.
Yeah,
Literally,
yeah. So you even care even less.
just going on
Yeah,
that. Send a
we were there,
message.
weren't we? We were there together.
Yeah, if you kill your own models with it, you do get up the tally from that point as well.
I
Hilarious.
think again, it's got internal synergy with lowering toughness that we talked about earlier.
That Curse of Leper is so strategic for the entire lore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've got to look at the fact that this vortex is of times wizard level 1
Times
as
with
well,
level.
which is, it's good and bad, but in its purest form, it will go further than other vortexes.
Yeah.
And it's also one of the ones I've never noticed that before. That when you do roll the misfire, the template you scatter it d6 times your wizard level again.
Really?
That's why I read
Have you just read that wrong?
Might have done.
Probably.
Do the misfire, send template on the caster instead, and roll scatter dice. Template moves a number of inches equals the caster's wizard level.
Oh, it just moves the inches to equal to the wizard
okay.
level, so
Yeah.
like 4 if you're a 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so no.
So
actually really good, because it's not going to hit a
Weird.
thing
yeah.
if it
I-
goes in a certain
I've
direction.
actually never, unless I've always read vortexes wrong.
No, they're
No,
normally
it's
scattered
scattered
D6.
Yeah, I've never seen anything
Weird.
like that before.
Odd.
No, really strong again,
But
consistent.
yeah.
Means you haven't got on your Herald Nurgle and you need a plague barracks.
Yeah, just go 1 inch. But you don't care because it doesn't kill your plague bearers.
If it does, it'll tally.
Yeah. It's a really good spell. It is
Yeah,
it is
it's
a good
decent.
spell.
And it's terrifying for the buses of Skaven slaves, clan rats,
yeah.
the High Elf Horde, like the 7-man 5D.
I find this with fiery,
High Elf Horde.
with
The High Elf
fiery convocation. I find this a lot with Black Horror as well. Black Horror does remove you, but you still get the wall saves.
Yeah.
People have this thing where they're like, oh yeah, if it doesn't just remove you, if it's not like Purple Sun or
It's
like
trash.
Dwellers, it must be rubbish. It's like, actually, how much stuff comes with a baked-in wall save,
Yeah.
mate, that's got multiple wounds?
Yeah.
Because you know what, most of your army, mate, is toughness free. I'm so Essex right now. Most of your army, mate, is toughness free, and it ain't got a wall save.
All you
you know?
missed there was Geezer.
Geezer. And that vortex, mate, is going to squeeze your geezer. But it will kill a lot of stuff
Yeah.
for most armies. Empire,
Just your generic-
Bretonians,
Yeah.
they've got a lot they can rely
Again,
on.
I'm going back to the fact that unless you're fighting ogres, this will terrify.
Yeah.
This will devastate. Even though you call
Just does 4.
You got Curse of Leper for it though.
You do.
But even then, you roll through a unit of dwarves, you chuck it through the side of unit
Still a
hammers,
third.
and you hit 40 of them, or 30 of them, you'll kill 10. Even if they've got like a runesmith in there, you'll kill like 8.
You kill 10. That's
Take
one.
that.
That's one level of a tally.
Yeah.
You'll get a level of the tally even on something that's got a little bit of magic resistance.
That's actually a
and
pretty
toughness.
bad target for it.
Yeah.
Well, you do Curse of Leper, you get even more wounds at that point in time.
Yeah. You can get both of them off.
It's actually really good.
particularly spicy.
People miss it. They miss. It's like plague for the Skaven.
Mm.
That does the same. It does a toughness test wound with no armor save.
Yeah.
really, really amazing.
But I think
Yeah,
the fact
it's
there's just
horrible.
you don't see the Lore of Nurgle purely because you're not manoeuvrable enough for it,
Yeah.
or for the
You
vortex.
just don't take. Yeah, you just don't take the models.
Or you just don't take Wizard.
Yeah, the only model really that you see in a competitive Nurgle army that could be a wizard is a herald.
Yeah.
And barely anyone upgrades them to be a wizard.
No point.
You could take the Flying Prince. When the first book came out of the Games Workshop, we used to do it. One of the staff members that did run the Nurgle Demon Prince quite a bit for a Demon's army. It worked quite well for him. It was still a Demon Prince at the end of the day, but just not what.
It's not the one-up unbreakable Demon Prince.
Just not
That's
as
the
good as
issue.
that one.
And
Yes.
as like you said earlier, it's sometimes you do get caught in the trap of comparing stuff to stuff in other army books.
But I can't.
But-
You can't help but compare it.
Yeah, you can't help but compare it, and it's a lot of points.
I think the crucial thing in this army deep dive, in this Nurgle Demons one, is just it will always come back to it doesn't matter because it is
It's
the
the
one
easiest, like, 500
weakness.
points.
It's the keystone
Yeah.
point that starts your Demons army on the back foot.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
No, absolutely. So we've gone through all the spells. So let's get the rating score for this lore. I love that rhymes. It is a 4 for variety of spell types, a 1 for power and frequency of the lore attribute, a 3 for average spell range, 4 for spell flexibility, 3 for average cast value, and a 2 for the quality of the signature spell, giving this lore a 17 out of 24. Not bad,
It's on the lower end.
but yeah, not great.
Which is weird.
Let down by its lore attribute, I think, is the big.
Yeah, and just the kind of internal work gubbings of Demons of Nurgle versus
yeah.
Warriors,
It's
who
in-
got a better score.
I was
as
about
well.
to say, it's interesting. The only difference between this and the Warriors' score is a lore attribute, and the fact it's gone down from gone down to a 1 means the lore's gone down to a 17 rather than a 20.
Yeah, and I think that reflects as well in the some of the internal synergy of the lore is probably shifts slightly better for Warriors. But no, it's good stuff. I think it's still good. I think you can.
Good lore.
If you're going to go for the big character, I think you definitely should be looking at this lore.
It's a shame that
Yeah,
what you roll is what you're getting because you don't want to take the sig unless you are flying Demon Prince.
Yeah,
And even then, it's a stretch.
yeah, you are pushing your luck.
But that is it for the lore as we move into the final section of today's video, the sample army lists. So as ever, we are finishing up today's video with some sample army lists, and we are, if you haven't seen any of the other Demons deep dives, we are switching things up a little bit again. Instead of giving you 3 lists, we are instead giving you 2. We're giving you a mono god list, and then we're giving you a bit of a mixed god list, but the majority of it will be the demons that we're looking at. So for today, the majority will be Demons of Nurgle.
Oh no!
I know.
I wonder
shocker.
what this list is going to look like.
I feel
Well-
like we're going to struggle to make this list competitive, chaps.
Hold on to your britches.
We are going to start with a mono list.
Braces. Britches are down there.
Oh, sorry.
Britches are there.
We are going to start with the mono Demons of Nurgle list, and I think to no one's surprise, we're going to skip the Lord slot. We're going to go straight into heroes with Epidemus. Then we've got a Herald of Nurgle who's the BSB with a greater gift. We have another Herald of Nurgle who has a greater gift and the Locust of Fecundity. We've got a unit of 30 Plague Bearers in core with full command and the Standard of Discipline, and another unit of 31 Plague Bearers with full command. 2 units of 3 Nurglings, 6 Furies with the Demons of Nurgle upgrade, 2 units of 4 Beasts of Nurgle, and 4 Plague Drones with the Musician, Standard, the Banner of Eternal Flame, and the Plague Proboscis upgrade. Now this actually comes out as a -2 on the Triple Crown Wargaming comp, and it's actually the list I used about 6 weeks ago.
From filming this,
I think from filming, no, from this being released. Because War Councils are 2 before, aren't they?
Yeah, let's go with that.
So that's
Yeah,
about
I think
6 weeks
it's
ago.
Last month's battle
Yeah,
report.
I think it was last month.
Yeah, it's a Lizardman one.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was last month.
Was it?
sure it was last month. About 6 weeks ago, I used it on a War Council battle report.
At some point in time, Scott has used Demons of Nurgle on the channel.
So, go
when
check
I
it out.
used Lizardmen, and Scott
Yeah,
used
it's the Demons of Chaos versus Lizardmen. Go check it out, see how it went. Pretty well. But yeah, it's a really, really solid list.
Everything-
It's super hard to break down. Nothing dies.
Everything we've spoken about this entire video is here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
In some shape or form.
it's distilled into that. You've made some comp concessions, and I think with breaking down your Nurgle Plague Bearer blocks. But as we said earlier, they can cope like that.
But see,
You've
first,
got
actually,
your
I think
Nurglings, you've got
30 is still a
you've
very
got
good
no
size.
wizards. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
No wizards, but again, as I've said, that's not a massive compromise in the Nurgle Demon Army.
Not really.
When we did the Bat Rep, you used the Fecundity Herald as your general. Would you
I
stick
did.
with that?
I think so, yeah. Because it gives people 2 targets.
I actually agree. I think that's the place
So
to
you
go
can-
for me too.
You can go with old Epi as your general if needs be.
Yeah, they're all heralds, so they've all got the same leadership.
Yeah, I think you're right though. I think Fecundity means that you're not giving away an additional 100 points when, if someone does get Epi,
Yeah.
and he's still probably going to be the number 1 target.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, if he's not, then your opponent has no idea what he's in.
Your Nurglings do your chaff, anti-chaff for you in this
Yeah,
list.
so do the Furies.
You just got to watch out for Purple Sun.
That is literally it.
Armies like Wood Elves are probably, or maybe Dark Elves are going to be, or the potential classic banner spam of High Elves.
Yeah.
The Elves are likely
Yeah,
to
I
be
think
the
your
Elf
big-
Triumvirate.
At that point,
your big
it's a
challenge.
case of just grinding it down, which this
Yeah,
army
it's-
does.
that's the thing. What else you'll struggle to catch?
Yeah.
Dark Elves you could struggle to catch.
You might struggle to beat them.
But
by
but
raw
if
types
not,
of
you
type.
might just struggle to beat them.
You're trying to catch anything, and then you get hit in the front by the
Yeah.
by the hard hitting
we,
stuff.
we did say earlier though, didn't we, that like the weakness of the Nurgle list more than anything is its kind of manoeuvrability and
Yeah.
its sort of
Yeah.
chaff game.
If you
Yeah.
can't beat it in the grind up front, you not got much of a hope.
That's the thing. If you can't catch it, there's not a lot you can do.
And the vast majority of armies in the game don't have the ability to get around it. Those
No.
3 are probably the ones that do.
Yeah.
Which is why you struggle against them the most.
But by no means is it a win for
No,
those armies.
absolutely
It's
not.
just
They
this
still
might be
struggle.
tricky.
They still struggle to get any real points off of you.
Yeah.
They'll probably kill the Nurglings and the Furies, and that's what are the Nurglings for? That's about
240.
200 points, 300 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
It really is just comes down to the words purple and sun.
Yeah.
Most of the time, but
No, the Nurglings are 240 points.
Yeah, plus the
Right.
Furies.
Ah, plus the Furies, okay.
Go for it.
But I think,
310.
again, you've got 2 blocks
Thanks,
of
mate.
beasts, really versatile, really strong. You've got plague
Yep.
drones with the hover, and again the versatility and strength we talked about with their score earlier.
Yeah, the Banner of Eternal Flame, obviously, as we said earlier as well, doesn't affect the Riders' attacks because they've got magic weapons, but it does affect the Plague Drones' attacks. And to be honest, that's why you buy Plague Drones. You buy them for the Plague Drone
Absolutely.
attacks.
Again, I look at the blocks there. They're going to bust steadfast. They're going to be very difficult to get through. So if you're looking at the sort of solid elements of a competitive army list, well, you can see it all in there.
Yeah,
You really
absolutely.
can. It's just missing magic and magic defense.
Magic
where it falls
defense.
short.
Yeah.
So I think the player needs to focus really strongly on their dispel game, which is why this list works well for you.
You
Because
need
that's
to-
a strong
yeah.
element of your game.
You need
Yeah.
to pick and choose what you're dispelling.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So you basically just take your dice, hold it until you got the
Until
opponent,
your opponent says Purple Sun.
and then you just chuck
But
everything.
you do have the kind of natural resilience in the list.
Yeah, exactly.
To
To
be able
go
to
that,
do
you
that.
know what?
If
Yeah,
it's-
have that magic missile.
If it's
have that
initiative
hex.
based, then you might be scared of it. If it's strength or toughness based or anything
Oh,
like
you
that,
just
you
don't care.
You don't care.
You do not care.
No.
Because you still got the ward as well.
So
Yeah.
unless it's like
And you're probably strength 5.
the only other spell
Maybe
you, the
toughness
only,
5 as well.
the only spell you are just terrified of is just final transportation. That's a flat dice roll.
But
Yeah.
again, your characters are only hit on 6s.
Yeah, but the chance of Epi being turned to a gold statue is a cause for concern.
Yes, and to be fair, not many armies would have a Metal Wizard and a Death Wizard.
No.
So you've probably only got like one of those spells to worry about.
That'd be an interesting combination of wizards to see on the tabletop.
It would.
I actually wouldn't mind seeing that. That'd be quite cool.
I've done it with Wood Elves, but I did it with a level 2 Metal.
I like the way that Max sort of side-eyed me as he
Yeah.
said, I'd like to see that. It's the sort of thing you'd do, right?
Yes.
But yeah, I think overall very good for
Yeah,
just a small
strong
minus
list.
on the comp. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to do a bit of a mixed list. So this is still mostly Nurgle, but it's got a bit of a tweak and got some corny stuff in there too.
I see
So-
that. I see a big name in it as well.
Big name. We are
Yeah, this is wild out there. Stuff
we are going into the Lord slot with this with Scarbrand,
Interesting choice.
exiled one.
Does he have I think he has a fancy name. Hang on.
Yeah, one of them is the exiled one, isn't it?
One of them is the exile one. Does he have anything fancier? Raffle, Reaper, and Drinker of Blood.
Thanks, Max. Into the hero slot again. We've got Epidemius. When you're majority Nurgle, there's no reason to not take him.
You like Pikachu then, than me.
I've got a Herald of Nurgle, who's the BSB. He's got a greater gift, and he's also got the lesser locus of virulence. I've got 2 units of 28 Plague Bearers, both with full command. I've got a unit of 5 Beasts of Nurgle, 1 unit of 4 Plague Drones with a Musician, a Standard, and Plague Proboscis, and I have a Skull Cannon.
Why not?
Why not? It's
It's interesting that Scarbrand fits here more than he does in an all
in a corner army. Yeah, so essentially, Scarbrand gives everyone on the board, friend and enemy, hatred. Now, in a corn army, you know, you get your rerolls. That's great, but it means everyone hitting you back hits you more often, and you are actually quite squishy.
You can't take a punch.
No, Nurgle very much can. It also means you're way more likely to get the poison. Let alone, you know, your normal sort of wounds through.
You've doubled your virulence.
Double virulence, so all 56 of my plague bearers will be poisoning on a 5.
And you got to think, like, if you're
So
averagely
plague
hitting
bearers.
on a 4,
Yeah.
right, you're then re-rolling again, so you're going to sort of score a third of your hits are automatic wounds, then you'll re-roll, half the dice and score another third on that, so about approximately a sixth, plus a third is 50%. So 50% of every dice you throw
He's going to
is an
automatically
automatic
wound. Let alone you then rolling
in
all
the
those
first
other
round of
hits to win.
combat, thanks to the big man Scarbrand, and like you say,
Who
you haven't
can-
been rolled to win.
Yeah, and Scarbrand will just go into anything and just
Tear it apart.
hammer it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only thing you're missing out on is obviously Inspired Presence. But you do have...
Yes.
Both units of Playbearers are leadership 8 for the fact that you are spreading
Yeah,
your
exactly.
heralds across.
At the end, the Herald will be in one of them.
The only things that aren't getting it is your Beasts and your Plague Drones.
Yeah,
They've got to
but-
lose combat.
They've got to lose combat
that
at
is
that
true.
point.
With Hatred, that is tricky.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
The banner on the Plague Drones, the Gleaming Pennant would have been nice if I could find the points. But you often find that with demons, you just don't have like odd points.
The odd
left.
point for it.
Yeah.
Everything's quite solid.
It's quite fixed
quite a
because
fixed point.
you don't buy magic items for
Don't
your
buy
characters.
shields.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Shields, all that sort of fun jam.
Yeah,
Is-
and obviously you got the Skull Cannon in there as well because it's a cannon. Why would you not?
So suddenly you've now got range threat to pick off enemy artillery, which
Yeah.
protects Epidemius and
And
Scarbrand.
Scarbrand.
And what
yeah.
do they do? Do they go after Epidemius now? Do they go
Go
after
after Scarbrand.
Scarbrand?
I
They
think
go after the Skull Cannon.
Yeah,
I'd say you have got target saturation rather than Epi being picked up by a cannonball.
absolutely.
If you can shoot Epi and Scarbrand is moving 16
And
inches
I don't
a
think
turn.
anyone at home was expecting Scarbrand to
No.
be the thing we added. And the
No.
obvious would have been to throw Kairos in.
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
Kairos is a big one. It's
'Cause
just
he's
like,
an auto plug and play for everyone.
I mean, you can put Kairos in there because he's cheaper than Scarbrand.
I think-
Crazily enough.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I
madly.
think what a Whimsy
Whimsy Lord of Change.
could have also gone in this list really strongly.
Definitely.
The fact that Scarbrand is the points it is means that you can swap him out for anything of your choosing apart from Kugath.
And let's not forget as well that when Scott went to Cardiff and finished 8th,
Ninth. I think it was,
9th, that was a Keeper of Secrets in a very similar
It was.
style.
It
of
was,
was,
yeah.
Bringing the Lore of Slanesh, which we'll have a whole deep dive to
Yeah,
delve into.
that is another great addition to this sort of list. Also didn't have a Skull Cannon in that list. But yeah, Keeper of Secrets with Slanesh, very, very good addition.
I think this is super interesting.
Yeah,
I actually think this
Plus-
could bring the heat. I really
It gives you
Yeah.
a chance to actually use the lovely Scarbrand model. as well.
yeah. So Max, buy and paint Scarbrand for me.
Do you know what? To be honest, at some
Cheers,
point,
mate.
I'm probably going to end up buying Scarbrand.
And I think we'll
You
give this a
definitely
throw. We'll try and
Yeah.
get this on the channel at some point. We
Yeah.
will. But don't know when, but we will try.
But
And,
just the natural toughness of it lets you survive the hit from the hatred.
I just think
Yeah.
it's a carnage game. I think loads of models get
Loads
killed.
of it
looks
dies.
great, doesn't it?
And loads of it dies really quickly, which means it's super
Super.
hard for them to kill your stuff back.
Yeah, it means that even if you lose even if you lost an entire unit of Plague Bearers in the first 3 turns, the chances are after that the game just swings so
Yeah.
heavily in the favour
Yeah,
of the demons.
that-
They just table it out.
So at that point, so the amount of time you actually got to kill a unit of plague bearer, Scarbrand is tearing apart your backline or your
Everything,
character.
yeah.
He's a machine, so
Just-
he's very scary.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing really in that army. There is nothing you look at and go, that's easy victory points.
So, other than Scarbrand
Unless you've
against
got
the artillery.
yeah, unless you've got lots of artillery. Because even if you had like a cannon and a grudge thrower, and a stone thrower, sorry, you'd go, okay, well, if the demons go first, lots of ifs and buts, but your skull cannon aims for the cannon because it's the most reliable
Yep.
of them to kill him. So then Scarbrand just has to survive like a stone thrower shot.
And this is also saying that the grudge thrower hasn't died. Stonethrower, sorry, hasn't died to the Reign of Chaos.
Yeah, also
Or,
possible.
and hasn't shot at Epidemius.
Or has shot-
hasn't shot Epidemius,
Or-
or hasn't shot the skull cannon,
Or past your ward save.
or you pass ward save, or it doesn't do the 5 wounds to kill him.
Five
Five
wounds.
wounds to kill him. Lots of
Lots of ifs and
you
buts.
can't-
lots of ways out for
You can't
Scarbrand.
magic Scarbrand because he's a threat ward save.
Yeah,
Against
that's
magic.
not going to work.
This is super tough. It's hard to deal with.
Yeah, very hard.
Yes, it is.
Very interesting list, as you said. I would very much like to use this list actually now.
I'd very
Now
much
that I've
like-
written it.
I'd very much like to buy Scarbrand.
Yeah, cheers, mate. That'd
Well,
be great.
looks like
I've got
everyone
everything else.
except me
Right.
is the winner.
You got everything else. I've got that and I have to get that.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Awesome. Well, on that note, thank you for joining us. as we've sort of meandered through the realm of chaos into the Garden of Nurgle. Hopefully we haven't caught anything untoward on our way through. As we have seen,
James has. He's been
James
confident.
has definitely caught
Nurgle
Nurgle's
hay
rot.
fever.
Yeah.
Confident sneezing all the time.
As we have seen though, the Demons of Nurgle are the most competitive sub-faction in the Demons book. But that doesn't mean that necessarily you should stick with just them in your list. There's always the options to add in bits for flavour and to, you know, plug the very few weaknesses that the mono army
Even just
does have.
personal preference. If you actually just want to take something that you think looks cool.
If you like wizards, take a big bird.
They're more than good enough that you can put 1 or 2 concession choices in for enjoyment and still
Yeah.
have a sick army, aren't they?
As long as you've got Epi in there,
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to.
That is what it comes down to. That's our top tip to take away from today's deep dive. If your army is more than half points-wise Nurgle, take Epidemus.
Pay the comp.
Yeah, he's well worth it. If you've got a unit, not so much. But as always, feel free to give us your feedback on all the socials or drop us an email. You can share your lists, ask us any questions on there as well. Thank you for joining us, and remember to head back to the Night of the Realm Musting Ground where you can check out all of the other, or some of the other at the moment if you're watching it release, but all of the other if you're watching it a few weeks in advance. Demons deep dives and all of our other exclusive content. And we will see you next time.
See you later, guys.
Bye bye.
Remember to tag your friends and like, subscribe and share. Then head over to triplecrownwargaming.com and become a Knight of the Realm today.
What are you doing, mate?
You alright?
Do